In the early morning, the town is a little quiet, with mist and smoke rising. It's so rare to feel at ease. Fang Qing stepped on the bluestone slab, looking at the houses and the circles of fences. He felt very peaceful and happy. From the previous incident of the heaven and earth spiritual fire, he originally thought that there were many calculations behind it, which would inevitably cause the cultivators to constantly fight and fall. Then it's like cultivating a son of destiny, and then harvesting it. But in fact, Miao Feng walked away easily, and the families gave him the spiritual fire politely. This is the power of Zifu. No matter what. What is the plan of the Z Mansion? On this default Sangji territory, the natural opportunities are all his. That's why it goes so smoothly. Every time comes, heaven and earth work together, and there is no freedom to transport heroes. Sangji's tiger skin will not last for a few years. He walked to a place and saw. A thin black figure flashed out of the back door of Fang's house, ran to the next door, and knocked on the wall. Not long after, a little girl jumped out from the wall. She was also cute, but she had a sad look on her eyebrows. Mingxue, you eat, this is made from lingu at home. Fang Wuchen stuffed a few pastries with a naive smile. Are you hungry recently? Did the evil mother-in-law deny you food? Phew. Lu Mingxue smiled. My family is a monk's family, not a common people. No matter what, it is impossible for people to starve to death. It's just that the spiritual offerings have been cut off. There are several older brothers in her family. In the past, relying on the favor of the family master and ancestor, they have always been there are cultivation resources, and even the green mulberry spirit dates can be distributed. But the family leader and ancestors are all killed in the battle, which is not a good thing. Especially after the engagement, the Lu family doesn't want to raise her. After all, it is a waste of money. How can this be done? It's too much, Fang Wuchen said. I'm going to beg daddy right now. This is my family matter, and I'm not married, what can your father say? Lu Mingxue shook her head. The two little ones got together, sat on the steps, and slowly ate the cakes. Lu Mingxue was quite well educated. She even collected the crumbs carefully, dipped them in with her fingers and ate them. At this moment, they heard footsteps and looked up, and saw a monk wearing a yellow and red robe. A young man with an unflattering short hair came over, two little donors, shocked. The door opened and the two little ones were startled. It was Lao Tian, the long-term worker of the Lu family. His wrinkled face was full of anger. You little bitch, why don't you go to work? Lao Tian picked up Lu Mingxue, threw it to Li's home, and kicked Fang Wuchen. Young man, why don't you go back? Fang Wuchen ran back to his home like a rabbit, only daring to lie down at the crack of the door and peek. Lao Tian then turned around and showed a flattering smile. Old man pays homage to the master. What orders does the master have here? The old man must do his best, huh? Fang Qing looked up and down at Lao Tian with a hint of a smile. My spiritual consciousness swept over me, but my heart moved. This person is not right. Daoji? No, he is in the late stage of submission, but he used magic to hide his cultivation and original appearance. His spiritual awareness is far superior to that of Lao Tian now. After careful inspection, the other party cannot detect it at all, and even his true face is clearly visible. He is still an acquaintance. Tian Jinchen. Of course Fang Qing recognizes this person. Strictly speaking, this person is quite related to him. Back then, I met his grandfather at the Sanjizhenman's exchange meeting. At that time, the Tian family was just a spiritual farmer, and I am afraid it was even more embarrassed than the Fang and Hu family. Yes today, but I don't know if it was fate or the arrangement of the Z Mansion. The Tian family's grandfather later acquired the sword cultivation cave inheritance, and the Tian Jinchen siblings practiced. Lu Jin became a sword cultivator finally. He was captured by the Z Mansion and trained through killing each other to quickly become a Taoist master, which was used as the key to open the Yanba paradise. After the Yanba paradise, Tian Jinchen seemed to have obtained the mantle and sword of Master Yanba. Disappeared without a trace. When I heard the news again, it was already the time when the demon soldiers were marching south. Tian Jinchen appeared in Beixian County and was famous for killing demon generals. I don't know how to get to this point. Is it possible that the Daoji can be eliminated without harming his life? Isn't it the Zifu's method? Is this person exhausted? Or does he have other plans? Fang Qing also has his own views on destiny. It is difficult for destiny to match magical powers, not to mention that qi is not static, but will be continuously consumed. Tian Jinchen may have had a good life at first, but he was captured by Z Mansion, quickly became Taoist, and started again in Qi Yanba blessed land. Most of the luck was consumed. Then there was a fierce battle with the demon general in Beixian. Every time he wandered between life and death, he was wasting his life without replenishing it. In the end, he was probably like a piece of chewed sugar cane, and it was already tasteless to Zhu Zifu. This person's Taoist foundation and sword. I'm afraid they are all used to make wedding clothes for others. There is still one life left, either to continue to torture, or to eat him is not enough, and ask him to propagate the family, or pass on the Taoism, eating him for 3 lives and 3 lives. The monks of the Zifu are just making the best use of it. It can't be for the purpose of plotting against the Lu family or the Fang family? T.S. man has just driven away the 2 children, and he is still somewhat righteous. He knows how to flee to Shitua County for refuge, and he has grown up. In any case, Shitua County is a secret Taoist tradition, and it is impossible to let the Zifu immortal cultivator use it. It's a pity. If this person and I were both in Xiaohuanhai, I could still do the math for him. Now that Fang Qing saw Tian Jingchen, he had an inexplicable whim, and vaguely felt that this person would be a key to connect some people or things. This may also be the intention of Zifu to let him escape to Shitua. It's just, how come you happen to be here, and it happens to involve the Lu family and the Fang family? He was a little worried in his heart, but there was a sneer on his face. You old guy, with loose bones in your body, is not a good material for refining Buddhist instruments. How dare you get in front of the Buddha? Roll. After saying that, he slapped him with another big slap. Crack. The slap was loud, but Lao Tian kowtowed repeatedly. Thank you, master, for the reward. Go away. Fang Qing kicked the old man and walked out of the town without saying hello to the Xing family. He drove the fire bowl and left. Judging from the incident of withered skeleton and green fire, the love has not reached this level yet. He stayed away from the Xing family and came to the edge of Shitua County. He randomly found a place surrounded by mountains, with forests and springs, and dug into the ground to activate the magic power of Ntu. The ground is quite convenient, escaped all the way to the underground that could no longer be penetrated. Fang Qing used his magic power to open up a cave and divine the fortune of his passage. After a few years, all kinds of temptations will come, and they will be busy if they get the wonderful wind. Fang Qing transformed Blue Sea Kung Fu in his cave and practiced silently. To perfect the mana cultivation in the later stage of foundation building is not something that happens overnight, it requires persistent efforts. Through Xiang Dahu, Qin Ruxue, and Yu Xianger, he had a clear understanding of the situation in Xiaohuanhai. We even know that Zhang Hongxiu is now notorious as a killer of divisions and is wanted by Sanyuan Island. The reason why we know so many details is naturally not the intelligence collected by Xiang Dahu, but from Yu Xianger. The promoted Jiang Family Foundation establishment directly turned to the Sea Destruction Alliance. This time he also obtained the support of the Sea Destruction Alliance and sent several demonic foundation builders to ambush with him in the outside, so that he could kill the green water Sanren. Of course, on the surface, Sankeifeng City is still neutral, and Lu Lingfeng took care of it, and accused Zhang Hongxiu of colluding with the demon cultivators to kill his master. As for the evidence, we already wear the same pants as Mo Xiu, so naturally we can do whatever we want. Furthermore, in fact, Monk Xiaohuanhai doesn't pay much attention to this. Basically, the law of the jungle eats the strong, and the winner is king. Nowadays, Sankeifeng City is occupied by the Jiang family's foundation establishment, and it is also a foundation establishment force. It is a matter of course that a qi refining cultivator is wanted. Thinking of this, Fang Qing couldn't help but take out a piece of jade and calculate for a moment. Is there a danger of death? Could it be that I was too harsh before? I lost too much energy? I feel like I can't survive. What if this girl dies? Isn't my previous investment a waste? Although I have already recovered my capital and made a lot of money, it is not a pleasant thing. With a thought in his mind, Xiang Daha came to see him outside the cave. Young master. Seeing Fang Qing walk out, Xiang Dahu saluted respectfully. That's all, take this jade and go pick up Yin Zhan Hongxiu. This woman may be dying. Fang Qing sent Xiang Dahu away and looked at the Baihaman mountain gate again. There was nothing unusual, except that there was a new group of foundation building monks. The Linghu Choya who explored the secret realm last time was surprisingly among them. Deep Sea, somewhere demon girl, put down the second-order demon core. Hurry up, that woman has a foundation building opportunity. I have long thought that Hong Yuanzi is not simple. I broke her hiding technique before and found out that this woman is actually the wanted demon cultivator Zhang Hongxiu. A group of masters in the late stage of qi refining shouted, or controlled flying magic weapons, or used escape techniques, chasing a fleeing red shadow in front of them. Crash! A series of talisman seals and flying swords stabbed at the red shadow, but the red sleeves were stretched out. Just slap the beast bag. A giant green turtle the size of a millstone appeared, holding up a water curtain to block all attacks. Another jet of black mines hit the cultivators. Trouble. Zhang Hongxiu's heart sank when she saw this scene. She finally escaped from Fengshe back then, but found that Lu Lingfeng had confused right and wrong and made her family a wanted demon cultivator, but there was nothing she could do. If you want revenge, you must have enough strength. Therefore, she chose the pseudonym Hong Yuanzi, joined the monster hunting team, ventured into the deep sea, and hunted the second-level monsters. Just a few days ago, I finally killed a second-level demon fish and successfully dug out a demon core. Then the team fell into internal strife as expected. She had no choice but to use the Wancho turtle and other methods. Although she grabbed the demon core, her identity was recognized and she was chased by many rogue cultivators and rogue cultivators. A few hours later, Daoshengzhu was covered in blood, and the Wancho turtle next to him was also covered in scars, but he wielded a red flying sword and penetrated the chest of the last robbery cultivator. Finally, after years of suffering, a look of perseverance appeared on her face. After this time, I will remain anonymous, and find an alchemy master to refine the Foundation Establishment pill. Foundation Establishment is in sight, but in her heart, she was also worried. As a wanted devil, no serious alchemy master will accept him, and those demonic alchemy masters are often very cunning, and they can definitely do things like embezzling elixirs with other monks. At this moment, Daoshengzhu smelled a pleasant aroma, and the mana in his body stagnated. The Wancho turtle beside him wailed and fell down directly. Hey hey hey. It's not in vain for me to wait until now. You must have used up all your cards, right? A figure appeared, wearing a colorful robe, with a lustful smile on his face. This time I can not only gain a little beauty, but also a second-level demon core, God help me. Foundation building, monk, you are so sinister, are you the Jiesho Kaihua Peak? Daoshengzhu couldn't help but have despair on his face, but at this moment, a flash of thunder flashed. Thunder danced wildly in the sky, turning into a thunder dragon, with a bead in its mouth, surging forward. Huh? Foundation building monk? Second-level high-grade talisman? Kai Weifeng's horrified voice came, and then he shouted, misunderstanding. If fellow Taoist falls in love with that woman, I will give it to you. Poof, a heavy thump was heard, and then a headless corpse fell in front of Daoshengzhu. Only the colorful robe was left, still showing the identity of the master. Dead. Kai Huafeng, who was known for being timid and only attacking Qi, died like this. Those who come here specifically to eliminate evil must be righteous heroes. The image of a handsome senior who is good at fighting emerged in Daoshengzhu's mind. Then, a face with simple and honest features appeared in front of her eyes. Are you a senior? Daoshengzhu was surprised. Xiang Dahu had a cold face and didn't say much. He just took out a jade bottle and poured 2 pills out. Take it. You can't keep the island owner waiting for a long time. Island owner, is Taibai island owner? Daoshengzhu's heart moved. Taibai Island Ice and Snow Palace. The little girl thanks the island owner for saving her life. Daoshengzhu gave a big gift first, then stood up with a cold expression. The island owner has been sending people to monitor the little girl. I don't know what he wants. She didn't know that Fang Qing had already tampered with her, and she could make inferences based on this connection. The only explanation for Xiang Dahe being able to appear in time to save her life is that he had been following her for a long time. After some training, I have grown a lot. Fang Qing nodded and said with a smile, originally, I had no interest in you, but later I discovered that Sankeifeng City was secretly siding with the Sea Destruction Alliance, and that's how I found you. The island owner wants to support the little girl and deal with Sankeifeng City? If there is evidence of colluding with demonic cultivators, wouldn't it be better to simply exterminate the whole family with an army? Daoshengzhu murmured, and then he understood, destroying a foundation-building force without substantial evidence will only cause the other forces in Zhao Wanhai to be in danger and all turn to the Sea-Destroying Alliance. And if I build a foundation, it is natural to destroy Sankeifeng City. Yes, Bing Shui is smart. What's more, you also got a second-level demon core, which has investment value. Fang Qing smiled slightly. I wonder if you can ask me to make alchemy? Actually, these are all excuses. He is not the head of the Bihai sect. He cannot control so much. If he wants to destroy Sankeifeng City, it is just a matter of changing his account. Daoshengzhu was silent for a while, then he took off his storage bag and hairpin, placed them in front of Fang Qing, and bowed. Island Master, please take action. It's time to unpack again. Fang Qing had some expectations in his heart, so he opened the storage bag and took out a second-level water attribute demon core. The quality is average. I must have struggled for a long time before the second-order fish demon died, and the demon power was not lost. He nodded and shook his head. I can barely produce 3 genuine foundation-building pills. Fang Qing took out the hairpin magic weapon with red sleeves. After opening it, his consciousness swept away, and he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. It seems that she was fucked too hard before and the girl has not fully recovered yet, so there are not many good things inside. In addition to a few exquisite second-level low-grade talisman seals, there is only a bottle of Millennium Spiritual Milk and a few longevity pills. This Millennium Spiritual Milk is not bad, just take it as your reward for refining elixirs for you. Fang Qing was honest and collected the jade bottle containing the Millennium Spiritual Milk. Taking 1 drop of this thing can almost replenish most of the mana of a pill-forming monk. It is also the main material for refining many third-level recovery elixirs. It is not rare, but the burning life pill is a rare second-level high-grade elixir, belonging to the magic path. The main function is to burn longevity and gain powerful mana. According to Fang Qing's speculation, this woman probably used some kind of magic formula to make the Wanshou turtle take the burning life pill, but it did not explode. Instead, it slowly released its medicinal power to accelerate the growth of the Wanshou turtle. Of course, this approach is still a bit eager for quick success and damages the potential of the longevity turtle. Thanks to this turtle's excellent bloodline, long lifespan, strong physique, and fellow practitioners' method of turtle and crane prolonging life to repair the foundation, it is possible to play like this. Changing another spiritual beast or technique will only destroy it. This 10,000-year-old turtle has a long lifespan, and there will be no hope of the 4th level in the future. If this is done, the 3rd level will probably be the end. Fang Qing looked at this woman with a somewhat pitiful expression. Let the island owner make the decision. Daoshengzhu was already a knife, but now he felt a little lucky. Compared to the last heavy bleeding, this time is already good. Moreover, she is a casual cultivator, like duckweed in the wind. If she doesn't seize every opportunity to improve her strength, she might have died long ago. With Fang Qing taking action and refining it with the 3rd level Ice Soul Cold Spring, the foundation establishment pill is naturally a sure shot. In less than a month, 3 authentic pieces were obtained and Xiang Dahe sent them to Daoshengzhu. As for taking the other party into retreat on Taibai Island, Fang Qing knows that the troubles of such a destined son are due to his personality, and will not disrupt his peaceful life. Many islands in the outside world have spiritual veins, and some even rent out caves to the outside world, which is enough for planning. It is not easy to cover up the celestial phenomenon when building a foundation. The master of Taibai Island, cannot cover the sky with one hand. He calculated that he has only guarded Taibai Island for about 10 years. The monks have a different concept of time than ordinary people. In just over 10 years, the sect should not be able to think of anything that can't lose its tail or a vassal town. Now it is most important to improve our own strength. Fang Qing returned to his cave, enjoyed the 3rd level spiritual energy, took out a sparkling elixir, and he swallowed it directly. Now that he has reached the late stage of foundation establishment, he can still maintain the maximum cultivation speed of 1 drop of liquid mana for more than half a year, which is naturally inseparable from the batch of 1,000-year-old spiritual grass. Otherwise, even if he swallows a large amount of Shuiyuan Dan, he will not be able to make the same rapid progress as in the early and middle stages of foundation establishment. Enter. In fact, if you want to increase the upper limit of liquid mana in the late stage of foundation building, the price will definitely be several times that of the middle and early stages. If it were not for the secret realm, Fang Qing's accumulated water essence over the years would not be enough. At that time, he would have to hunt monsters everywhere. Fortunately, with his magical power, he is almost free in this world. The calculation technique of Tong Wu Ji is just a little troublesome. With the accumulation of pills in my hand, I should be able to practice until the magic power is perfect in the later stage of foundation building, too. At that time, he refined the 3rd level Great Barrier Breaking Pill and directly achieved the false pill state of perfect foundation building. It's time for a deep retreat. Fang Qing closed his eyes. As a foundation-building monk who can eat the wind and drink the dew, and at the same time a Taoist master who masters the mysteries, it is normal for him to be in seclusion for several years or even 10 years at a time. Shirasame Island. This island is completely white. It is said that when the moon is full at night, you can occasionally see sharks, and the scenery is beautiful. Of course, what is more important is that there is a first-order high-grade spiritual vein on this island. The Ao family occupies this island. This family has always kept a low profile. It is said that the ancestor is a half-demon, with half of the merman blood in his body. Perhaps because of its low profile, or perhaps because it is in a remote place where no one cares about it, this G-refining force has survived the previous 3 major alchemy-forming forces competing for hegemony, survived 10 years of beast tides, and survived the subsequent Sea Destruction Alliance, until today. Who? On the white beach, a spiritual fruit fell to the ground. The island seemed to begin to tremble slightly, and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth gathered together, turning into a whirlpool and sinking into a cave. Is this a heavenly sign of foundation building? A woman with white gauze and slender thighs standing in the sea looked in the direction of the cave. That's the cave rented by her family. It only has first-level high-grade spiritual energy. How can it build a foundation? Is it really a foundation building? When some casual cultivators and traveling merchants passing by saw this scene, looks of envy and jealousy appeared on their faces. The foundation building of the first-order high-grade spiritual energy is a bit lacking, but it would not be a bad idea if we set up a spirit gathering array or prepare a large number of spiritual stones in advance. A gray-haired old cultivator sighed. Just by acting like this, I'm afraid the identity of the person who is making the breakthrough is a bit embarrassing. Inside the cave, feeling the mana in the body turning into liquid, the consciousness leaving the body, and the I Ching washing the marrow. She stretched out her red sleeves and looked up to the sky and roared, as if she was going to wipe away the years of frustration before the foundation was established. Break through the foundation, lifespan is 200, and the body can fly. She checked herself, and touched the beast control bag. With the characteristics of turtle and crane prolonging life, my success in foundation building will be of great benefit to the Wanshou turtle to break through to the second level. As long as Xiao Yu also becomes a second-level monster, the two of us join forces. Even monks in the middle stage of foundation building can deal with it. The time for revenge is not far away. Zhang Hongxiu came out of seclusion in high spirits, like a newborn baby curiously looking at this new world with his spiritual consciousness. At this moment, another spiritual consciousness came. Congratulations to fellow Taoist for successfully building the foundation and becoming one of our generation, huh? Are there any foundation building monks on the island? In Zhang Hongxiu's spiritual consciousness, a graceful female cultivator wearing white gauze and white scales on her cheeks appeared. Sarman? No, it seems to be a half-demon hybrid? Spring goes and autumn comes, time turns around. Taibai Island is still covered with snow, and a thick layer of dust has accumulated in front of the cave where Fang Qing retreats. Unconsciously, it has been 10 years of cold and heat. Ancient Shu, Shitua County. Fang Yisen now looks middle-aged, with a beard. He is already at the 5th level of cultivation. Looking at his spiritual field, he sighed, this year. I am finally quieter, and I have gained a lot. Next to me, Hu Quanan, whose beard and hair are all white, showing his old demeanor, he lowered his voice, alas. When the ancestor of the Xing family returned, it was considered stable for several years. Later, news came out that the ancestor Qingye had passed away long ago, but he did not mourn in secret. Immediately afterwards, the Black Crow Sanren, a loose cultivator, attacked the Xing family caravan. This was obviously a test. In recent years, the Xing family has been in constant conflict with several neighboring Daoji forces. Although there has not been any major Daoji cultivator fight, the convinced monks under them have fought fiercely several times, which can be said to be a constant fight. This has made Fang Yisen exhausted both physically and mentally. If it weren't for the fact that both of his children are good-looking, and now that they have grown up, they can gradually help a lot, otherwise it would be simply impossible. Vomiting blood. Alas. This is not my fault. Before, I only thought that the Xing family was powerful and caring enough to protect me, but I didn't expect that this family was cultivating, and this, Master Piayobo. Therefore, the main family has been in constant turmoil, which has affected us. Hu Quanan sighed repeatedly. At this time, a young man on the field raised his head and said with joy, Ming Shiwei has brought food. He has simple features and is wearing a rough yellow Georgiade suit, but his cultivation level has reached the 6th level of admiration, which is even more advanced than his father Fang Yisen. This man is Fang Wuchen, who married Li Jiale Ming Shiwei a year ago. He has been practicing treasure land returning to the origin since he was a child, and his progress has been rapid. In comparison, Fang Wujiao next to him seemed weak and his qualifications were average. He was able to convince himself of the 3rd level of cultivation by following Fang Yisen's Book of Guanhailing. Uncle, Lu Mingxiwe was bright and generous, holding a bamboo basket in his hand, which contained steamed spiritual rice and a few side dishes. Haha, let's eat together. Fang Yisen is quite satisfied with this daughter-in-law. Although the Lu family made troubles and made the old lady angry to death, and finally separated the family in despair, Lu Mingxiwe did not receive any good things and did not have strong support from her mother-in-law. However, she took care of the housework in an orderly manner and her cultivation qualifications were also good. I think she will be able to give it to the old Fang family in a few years. There are a few more children who are qualified to cultivate immortals. He squatted by the field, holding a big blue and white bowl, and took a few bites of rice. When he saw Fang Wuchen and Lu Mingxiwe walking aside to whisper, he looked at Fang Wujiao next to him, secretly planning his youngest son's marriage. In ancient times, it was common for boys to get married as early as the age of 12 or 13, and Fang Wujiao was already quite old. While thinking, Hu Quanan came over with a trace of worry on his face. Isin, do you think Wuchen's qualifications are too good? Yeah. I didn't expect this child to practice Tuda so quickly. My family's supply of spiritual resources is not abundant, and even the spiritual resources are not abundant. I can't even eat rice. But this child's cultivation level has surpassed mine. Fang Yisen smiled and said, I originally thought that it would take 7 generations for my family to accumulate a Taoist seed, but I didn't expect that this generation would be successful. But there are 2 major doubts about this. Hu Quanan may have been influenced by Taoji mysticism at first, but after getting along with him for so many years, he accepted a disciple and decided on his name. He has already sincerely considered for his silly disciple. The first is that if a tree is beautiful in the forest, the wind will destroy it. The midterm is okay. If we break through the late stage of convince and still make such progress, it will be frightening. I'm thinking of going to the market to buy a qi condensing technique, and you can let Wuchen collect it. Fang Qing calmed down, and immediately there was a cold sweat on his back. Uncle Hu, please consider it. Thoughtful. I almost delayed important things and missed the child's sex. The second thing is the problem of the technique. Let's not talk about the Daoji pill that broke through the Taoji. The Taoism I obtained is incomplete, and the Baodaguiyuanju has no Taoji content. Hu Quan. And said, fortunately, the first half and the method of collecting qi are still complete, and I used the 4th level true swallow to enter the Tao. Otherwise, I am afraid it will be delayed for the rest of my life, and I will regret it. This is a big problem. Fang Qing also has the same problem. With some worries, he looked at his younger son and sighed in his heart, my family's kung fu has a Taoist part. Back then, if Wuchen was allowed to practice Guanhailing would it be different? With his talent, even if it is slower than Tuda, maybe it won't be much slower. Even it just covers up the progress of cultivation. My family has the fate of Jishui. Even if Wuchen is better at Tuda, his talent in this path should not be too bad. But it is too late now, a true knowledge has entered his belly, and his path has been determined from now on. To read the law. Test and complete chapter, go to Kuaitagu if you say regretful words now, it will just make the two sons turn against each other. So Fang Qing forcibly held back and looked at Hu Quanan, Uncle Hu, is there any way? Since my lineage is incomplete, I can find opportunities to make up for it and continue on the path. Hu Quanan said, it's just. Tao-based skills are expensive, I'm afraid it requires a lot of spiritual resources. Alas, my family has been able to support everyone's practice, and has long been unable to make ends meet. Fang Qing couldn't help but sigh. He and Hu Quanan looked at each other, and suddenly they both looked at Lu Mingxue in unison. After the Lijia family split up, Lao Tian quit the Lijia family. Using the contacts and qualifications accumulated over the years, he finally became a tenant farmer of the Xing family, officially settling in Xingjia town. The old lady with the highest level of cultivation in the Lu family was already very old. Secondly, she was worried about the family and was so angry that she vomited blood and died. The Lu family members separated and their strength weakened a lot. It can be said that the offensive and defensive dynamics are different. The green mulberry jujube tree is said to be the spiritual root of the spirit of spirit. Every few years, spiritual resources of spirit are produced. It is of extraordinary value. I can always change it to a basic technique, right? It's just that this matter needs to be discussed in the long term. Fortunately, Wuchen has just broken through the 6th level of convince, so there is no rush. Fang Qing was just thinking about it when 9 rapid bells suddenly rang in his ears. He and Hu Quanan looked at each other, almost numb. We are going to fight again. I don't know who it is this time. Kitchen God sect? Or the Tai family? Wuxing Temple. In the underground palace, the tiger demon King Ming sits in the mandala, and everything is the same as it was 10 years ago. Miaofeng Mingzi watched all this silently, with a trace of fear and uneasiness deep in her eyes, and cast a spell to measure the earth. I saw that outside the underground palace, some black soil had accumulated for some time, but it was very thin. Not much has changed. When you realize the Dharma King, there must be a vision. Female soil is the land of accumulation, and accumulation is slow. I am afraid that Master is in some difficulty now. These Mingzi and Mingfei are all knowledgeable. They have read the Buddhist scriptures thoroughly and know the vision of Dharma King's breakthrough. Nowadays, everyone is unsure. As the days passed, the fear and uneasiness became even worse. Miaofeng didn't dare to say a word at this time, for fear that someone from the Zifu would hear her words. There was even some regret in his heart. Why did you target and exclude Fang Shimingzi in the first place? If he hadn't left, he would be the one holding the blame today. When he walked out of the underground palace, he saw concubine Miaoshui Ming coming and handing over a silver letter. Another letter of request for help from the Bluebird department? Miaofeng Mingzi frowned. What is the number of letters this is? Ever since the Suwu demon of the Bluebird tribe failed to prove the gold 10 years ago and turned into an evil thing, Moyunya sent several Zifu to lead the ancient Shu sect and began a mighty counterattack. To this day, not only have they recovered all the lost territory, but they even reached the north. The little Princess Qingha of the Bluebird Club sent one letter after another. Her tone gradually changed from arrogant to tactful, and now it even contained a hint of pleading. If Fang Qing were here, he would definitely make a comment, as if he had been beaten by society. The 6th letter. It seems that the Bluebird Club is seriously injured this time. Concubine Miaoshui sighed. I heard that a few months ago, a natural disaster broke out in a northern county, and snow fell on the ground, which was enough to measure 10 feet. It should be that the evil thing was finally killed. This evil thing is raging in the north and has devoured countless great demons from the Purple Mansion. all this resentment falls on the Bluebird tribe. The top demon kings of the Purple Mansion of the Demon Clan joined forces to get rid of the evil thing, but there is nothing they can do, and they will not help the Bluebird tribe again. There is no tenderness between the demon tribes. After all, the gap between the wolf demon and the rabbit demon is much greater than that of the southerners and barbarians. They are simply mortal enemies of each other. Unless the 8 tribes of the demon tribe obtain the will of the demon saint of Luofeng Mountain, it is impossible to join forces. Instead, they will add insult to injury. They are in trouble. Isn't it easy for Buddha? What's more? How dare we provoke Gushu now? I just hope those adults don't cast their eyes on me. Miaofeng and Miaoshui looked at each other, and they both saw the helplessness on each other's faces. As Mingzi Mingfei, especially Mingzi Mingfei who is not self-taught, their futures all hang on Sangji, and the proof is if the Dharma King fails, both body and soul will be destroyed. There is no theory of reincarnation. If Sanji fails and dies, they will all fall down and become convinced monks. Even if Sanji becomes angry before his death and kills their true souls, then they will all be buried with the master. Outsiders think that the rise of their white bone path is imminent. But in fact, Miaofeng waved his hand casually, turning the silver letter into a ball of silver juice, and saw Miaoshan coming in a hurry. The families below Shitua County are fighting again, and recently there is a kitchen god sect, secretly promoting the kitchen god's belief, developing faith. Bold, this is digging up the foundation of my Taoism. Miaofeng Mingzi was fur. Yes, Zing, are all those Daoji aristocrats in this family eating for nothing? Kill them all. The Buddha wants to use their skulls to make bowls. At this moment, concubine Qing Jingming also came over, her expression not very good. This temple received an invitation from a Hueda Daoji monk, who is said to be from the Zifu Taoist lineage, and is destined to be the withered skeleton green fire of this temple. Miaofeng stopped talking, his forehead was covered with cold sweat, and he said to himself, this is a test. The master is just a little depressed. Is the Z Mansion's test coming? But after all, we are monks in the secret treasure realm. Yes, secret treasure has an appointment with ancient Shu. If master cannot become a Dharma king, we will all be abandoned. Taibai Island. Fang Qing calculated with his fingers that he had been in seclusion for 10 years. It seems that I have never been in seclusion for such a long time in my life. Looking inside, he saw the tide bead hanging high in the dantian of the Sea of Qi, with a bead, a flute and 2 magic weapons on both sides. Under the tide bead, 77 drops of liquid mana gathered and turned into a pool. The deep green pond. Although Fang Qing is in seclusion, he has been observing this situation in the 2 worlds through Su He, Xiong Dahu, and other informants. Everything is as usual on the Zio Wanhai side. There is no big movement on the Baihaman and the Sea Killing League. On the other hand, Sankeifang City on Sanyuan Island is showing red sleeves. The foundation building was successful, and she widely publicized Lu Lingfeng's serious crimes such as surrendering to the demon cultivator and killing his master, and had several fierce battles with the ancestor of the Jiang family. Although she was a little late in building the foundation, she had a second-level longevity turtle, which was better than the Jiang family's foundation building. When Sher couldn't enter, she was ambushed by her liaison demon cultivator and suffered a big loss. However, this girl had a chance and was a blessing in disguise. It was said that she had gained the friendship of the deep-sea mermaids and was recovering from her injuries. But it was Gushu, Shitua County. Fang Qing sighed deeply. Everyone in the Zifu is very aware of the situation. Even a Taoist master like Miaofeng, who has a heritage, can deduce that Sangji's breakthrough is very unsatisfactory. But now it is just a little unsatisfactory. Presumably as time goes by, the unsatisfactory situation will turn into a disadvantage, and then a near failure. Sangji's vision is just a little frustrated, and Z Mansion's temptation is here, the kitchen god sect, as well as the cause and effect of heaven and earth spirit fire, come Su. No or later, but now, Fang Qing sneered, knowing that as long as Sanji fails to break through, the entire White Bone Road will be overturned immediately. Fortunately, I run fast, otherwise I would have to bear all this. And, in the eyes of outsiders, the so-called exclusion is naturally a joke. My relationship with Sanji will be happy, as long as I don't die. Sanji's breakthrough has not yet completely failed, and the White Bone Path still has some energy. Therefore, before the master went into retreat, he secretly asked me to leave to protect myself. This is a good excuse for returning in the future. Unfortunately, the hope is also slim. If Sanji succeeds in becoming the Dharma King, Fang Qing can use this excuse to return. But the key is, he can't make it. It usually takes decades for a monk to break through the Purple Mansion in seclusion, unless he is the kind of person who is destined to be born and reincarnated with great power. Now that 10 years have passed, we can see some signs. There are still more than 10 or 20 years before the real fall. When it is confirmed that Sanji failed to break through and died, someone will definitely come from the hidden area to open the underground palace and welcome the remains and relics. When the time comes, send it to the Dharma King for examination, and everything will be clear. After all, it's better to run early. Now that the evil in the north has been destroyed, we can go north and turn to the southeast with the help of the war cover. It's just that when I look at the Fang family, something is wrong. Fang Qing frowned. Wait and see. At worst, I can continue to be in seclusion for decades, and then change my identity. He pinched his fingers to calculate, and then thought that this place is Zio Wanhai, and there is no secret of ancient Shu, not to mention that he may not be able to calculate it, so he couldn't help but sigh. Sanji. Way too. Back then, when I was still convinced by Xiaoxiao, I couldn't see clearly the true face of that sloppy Taoist. But after entering the White Bone Path, Fang Qing, through Sanji, still knew something about some well-known Zaifus in ancient Shu. That master Sanji cultivates, stomach earth. The exchange meeting was also held in the Zao Lord Temple back then. For the latest complete chapter, go to Quick Reading Valley now that another Zao God sect has risen. How can Fang Qing not doubt that the Z mansion behind this Zao God sect is Sanji? What's more important is, the treasure land return to origin Ju practiced by Fang Wuchen also belongs to stomach earth, and he can practice it so fast. He is close to Lao Tian. Tian Jinshan was the key to unlocking the blessed land of Yanba. There is also a ray of stomach earth divinity hidden in that blessed land. Wait a minute, I will never show up. If Fang Wuchen can still successfully find the Taoist skills, or even cast the Taoji, then it is basically certain that he has fallen into this stomach earth bureau. Fang Qing reviewed the situation comprehensively, and thought that when his family was just about to achieve the degree of Hu Quanan, he had an inexplicable whim, so he changed his method. Now that I think about it, I feel a little scared. Hu Quanan is Fang Wuchen's master. He also cultivates stomach earth. He has polished it over the years and has even become convinced in the later stages. It's hard to say, it's also a chess piece. If he was converted by me back then, and now the Zifu wanted to use him, but found that he couldn't seduce him, it would be a lot of fun. Fortunately, I only exerted influence with Daoji mysticism back then, and even after so many years, the influence has faded, and the rest is only supported by friendship and the relationship between master and disciple. There will be no situation where the Zifu cannot influence him. Should the whim of that year be here? Fang Qing exhaled and couldn't help but secretly lament the reality of the ancient Shuzi mansion. Originally, everything was fine when Sanji was there. As a result, he retreated for a while. Unfavorable, there are all kinds of temptations immediately. Even this unfathomable stomach land game is moved to Shitua County. I am not afraid that Sanjizan will be the Dharma King and suddenly come out to save or kill these chess pieces one by one. Now, I really can't go to Shitua County anymore. When it comes to Jinren Sanji, it seems to involve that ray of stomach earth, divinity, and Jinju and Jindan doesn't count. His biggest the method of predicting good or bad luck is now useless. Even if Fang Qing goes to Shitua, all kinds of calculations may lead to his own death in the end. I will hide in Zio Wanhai, and the tiger will not come out of the cave. Let's see what can be done to me. Go out to have fun first, and then continue to retreat. Heisher Shiran came out of seclusion, first went to several markets to listen to music, and then found Qin Ruxue and Yuxiang'er in turn, wandering around for a long time. Then quietly returned to Taibai Island, continued seclusion, took pills and practiced. Wuxing Temple, the red flame seemed to have life, turning into fire sparrows, fire snakes, fire knives, fire swords, a giant flaming palm pressed down, shattering an illusory golden body. Suddenly, the flames in the sky disappeared, and a red-robed man appeared. His sword eyebrows flew into his temples, and he hung a sword at his waist. He looked at Miaofeng Mingzi who looked like gold paper in front of him, cupped his hands and said, I accept. According to what I said before, 2 out of 3 games, please give me the treasure. To see the latest complete chapter, go to Quick Reading Valley. Miaofeng Mingzi almost spit out a mouthful of golden blood, but she forced herself to hold it back and glanced at the Miaoshui next to her. Miaoshui Mingfei sighed and threw out a clay bowl. The thousands of firefly and flying stars in the bowl were exactly the skeleton green fire. Before, this Zhu Zhaohuang came to visit the temple and claimed to be a monk from the Jiutian fire mansion in Jiangbei to ask for the spiritual fire of heaven and earth. Of course Miao Feng refused. He has always only made others suffer, never his own. The result was it was Zhu Zhaohuang who defeated the 18 protector gods formation and the Moni flesh and bones hell altar in the White Bone Dao, and then won the lottery with the 4 Mingzi Mingfei. With your cultivation at the peak of Daoji, you took this thing while the elders were not around to bully me. Do you know the consequences? Miaoshan couldn't bear it any longer, and the Sanskrit sound came out. This authentic monk of Tai Xianmen has suddenly reached the state of Taoist perfection, and is almost the same as their master, and these 4 Mingzi are just promoted pseudo-Taojis. Even with the help of many protectors and large formations, their strength and weakness are clear at a glance. Thank you, master, for the reminder. Zhu Zhaohuang handed over his hand again, it's just that this thing is related to the opportunity to become a Taoist, so I have to take it, but I also know that it has a great cause and effect with the white bone Tao. If all the masters have time in the future, you can go to the north, and she will be waiting for you. He played with fire like a fairy, and strode out of Wuxing Temple. It wasn't until he walked out of the temple that he breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, there was no Dharma king who broke through the void and beat me to death with one palm, alas. I traveled to the demonic realm and came here unknowingly, and heard the news about the spiritual fire of heaven and earth. Obviously, I was influenced by the demonic purple mansion to make this knife. These magical powers are just like playing with fate, what can I do? At least they don't want to kill me because of the respect of the adults behind me. And the Wuxing Temple, if it weren't for the face of the secret realm, who would play this game of testing and weakening? With just one slap, the whole temple will turn into child fans. In this world, if you don't have magical powers, you will end up being ants. Chu Xiaohuang made up his mind to go into seclusion after returning, or break through the Zifu, and live freely for 500 years. He would not be afraid even if he had a grudge with Mizong, but at worst he would never come back to the West again. Or, the body will die and the Tao will disappear, the body and soul will be destroyed, and the cause and effect will be clear, a valley. Fang Yixin was sitting cross-legged and convinced when he saw his son Fang Wuchen walking over. This boy has grown up, so he will be called together for this fight. The younger Fang Wujiao stayed at home with Lu Mingxue. Fang Wuchen bowed first, and then lowered his voice. My child went to see the missionary place of the Kitchen God sect. They formed a society with mortals, with one guarantee for every 10 households and one armor for every 100 households. Each family supported a monk. Every family contributed, and there were also monks. The responsibility of protecting also promotes good deeds, merits, and often organizes relief, is not like the devil. Fang Yixin was speechless. Put away your kind thoughts, we are tenants of the Xing family. Now that the Xing family says that the Kitchen God sect is a eating vegetable, serving the devil, then it is a devil. Yes. Fang Wuchen sat down dully not long after. Hu Quanan also came with a hint of joy on his face. He said solemnly, this time the Kitchen God sect will fight with all its strength. Oh? Why? Fang Yixin asked. I went to find out, this Kitchen God cult monk also cultivates stomach earth. There was a hint of excitement in Hu Quanan's voice. The leader has already created the Dao Foundation. He must have the street Omic Earth, Dao Foundation technique in his hands. I think that the technique of convincing the disciples is quite similar to my Treasureland return to Daoshengzhu. It cannot be said that they come from the same source. Okay, this time I will do my best. Fang Yixin gritted his teeth and looked at Fang Wuchen again. Although this child is a bit naive, he does have profound blessings. Just when he was thinking about Daoji Kung Fu, this happened. He was really blessed by God. Wuxing Temple. The many magical lights that once shrouded the temple have become much sparser, and most of the butter lamps often worshipped have been extinguished. It seems that the door is quite deserted. The Taoist forces such as the Kitchen God sect and the Tai family have developed so fast. Now, they have occupied 90% of Shitua County and surrounded our Taoist. Miaoshan held a scroll, with worry on his face. After the Xing family was destroyed, our Taoist didn't even have a single foreign aid. She walked through the courtyard where the monks were obviously sparse, and came to the underground palace, where Sanji retreats. Miaofeng Mingzi looked much older again, staring blankly at the black soil accumulated on the ground. Miao Shan's breathing suddenly shortened. Failed, he is going to be defeated, master is going to die. Miaofeng's face seemed to be crying and smiling, huddled in the corner like a dog, whimpering. He is going to die. More than 20 years. Miaoshan dropped the scroll in his hand to the ground, unable to conceal his despair. Miaofeng. Wuxing Temple still needs you to hold on. Haha. I can't wait until the master passes away. Just an abandoned son. What is the bone path? Millions of believers, tens of millions of people, are just dishes on other people's tables. Just waiting for the temple to be destroyed. Miaofeng's eyes were bloodshot, and there were bulges under the monk's robe, as if there were little mice running around. Tai. Concubine Miao Shui Ming came over and saw this scene, and she was immediately horrified. She joined forces with Miaoshan and recited the secret mantra, and finally suppressed Miaofeng's signs of Taoism. At this moment, a deep voice resounded through Wuxing Temple. The order of the purple mansion of Xuantaman is here. Where are the monks of Wuxing Temple? Here we go again. Miaofeng patted the dust on the monk's robe, and the whole person became calm instead. Let's go and take a look. Miaofeng, Miaoshui, Miaoshan, and Qingjing flew into the air and saw a huge airship. This airship was all earthy and tall, with many pavilions and lofts built on the deck, which looked extraordinary. Xuantaman? Your gate is not the immortal gate of Zifu in the neighboring county. Why did you end up here in Shitua? Miaofeng said loudly, our secret area has an appointment with Moyunya. This is natural. A ray of light fell from the earth-yellow flying boat, and a middle-aged man wearing a yellow Taoist robe appeared. He had bronze skin, thin eyebrows, and big eyes. He smiled and said, "Before Master Sanji passed away, my Xuanta sect did not want an inch of Shitua County. I came here this time, but there are good things for all the masters." A token appeared in his hand, and the light on it was scorching, and the rays of light seemed to be of great weight, making Miao Feng and other Mingzi bend down. "This is the power of the blessing of Zifu's magical power. Master Xian Tu has given orders to send Ms. Taoist priest from Wuxing Temple, waiting to be dispatched." The man in earth-yellow Taoist robe said loudly. "Too much bullying. Too much bullying." Miaofeng shouted, "How dare you forcefully summon Fanzi? Even if you forcefully summon him, so what?" The middle-aged Taoist man in Taoist robe said with a smile, "He is a close confidant of the real person, and he knows that the Sangji retreat of the White Bone Dao will not achieve a breakthrough. After losing the bet this time, it is difficult for the secret monk to cross eastward. Is he still afraid of the other party? Before, Wuxing Temple forcefully entered Shitua and occupied a county. Naturally, it offended all the surrounding Zifu forces. I am just afraid of hiding my evil power and dare not act presumptuously. Now the big shot above has revealed that the two parties have agreed that Baigudo is already a dead tiger, so it is natural that he will be beaten to death. I wonder, how many people are needed?" Miaofeng was about to spurt out a mouthful of golden blood, but he held it back and asked with a smile on his face. "I heard that there are 5 Mingzi in your temple, so naturally I want 5 female Taoist priests," the middle-aged Taoist robe said with a smile. "A Mingzi from our temple has long since fled, and at least one must be left to guard the retreat place for the master." Miaofeng's expression turned cold. "There are at most 3, otherwise the young monk will crash to death in the underground palace mandala, causing such a big cause and effect, and the unidentified anger of all living beings. I wonder if you can bear it." The middle-aged Taoist robe's expression changed, and then said, "3 is the 3, it can't be less, I don't know." "Which masters?" "Miaoshan, you have the talent to stay in the temple and protect the master." Miaofeng said to Miaoshan, "Even if all of us die, even if we don't live outside the temple. They are all evil heretics. We must be as patient as the earth, and we must not slander the Taoist tradition." At the end of his words, his voice was fierce, and he brought the 2 concubines Miao Shui and Qing Jing to the deck of the flying boat. The deck is already densely packed with many people standing there. There were also 2 convinced 9th-level monks among them. They seemed to be particularly afraid of them and huddled in the corner. There seems to be some kindness. Miaofeng's heart moved, but all thoughts were lost. He sat in a corner and began to chant sutra silently. "Qingli Mountain. This refining yuan cauldron is so magical, it can actually turn harm into benefit. If I swallow the cultivation elixir, I'm afraid the effect will be much higher than that of other monks." Fang Wuchen's face was full of joy as he felt the magic power of stomach earth in his body gathered together and turned into a mysterious Taoist foundation. Once the Dao foundation is cast, it will be really different. He came to the dragon lock stone in the retreat room, but did not open the cave. The earthy yellow light on his body flashed and he was already outside the cave. Wu Quanchen, Fang Yisen saw Fang Wuchen and felt the unfathomable aura on his body, and his eyes turned red. "You cast the Taoji?" "Yes, from now on my family is also a Taoji family." Fang Wuchen laughed and saw his master and his wife again. Lu Mingshua's belly was obviously pregnant, and she even looked like she was 7 or 8 months pregnant. "I took the elixir to create the Dao foundation, and it felt like it was just a moment. I didn't expect that so much time had passed in the outside world." Fang Wuchen sighed in his heart, and saw his younger brother again. The other party was looking at him with a worried and fearful expression. "Wujiu, are you worried about me?" Fang Wuchen's heart moved, and he looked at his master again. "Master, I have become it, haha, good." Hu Quanan stepped forward, patted Fang Wuchen's shoulder with his big hand like a leaf fan, as if to comfort him. "See, today until you achieve Taoji, I will die with no regrets. I have recently felt something, and I am planning to travel to southern Xinjiang. Let's say goodbye today." "Uncle Hu, what are you doing?" Fang Yisen was shocked. Hu Quanan had never told him about his plan to travel far. "Southern Xinjiang?" Fang Wuchen blurted out, "There are many dangers there, it would be better if the disciple accompanied the master. The disciple has already built the Tao foundation. Whether he encounters a demon cultivator or explores a secret realm, he has some confidence." "Haha, okay." Hu Quanan agreed. "We, master and disciple, might get a big chance together." Fang Yisen felt something was wrong. After all, Fang Wuchen is now the pillar of the family, and the foundation has just been cast. The family is newly established, surrounded by tigers and wolves. My wife is still pregnant, why would she go to southern Xinjiang to take advantage of his opportunity? Wuchen, Lu Mingxue held her waist, her eyes full of sadness. Brother, Fang Wujiu's lips moved, as if he had finally overcome the fear in his heart, and he said to beg him to stay. Fang Wuchen's face was a little distorted, as if he was crying but not crying, and seemed to be smiling but not smiling. Boom. At this moment, thousands of rays of light shone, and a large earth-yellow ship broke through the clouds and landed on Qingli Mountain. A Taoist priest flew down from the giant ship. He was the leader of the kitchen god who was as smiling as Maitreya Buddha. Where are our brothers Huquanan and Fang Wuchen? They are going to do great things with our leader. The kitchen god leader's face was full of ecstasy and he smiled. There is a treasure in the south, and those who enter will enjoy great wealth and great opportunities. Dad, Mingxue, brother, Fang Wuchen had no choice at this time. He could only glance at his family with nostalgia, wrapped Huquanan in Daoji mysticism, and flew towards the earthy yellow ship. Halfway through the flight, a storage bag fell down. Take care. Fang Wuchen's voice came, and the earthy yellow ship was already far away. Fang Yisan looked at the storage bag on the ground, dumbfounded in place. You obviously know. Lu Mingxue looked at Fang Wujiu, her face ashen, but you didn't say anything. Fang Wujiu's eyes turned red and he cried, Brother, southern Xinjiang, there are hundreds of thousands of mountains here, which are rich in elixirs, as well as demon generals and demon kings. Settle in and live together with the Shi people. If you look down from a very high place, you can see one after another, full of Tuda monks, gathering towards the southern border. Taihuang Tian, Zhenfu can only camp. In the land of blessings, only when the true king holds the golden throne can he create the cave. The darkness shrouded the void, and suddenly a person appeared. It was the Master Sikhen of Moyunya, followed by several monks from the Purple Mansion. He was quiet. After waiting for a moment, the black soil gathered, and a golden-armored corpse emerged as tall as a mountain. Standing on its head was a stooped old man, holding a white bone staff in his hand. Fellow Taoist Guichen, long time no see. The old man, who was full of corpse aura, was the first to say hello. His whole body was shrouded in grey aura, and there seemed to be countless faces in it. Even the monks from the Zifu felt dizzy and tingling when they looked at those twisted faces. Obviously, this is a great master with extremely high Taoism, but he is in poor condition and is close to Taoism. This person is called Kai Yuanzi, and he is a great master of the Yin Corp sect, a major sect of southern demons. It turns out it's Kai Yuanzi. Suwu Jingjin didn't see you, so I thought you were dead. Sichen said calmly. Hey, I heard the news about Taihuang Tian. Even though I have been buried, I still have to crawl out. After all, this is what was left by the Dong Yuan Si Ming Linging Shinjun. The Yin Corp sect, also made great efforts to open the cave this time, so I deserve a share of the pie. Kai Yuanzi said, Stomach earth, the right position of holding the earth is extraordinary, the right position is the king. If there is a powerful person in this way, your, D soil, and my, female soil, will be controlled by them, just like the broken, willow soil. Huh? Why are there still monsters? Whoosh, the wind howled, and a large amount of cyan air flow turned into feathers that were hard to distinguish, falling like snowflakes. Among the flying feathers in the sky, a huge figure appeared, and a hoarse and unpleasant voice came from it. The opening of the cave is a grand event. I have been indispensable since then. That's all. Where is Sanji? Kai Yuanzi snorted. He is the authentic successor of Zao Lord Taoism. If it weren't for the fact that it would be difficult to open the cave without him, I would have killed him with one blow. How could he be alive now? Southern Xinjiang. A land of green mountains and green waters, with hazy smoke and a faint mirage. We're here, let's go. Remember, kill everyone to survive. A large earth-yellow ship arrived, and with a faint voice, a large number of Turkish monks threw themselves into the mirage like dumplings, disappearing in an instant. Where is this? Fang Wuchen stabilized his figure and found that his home was already in an underground palace. There are gray and white stone roads on both sides, winding and twisting, leading to nowhere. Who? Suddenly, there was a sound, and a yellow light flashed under his feet, as if he had shrunk to an inch, and he saw a convinced monk. Ah, my lord, please spare my life. I am a casual cultivator from ancient Shu. A big man in a Ji robe quickly knelt down and begged for mercy. Kill everyone to survive? Fang Wuchen murmured, sorry, I didn't want to either. Poof. Just as he was muttering, the big man exploded, and an earthy yellow dagger in his hand stabbed Fang Wuchen hard. Dang. The dagger is like a defeated enemy, unable to penetrate at all. After Daoji, there are two completely different realms from being convinced. Fang Wuchen looked at the stupid big man, too lazy to pay attention, and waved his hand. Bang. This man immediately transformed into lust and sand and exploded. Oops, the monks here are killing each other. It's okay if the master meets a convinced monk. If he meets a Taoist master, it's just a matter of one sleeve like me. Fang Wuchen's face became anxious and he walked towards the depths of the maze. Haha. You are just convinced, but you dare to mess with the Buddha? Miaofeng Mingzi laughed loudly and smashed the head of the convinced monk in front of him. Red and white things splashed around and fell on his face, but it gave him a rare sense of relief. My esoteric cultist is good at telling fortunes. The Buddha can sense that after killing this person, there is a gathering of two fortunes. This must be a way to raise poison. Want to train the Gu King? Hee. I've long been tired of seeing what these demon cultivators do. Now I don't know where to open the secret realm of the blessed land. Miaofeng's body flashed and continued to look for the next target. Before, the Buddha was just like a tiger lying on the hill, lurking and enduring. Now that I have entered this treasure land, I may be able to find another target. Looking for a way out. There were evil and mysterious calculations in his eyes, and his body was shining with golden light, like a golden arhat. But at this moment, the void suddenly broke open, and a palm stretched out from it. The skin of this palm was as delicate and slender as jade, and it was just pressed lightly. Even though this Miaofeng Mingzi is the foundation of Taoism, and has the secret method, and the golden body of Arhat, it will be wiped out in an instant. Not only the wonderful wind, but also the wonderful water, Qing Jing, all suddenly encountered disaster, and their bodies and souls disappeared. Above the sky. Humph. Who is ignorant? Is it the most troublesome to let Brahma monks come over and not know their destiny and cause and effect? Kai Yuanzi seemed to remember everything in the underground palace clearly, and snorted coldly. Formulate great cause and effect with the secret realm. This is not a good thing. It's just that the younger generation of Xuantu sect are arrogant and ignorant, and they are just taking revenge for personal gain. The white bone path is about to be destroyed, but it's not a big deal. Sichen waved his hand, but felt a little confused in his heart. I've seen that Sangji too. Z Mansion has Wang. How could he lose his temper so easily? Atop the huge earth-yellow ship, a real man who looked like a young man stood with his hands behind his back. The middle-aged Daoji and the others, who were expelling slaves, were kneeling tremblingly, sweating profusely. Master, have mercy on me. The middle-aged Daoji just saw his master Xuantu take action and press concubine Mingzi Ming to death one by one, and couldn't help feeling cold. Khan, knowing that he had done something wrong, kowtowed repeatedly to apologize. Shitua was originally under my Xuantu sect, and the white-boned Taoist came from the east to take it away. You are not angry. Since you have brought it all, at least it is a few Taoist virtues to nourish this situation. The young master touched the middle-aged man's head. This scene looked particularly strange. It's just about accumulating fate in this round, and the esoteric cultists are best at playing with fate. The imperial concubine Mingzi has a high realm. If she enters Tai Huang Tian and secretly accumulates fate, there is really a chance of escape. Do you know your sin? Sir, please forgive me. The middle-aged man still wanted to beg for mercy, but his expression suddenly stagnated, and then turned into fly ash, dissipating instantly. Taibai Island. Fang Qing looked at everything in the underground palace coldly through the perspective of Faquan and Fajian. Sure enough, is it raising goo? Just like Tian Jinshan, he cultivated the most powerful Taoist foundation, and then opened the cave heaven-blessed land. It's a pity that even if these destiny people take the skills and treasures, they will still be looted when they come out. He still doesn't know that Miaofeng and Mingzi have been pressed to death by Zifu, but it is obvious that the end of these people will definitely not be good. There is no chance. If you want to change, I'm afraid you have to wait until the real treasure appears. As time passed by, in the underground labyrinth, the two monks were fighting each other like poisonous insects, and blood flowed into rivers. Above the sky, Sichen, Kai Yuanzi, Master Xian Tu, and the Demon King of the Wind Department all watched all this indifferently, even with a hint of expectation. This world, Shul. Do not be like this, a soft voice sounded. A figure flashed in the void, and a sloppy Taoist emerged. It is Sanji Jinren. His robes were worn and smoky, his face was pitch black, but his eyes were quite bright. Sanji, this world has been like this since ancient times. There was a trace of pity in Si Chen's eyes. If you want a strong, stomach soil, destiny, this is the only way to trigger it. Haha, I can't even train as an ant. If I go there in person and connect with the life of Zifu, wouldn't it be better than thousands of them? Master Sanji laughed and said. Supernatural powers are valuable, naturally, but think clearly. You have already served the table, why bother to go on by yourself? Master Sichen sighed. These people came because of me and died for me. It was originally the sin of the old Taoist. The old Taoist was just a little hypocritical. Sanji Jinren's body folded and disappeared into the mirage. A little earthy yellow light flickered, the thick fog rolled, and thousands of rays of light shone. He really doesn't want to live anymore. Si Chen, Bei Yuanzi and other real demon kings were all silent. After a long time, the demon king from the Dafeng department was the first to speak, with a hoarse laugh. This person is quite interesting. We originally wanted to invite him to the table for dinner, but he brought his own family to the table and made blood food. Sanji was originally the Taoist leader of Zao Lord, Tudzifu, but now he is offering his life as a sacrifice to connect with the cave sky. Is there any reason why Tai Huang Tian should not respond? But in this case, this person is really not far from death, Master Sichin said with emotion. The next moment, the sky and the earth interchange. Tai Bai Island. Inside the cave, Fang Qing's face was expressionless as he watched the magic sword in hand, swinging a clear arc of the sword, killing the lives of the convinced monks one after another. Lu Tu? Female soil? And D2? Is this clearly a stomach earth situation? Is it because stomach earth holds the integrity of earth's virtue, so monks from the other 3 earths can also use it? It's just. I'm afraid I won't be able to save Feng Wuchen. He sighed quietly. If this game has to be fought until there is only one destined person left, then there is no way he can save people under the eyes of a bunch of Zifu. Even if his 2 chess pieces encounter Daoji monks, fighting to the death, the winning rate is also not high. At this moment, Fang Qing was surprised. From his perspective, Fa Quan and Fa Jian had arrived in another world at some point. The sunset was shining brightly. The earth is yellow, and the place where Feiquan is located is a desert. The magic sword stands in front of a mountain, with many buildings faintly visible on the mountain. This is not a blessed land. Fang Qing, who has experienced the Yanba blessed land, looked at the earthy yellow sun and understood immediately. Sangji said that there is no sun and moon in the blessed land, only the vast cave sky has the sun, moon and stars. I don't know whether it is the real sun and moon, or a projection of magic. The true king is so powerful, it's obvious. They are indeed immortals, but I thought they would fight each other until only the last one was left. Why did both of them come in? The fact that they haven't met Brother Daoji yet shows that there are many people coming in, but it must be an opportunity. Fang Qing's eyes brightened. The cave heaven is rich in spiritual things, even more than the blessed land. Furthermore, the true monarch's moral integrity is what he longs for. No matter what, it is impossible for Daoji to snatch things from Zifu. I guess the fate of these 2 people will be bad in the end, just like last time. Just read more Daozong. With the last lesson, Fang Qing doesn't even think about looking for any Zifu spiritual objects or magic weapons this time. It will be enough to gain some knowledge of classics. If you meet Feng Wuchen, helping him by the way will be enough. Nowadays, there is no need to hide it. As soon as he thought, the whole body of the magic sword suddenly burst into flames, and rays of light seemed to emerge from behind his head, turning into the shape of a sun wheel. His aura also broke through from the moment of obedience and perfection, exuding the power of Daoji. It is precisely to obtain the position of a Kiko. Whoosh! The magic sword looked fierce, and with a flash of fire, it flew towards the building on the top of the mountain. Such a swagger immediately attracted the attention of other monks. A young and handsome man, whose whole body was covered with the glory of vegetation, came. He looked at the magic sword with a hint of surprise in his eyes. Great Sun Taoism? I am Lu Zhenyan of the Lu family. The Buddha is a magic sword under the seat of the secret master. Feijian replied calmly that the orthodox monk of the Great Sun was not a good identity, but the secret and Hehuan origins were no problem. It turned out to be Mingzi in person. Lu Zhenyan sighed. The cave sky isolates the void, but Mingzi still has the power of Taoism. I think in addition to the blessing of his master, he also cultivated the mysteries of Taoism by himself. I admire him. He was a little confused. I was harmed by my family, and when I entered this place, I saw all the tude. Why is there suddenly a tantric monk? Is the cave blessed by isolation? Fang Qing's heart trembled, and then he realized that this was the difference between his own Akiko and the secret Akiko. Daoshengzhu reaches everywhere, even the small world and the sea are unobstructed, so why worry about being blocked by a mere hole in the sky? It's just that if you encounter similar situations in the future, you have to pay more attention. We are both fallen people from the end of the world, how about we explore this place together? Fang Qing took over the body management authority of the sword and made a suggestion. That's what I meant. Lu Zhenyan nodded repeatedly, and the 2 landed on the top of the mountain together. They suddenly felt a pulling force falling on them and landed in front of a building gate. Within this building, there is the remaining power of the law. It is forbidden to escape. Lu Zhenyan's eyes flashed and he said. Donor Lu is still proficient in formations? Fang Qing was slightly surprised. I understand a little bit, Lu Zhenyan sighed inwardly. It was not easy to get started with the formation. Even though the Lu family was from a Daoji family and he was talented, he had lost countless spiritual talents over the years. I just wait for him to achieve Daoji and become a master of the formation, so that he can help the family. None of these investments are false. However, the Lord gave the order. Lu Zhenyan shook his head secretly, steeled himself, and looked at the formation. The power of this forbidden law has been relaxed by most. As long as you don't force the flight, it will be fine. With that, he pushed the door open and walked in. Fang Qingdang, however, he walked into it without restraint. Most of the buildings were collapsed and destroyed, leaving only a few pieces. Fang Qing picked up a piece of earthy debris and said, "It seems to be a fragment of a Taoist spiritual weapon. Could it be that the owner of this place is a Taoist monk? I'm afraid there are more than one who can occupy a peak in the cave to practice." Lu Zhenyan looked forward to it, but unfortunately he looked through it and found no Taoist spiritual objects, only a few decorations of spiritual objects. He collected them casually and followed Fang Qing to the last place. The room was empty. There is only one shrine in the vast place, and there is a portrait hanging on it. The man in the portrait is wearing golden armor and holding a long mace. There is an indescribable aura of majesty in his face, but his face is blank. Who is this? Lu Zhenyan forcibly suppressed his uneasiness and said, "Maybe Dong Yuan Siming Ling Ying Shinjun. The one also known as the Zao Lord." Fang Qing had a smile on his face. He had already met Sanji and personally visited Yanba Blessed Land. He still had some guesses about the inside story of this game. Jing is the true king? The one on Stomach Earth? I just heard that I have lost my position a long time ago. Lu Zhenyan looked extremely complicated. What? Is the donor destined to this true king? Fang Qing asked with a smile, and a tantric cultist asked about fate, but it is a very dangerous thing. Lu Zhenyan hesitated for a while, then smiled bitterly and said, "This is my family's secret, but the family is unkind, so I don't have to abide by it. Master, do you know that I practice, Lushur, this soil is good at growing hair, benefiting grass and trees, also known as Tiana soil. I once held the righteousness of the soil. In the right position?" Fang Qing was surprised. Isn't the current position Stomach Earth, right now? Could it be that the correct position of these 5 virtues can still be changed? I don't know either. Lu Zhenyan stared at the portrait of the Stove King and murmured, "In ancient times, I, Lu too, had a true king who appeared in the world, which was quite magical and meant to carry great virtues. But later it was Wei Tu who took charge of the position and put good virtues into things. Was changed to Ho Dazai Min, taking the meaning of the conflict between heaven and man. From then on, the Ho Dazai Taoist foundation passed down from my Lu family's ancestors could not be repaired. As a result, the family fortune was ruined. I could only find a worse Tao foundation and make a living by raising grass and trees for others. I wonder what he explanation is for this conflict between heaven and man?" Fang Qing clasped his hands together and his eyes were bright. "I don't know, it's just recorded in the Taoist books. But the ancient Zao Lord should have some sympathy for the lower cultivators. Nowadays, the 4 elements of soil virtue, D2, and Nu 2, fell into the devil's way. Lu 2 is not prosperous." Lu Zhenyan smiled bitterly. "So, maybe those who cultivate Stomach Earth are a fresh stream of demonic cultivation? Are there any good people?" Fang Qing laughed dumbly. "Don't you know that in modern times, monks were not divided into righteousness and demons by Taoism, but only by personal actions?" After he finished laughing, he strode forward, took down the statue of Kitchen Lord, injected mana into it, and directly refined it. "You don't want to die?" Lu Zhenyan was so frightened that he lay on the ground. "This is the statue of the true king. If there is still a trace of residual power, you and I will both become child fans. It is indeed as heavy as a mountain." Fang Qing waited up. If he didn't have the 2nd-level body training, he really wouldn't be able to handle this scroll. However, he has no taboos now, and he will do it if he thinks of it. After the magic power was injected into it, I discovered that the portrait was ordinary, just a little mysterious, as heavy as a mountain, and invulnerable to water and fire. However, there was also a technique in the scroll. The treasure land returns to the Yuan Sutra, through Zifu Kung Fu? Fang Qing's heart moved, and after browsing for a while, he found that it was indeed the Stomach Earth, Zifu cultivation technique, which is the basis of cultivating the Dao, Lian Yuan Ding. And this Zifu Gongfa has another layer of wonder. Even if it was taken at the beginning, the quality of Xinshi is low, but it can be acquired by taking spiritual objects of the Stomach Earth series to continuously refine the original truth in the bod. Why, and achieve the effect of slowly improving the level of the truth. Of course, it is only effective for the Stomach Earth series of truths. Moreover, looking at the cost, it is only lower than looking for the natural water. He glanced at the trembling Lu Zhenyan again, and said with a smile, "Since the donor doesn't want it, the monk will keep it first." But there was a movement in his heart. "No. As expected of a cave, there really is Zifu Kung Fu. It's just that compared to the locals, I lack a little respect for the cultivator and the true king, and I don't know if it's good or bad. Taibai Island, since the status of earth virtue can change, why can't water virtue? What about the sun and the moon?" Fang Qing whispered softly, feeling more and more the chaos and terror of the ancient Shu orthodoxy. If you make a wrong step on the path, you will be doomed. Even if you choose an orthodoxy with infinite brightness, if something happens to the big shot in charge of the gold above, you will still be reduced to the treatment of a street person, such as Lu Tu. "Oh? So I can change it at will?" That's okay, he let out a sigh of relief. It's amazing that Fang is so lucky that he can pick up a copy of Zifu Kung Fu. Are there any pitfalls? Whether there is a pitfall or not, at least the chance is certain. Fang Qing's eyes turned and fell on Lu Zhenyan. The one who can forge the foundation of Tu De Dao and then be sent here is obviously the real son of luck, the destined person of Tai Huang Tian. So it's not that the magic sword and I are lucky, but that we have missed someone else's fate? From this point of view, it would be best for Feijian to follow Lu Zhenyan next, and Feiqun should also take a closer look at the son of luck. It just so happens that Fang Wuchen can also be regarded as a destined person. Fang Wuchen was walking in a woodland in a daze. How come it was originally an underground palace, but now it has changed to heaven and earth? Ma. Stir. Where is it again? He was flying aimlessly, and suddenly his eyes froze. On the horizon, there is a strange bulging peak, which keeps getting bigger and bigger, almost like a pillar of heaven. It emits an earthy yellow light, and you can tell that it is extraordinary at a glance. This sacred mountain is so extraordinary, like a road sign. Any monks who see it will come close to it, so why not go and ask? Fang Wuchen set his goal and flew away with all his strength. When he arrived at the foot of the mountain, he sensed a force of forbidden air. He followed the good example, fell to the ground, and began to climb the mountain. At the foot of the mountain, there is a mountain gate with the word Tianzhu written on it. Sure enough, not long after climbing, Fang Wuchen saw a monk with perfect submission. His clothes were covered with blood stains. This fellow Taoist. As soon as he spoke, the convinced monk showed a look of horror and raised his hand to hit a magic weapon. The magic weapon was a stone, which emitted a dizzying light, causing Fang Wuchen to lose consciousness for a moment and then was hit in the head. His head exploded, but his body did not move. He grabbed a handful of soil, glued his head together, and imprisoned the sneak attack weapon. How can an ordinary magic weapon hurt me? This is a Dao-based spiritual weapon. Fortunately, after cultivating the refining Yuan cauldron, my vitality has been transferred to my stomach, otherwise it would be really troublesome. Fang Wuchen supported his head and opened his eyes, looking at the Dao-based spiritual weapon in front of him. He couldn't help but be stunned. Hit the divine stone? A sense of sadness suddenly emerged in my heart. No, the god-smashing stone is just a spiritual weapon of submission. This is a Taoist spiritual weapon, and it is a circle bigger. Fang Wuchen seemed to be in disbelief, but soon discovered that this the god-striking stone seems to be made of. 2 god-striking stones. The texture of one of them are very familiar to me. Master, his eyes were bloodshot and he looked in the direction of the convinced monk. Ah. Suddenly, there was a scream from over there, the dark wind surged, the black soil rolled, and a green-faced and fanged iron-armored corpse emerged. The nails in the hands were dark and sharp, and it was holding a head and chewing on it. Judging from the appearance, it was the convinced corpse just now. Monk. A handsome young man in white walked out from behind the armored corpse. Fellow Taoist, if you dare to offend fellow Taoist, I will take action first and deal with him. You are the Taoist priest of the Yin Corp sect. What's the point? Fang Wuchen's voice became extremely cold. Haha, I just want to go with my fellow Taoist and ask for help. The graceful young master said, I am Yin Xuanzi, who cultivates, envy earth. He is no better than my Taoist friends who cultivate, stomach earth. It is more convenient in this Zao Lord Cave Heaven. Zao Lord. Cave Heaven, a gleam of light flashed in Fang Wuchen's eyes, and his expression calmed down. Finally, we are here. Is this the core of Cave Heaven? Taibai Island Cave. Fang Qing looked at the magic sword and followed Lu Zhenyan to the Tianzhu mountain area, and his heart couldn't help but move. With the pull of destiny, this place should contain many treasures, and with the magic sword as a landmark reference, Feiqun can also arrive quickly in this cave. There are many spiritual ideas, and there are rotations of the sun and the moon. There are many kinds of animals and plants, but there are no people. Thinking of what he saw along the way, Fang Qing couldn't help but remain silent. Stomach earth, the ruler of the land holds the right position to be virtuous and embody the people, but there is no people. I'm afraid that, Kitchen King, has fallen for many years. It's no wonder that a group of Zifu monks dared to come up with the idea of Dong Tian. After all, it is a true king's legacy. I don't know how to enrich it. It's just, whose hand did that wisp of stomach earth divinity end up in the misty land last time? Tianzhu Peak, is there anyone asking for gold? The tone is very loud. Why does it sound like Sanji? Fang Qing shrank his neck, thinking that his own deity was still in Xiao Huanhai. He immediately let the magic sword Feiqun raised his head and saw Fang Wuchen kneeling next to him, and his heart moved. I originally thought that this great-grandson was dead, but I didn't expect. There seems to be a big opportunity. He moved his eyes upward and looked at Tianzhu. I saw the wind and clouds surging, carrying a deep and terrifying aura. The entire cave sky shook almost at the same time. Achieve magical powers in an instant? Impossible. When Kai Yuanzi saw this scene, his face was full of disbelief. Zifu's magical power is difficult to refine, and it takes decades. Even if he refines his divinity, it cannot be achieved instantly. Master Sanji didn't bother to pay attention at all, and raised his hand. The whole Zhonghuang palace trembled, and suddenly roared, falling on the back of his head, and also turned into a magical light. Weisher, the magical power hits the yellow palace one by one. Then, in the entire cave sky, from the earth, from the grass and trees, from the inside of the void, there are wisps of mysterious earth-yellow aura emerging, gathering like auspicious clouds, emerging around Master Sanji, evolving into thousands of atmospheres. The whole world seems to be breathing, supernatural power Huan Tingxi. At this time, Master Sanji is already at the pinnacle of the Zifu who has perfected the 4 magical powers. It is the method of seeking gold in a blessed land. The real person used his own magical power to achieve the blessed land, and the blessed land was perfect, so he raised the blessed land and asked for gold. The blessed land was created by supernatural power, and the cave sky was naturally catalyzed by more advanced magical powers. This should be called the method of seeking gold in the cave sky. When Sanji sacrificed his own destiny at the beginning, it was not to connect with Tai Huang Tian, but to refining this cave. Sichen's face was filled with admiration, and he suddenly knelt down. Kai Yuanzi's face was ferocious, with countless insects crawling on his face, and one after another fell off, struggling and twisting to death. The blessed land is not a blessed land created by one's own creation, and the chi is not in harmony. How can one ask for money? Not to mention, what kind of behavior does he have? Can you refine the true Lord Cave Heaven? Unless, he is not Sanji. Haha, Sanji, you really can endure it. The benefits of refining divinity are so great that you can break the shackles, and you will be able to reach the peak of Zifu in the future. You don't want 500 yuan of life and the price of magical powers, don't. Kai Yuanzi smiled and knelt down as well. It's just that the Taoist phenomenon on his body is getting more and more serious, but he doesn't have it at all. If you can't capture it, I'm afraid that you will die and die here soon. Looking next to you, Yingzhu and other demon kings are already kneeling on the ground. Because it is no longer the real person of Sanji, but the true king of Wei Tu. The true king has great power. Even if his body and soul are destroyed, and his true spirit is gone, there is still a chance of resurrection. The most common thing is a ray of divinity seizing the body. Of course, Z Mansion is noble after all, and has magical powers to protect itself. If discovered in advance, disasters can even be avoided. Instead, this ray of divinity can be refined to obtain infinite benefits. But Sanji had long had the intention of sacrificing his life for righteousness, and he actually allowed divinity to take over his life and exchanged his own home for the return of a fallen true king. This blessed land is asking for the golden method. No, the cave heaven is asking for the golden method, using the cave heaven status to be less the 4 magical powers. I am afraid that only the reincarnation of the true king can do it. Master Sikhen couldn't take his eyes away, but his heart was bitter, knowing that he could not take this road. The Yingzhu demon king's eyes widened. The 4 magical powers are perfect, but they are all ancient magical powers. Now the magical powers have changed. How can the true king achieve it? Master Sichen was moved in his heart. That's right. There are also changes in magical powers from ancient times to modern times. How will you pass this level? Just listen to Sanji sigh and call, stomach earth. Outside the cave sky, I don't know when it has reached night. The sun sets and the moon rises, and the stars shine. At this time, the moon disappears without knowing when, and a cloud of mist disperses, revealing huge stars. The light is dim and uncertain, as if one eye is staring at the twilight sky. At the same time, above the western sky, an earthy yellow star suddenly shines brightly. At this moment, no matter where they are, the monks who practice Tude feel that their skills are running smoothly, and the refining of the Tude elixir is like a divine aid. In the Taihuang sky, Sichen feels the aura of being kind and caring for the people, and seems to see the aura of incense and fireworks in the world. Its stomach earth. The golden position lowered its eyes. He burst into tears. The true king has returned to the fruition position. What kind of magical power does it need to be combined with it? With a slight call, the golden position was paying attention. This is the thing of the pool. Both are at the pinnacle of the Z Mansion, and what Demon King Suwu has been asking for so hard to do can be done with just a gentle call from others. The 4 magical powers behind Sanji have the same color, and Garan turns into a golden rainbow, and once it merges with the body, he ascends to the position of stomach earth. The world outside was shake. And thousands of lights fell down. Countless stars were shining, either celebrating, showing hatred, or just glancing at them. Just these changes and influences were enough to change the world here. In the western sky, the earthy yellow star suddenly brightened, and it instantly covered up the light of thousands of stars. And as the star brightened, a voice, with the help of the power of the stars, suddenly spread throughout the world. My seat. Sanji, today I have confirmed the guest status of Wei Tu, and I have been promoted to the true king. Wei Tu holds the authority to take food, and is forbidden to eat human elixirs and blood. All my Tuda monks should practice uprightly, protect all people, and then ascend to immortality. The Taihuang sky has been closed for 100 years, and after 100 years, the mountain gate should be open to welcome guests. At this moment, no matter the high-ranking Zifu monks, the low-level cultivators, or even ordinary people, these words full of human fireworks came to the ears. The whole world seemed to have changed greatly, and it seemed that nothing had changed. In the 8,594th year of the ancient calendar, Wei Tu became a gold medal and benefited the world. Wuxing Temple in Shitua County. Master. Underground Palace. Miaoshan was alone, crying against the wall. Over the past few days, Sanji's mood has become weaker and weaker, but for some reason, he has been persisting. Suddenly, a voice came to her ear. I, Sanji, have now realized, stomach earth. In an instant, the spiritual atmosphere changed, which greatly benefited Tuda. Miaoshan immediately felt that all the weight in his body was gone, and his face was shocked. Tuda has the power to prove gold? If stomach earth holds the position of earth, I, the female earth, will gain a lot of benefits. Master? Rumble. The eaves of the Wuxing Temple were filled with gorgeous treasures. Flowers were falling from the sky, and golden lotuses were pouring from the ground. Outside the temple, mountains of earth suddenly grew, rising higher and higher. Miaoshan smelled a strange fragrance, as if it was grown from thousands of kinds of sandalwood. Then, another piece of pure land emerged, with countless treasures, golden sand paving the ground, and sapphire as mud. The tiger demon Fang Qing roared, and suddenly opened the underground palace mandala. A skinny young monk with a greatly changed appearance walked out of it. Disciple Miaoshan, pay homage to the Dharma King. Congratulations to the master, the enlightened Dharma King. Miaoshan fell to his knees on the ground, with tears flying. 8,000 years, Xiao Huanhai, Taibai Island, I and the cave. Fang Qing killed Feiquan and Feijian, took back the positions of the two Mingzi, and sighed. Finally, someone succeeded in proving the gold, and the age of great struggle has come. Feng Wuchen got a great opportunity to worship Zao Lord and practice in the cave. Although the cave has to be sealed for 100 years, it is a great joy. But Feng Wuchen has a clean family and a destiny, but the two esoteric believers are in darkness. You still have to practice under the eyes of the true king, because this time Fang Qing directly made them retreat and wiped out the two lives. Who else could be a good person after joining Wuxing Temple? On the other hand, in this, Wei Tu, situation, I got a copy of the Zifu technique, half of the Tai Su Golden Book, and watched the true king's enthronement up close, which was of great benefit. Fang Qing sat cross-legged, silently sorting out this harvest. Not to mention the treasure land returned to Yuanjing. The half of Tai Su Gold Book he obtained later was an eye-opener for him. Tai Su Hao Hao, his destiny is Tao. This book does not record any skills or magical secrets, but it tells the secret of Xingjin. It should be written by a very high-level master. It is a pity there is only half a copy recalling the content of this golden book, which corresponds to this time Xingjin, made Fang Qing have a lot of insights. The more important thing is to know how to proceed next. The monks who obey the Tao of Qi accept the truth and learn the Tao, and then cast the Tao Foundation, and turn the Tao Foundation into magical powers, which is the Zifu. The Zifu's 4 magical powers are perfect, then you can prove the gold position. This also requires gold-seeking methods, such as the Dragon Tiger Golden Elixir method, the Blessed Land gold-seeking method, etc. If you serve gold and ascend the throne, your lifespan will last 10,000 years, and you will have the power to change the world. Therefore, the true king was also called the Immortal in ancient times. Taisu Golden Book says that there are 5 levels of immortals: heaven, earth, humans, gods, and ghosts. Therefore, there are also 5 types of gold levels. They are master, submissive, obedient, guest, and missing. The first level is the celestial immortal, which is the master position. It is also called the upright position and the fearsome position. The celestial immortal has a wonderful appearance and spirit, and is the most mysterious and perfect fearsome position. The second class is the earth immortal, and it is the subordination position. Living forever is not bad. The third level is a human immortal, and the certificate is in order. The fourth level is a god, and the immortals mostly rely on external forces, and they are promoted or promoted by others. In the guest position, the fifth level is the ghost immortal. The immortal quality is the worst, and the absence of the certificate means the position is missing and humble. Taiyin is called Jijia, and the sun is called Xianwei. There are 5 kinds of gold levels. I don't know how many true kings it can hold. The water in the ancient Shu world is far deeper than I thought, and there are probably far more than the 28 great masters, but I didn't expect that the master of Sanji would be in the guest position. How much does the proof of gold depend on external power? God's nature? If it is in the main position of stomach earth, it is really incredible. It is the master of the right position. It is not an exaggeration to be the master of all Tuda. But now the power is not small, Fang Qing thought slowly. There are 5 levels of immortals? The ancient method cultivates the Tao by itself and breeds magical powers, so it is easier to get started with the new method. The test is about the compatibility and sensitivity of supernatural powers. If you want to become a heavenly immortal, you need to take 100 points, an earthly immortal will need 80 points, a human immortal 60 points, a god 30 points, and a ghost immortal 10 points. Although the scores may be different, this is generally what it means. It's a pity that many of the perfect monks in the Zifu may not even get 10 points, and the great demon Suwu of the Blue Bird department seems to be a pity. He usually reads the wrong textbooks. The college entrance examination is not based on the textbooks he studied? Or maybe the application is too high. If you become a ghost and immortal, maybe you can become a ghost? A strange smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. It is more likely that Suwu doesn't know that there are so many differences at all, and even the gold-seeking method is limited, and it can only seek the master or the subordinate. It does not have the gold-seeking method of ghosts and immortals at all. Usually learning the wrong teaching materials and locking yourself in a prestigious school is forcing the other person to die, but dying for the certificate is also a kind of temptation. Perhaps in the eyes of a powerful person, you can see whether there is anyone in the gold position and what his status is, behind the Bluebird Depa. Rtmant is Luofeng Mountain, that is, the master of Wing Fire, so, Phoenix does not want anyone to witness the position of Baiyu. Why? Aren't they all demons? Or is it an internal struggle for power? Fang Qing thought for a while, then shook his head, knowing that his blind guess might be a joke to Xinjuan. Huh? Suddenly, Fang Qing's heart moved, and his face was full of ecstasy. Shangji has made it? Haha. He can actually do it. Just now he got feedback from the Daoshengzhu, knowing that Shangji has proved his magical power. Of course, this made Fang Qing very happy, knowing that not only did he not have to run, but he even had great convenience in practicing an ancient shu. Yes, after the ecstasy, Fang Qing thought back, wait to 2, someone has successfully certified gold, which will greatly benefit the world's tutu. He can persist until now, which is considered to be a profound foundation, and then obtain this shareholder risk, and finally get through the difficulties in one go. Dangerously and dangerously, the spiritual atmosphere really makes people love and hate it. He decided in his heart that if he breaks through the Z mansion in the future, he must not choose to retreat in the ancient Shu world. Even if he doesn't get the benefit, he can't fail inexplicably. Haha. Now that Sanji is the Dharma King, what else do I have to worry about? In the ancient Shu capital, one could freely use Waidan, pretend to be a disciple, and discuss friendship with peers in the Zifu. Fang Qing immediately wanted to go back to Wuxing Temple, but he held it back, and felt that it was not convenient and solemn to talk to the first Zifu under him through the air, so his heart immediately moved. Shitua County. Su Hei was in retreat, and the void in front of his eyes suddenly broke open, and emerged. A skinny young Dharma King wearing a tiger skin cassock was none other than Sanji. But at this time, although Sanji was as skinny as a stick, his eyes were as deep as a well, and his body seemed to be filled with white bones. Sanji bowed and took Su Hei into the void. In an instant, the world was spinning, and he had arrived at the underground palace of Wuxing Temple. The Taishu here was blocked by the monks, and the Zifu could not hear. Sanji prostrated himself. Welcome to Th. Lord. Su Hei was startled, his expression became vivid, and he looked at Sanji with emotion. It's really not easy for you to succeed. This is the protection of the Venerable. If the Venerable does not turn the wheel of time, the spiritual monk will definitely have died. Even if Sanji is promoted to the Dharma King, he is still the fanatical believer. Tell me what it feels like to develop magical powers? Fang Qing was too lazy to correct, and asked curiously, when you break through the magical power, it is strange and indescribable. But after you realize the Dharma King, your magical power protects you and is extremely noble. A single thought can make thousands of masters fall. From now on, it is extraordinary and extraordinary. If the young monk does not accept the magical power of White Bone Temple, he will die if he looks at me. Doji will be seriously injured if he looks at it. There are hundreds of mysteries and thousands of miracles, Sanji said with his hands clasped together. Yes. Just from your Taishu walk just now, we can see the clues. Fang Qing looked solemn. Although his Waidan magic power is comparable to that of Du Zi, he does not have magical powers after all, nor does he have many conveniences of the Z mansion in this world. And travel through the void? This is something that only Yuanying monks of Qi refining Dao can touch, and often only Yuanying itself can do it. But in Sanji's case, it came easily. In terms of magic power alone, the early stage of Zifu is probably equivalent to the monks in the middle or even late stage of alchemy formation, but other methods are too special, and the alchemy monks may not be their opponents. Fang Qing asked the Dharma King about his magical powers again, and then asked talking about the true monarch of Tuda. At this moment, I am afraid that many Taoists in the whole world are discussing about the Sanji. The true monarch's enlightenment has opened the beginning of the great struggle. I am afraid that from now on, there will be many people who have achieved gold. Zhengzhi clasped his hands together, his eyes not sure whether it was pity or expectation. By the way, do you know that there are 5 levels of immortality? Fang Qing mentioned Taisu Golden Book. No, but in the Great Sun Reincarnation Temple, I have heard something similar to the Brahma theory. My Brahma Jingjin has 3 levels, Buddha fruit, Bodhisattva fruit, and Arhat fruit. The Buddha fruit is Mahayana enlightenment, the supreme and supreme Tao fruit, which may be compared to heavenly immortals and earthly immortals. Bodhisattva fruit is human immortals and gods. Arhat fruit is ghost immortals. Zhengzhi said, however, the young monk once heard a fable told by a certain Dharma king in the temple, which has a profound meaning. The general meaning is that even if the Buddha is reincarnated, it is difficult to realize the Buddhahood again. Most of the achievements are in the Bodhisattva and Arhat status. In terms of that person, before his death, he may have a backup or arrangement on the stomach earth, gold position, and he pretended to hold the gold position with the cave heaven status, ascended to the sky in one step, and achieved it calmly. He was mostly subject to external forces, so he could only achieve it in the guest position. That's true. However, it is also possible that the person who attained enlightenment was originally a guest. Otherwise, why would he be called Shinjun? Fang Qing nodded and looked at Zhengzhi. What do you think of the words of that person when he attained enlightenment? Wetland, tube takes food, one word becomes the law of the world, and from then on after that, taking human elixirs, blood energy, or erysipelas may increase, or it may be harmful, especially for Tuda monks. If they do this again, they will be punished just like Jin Dezheng's magical power of cross-killing can affect all sword cultivators. Tu Dezheng's power, at Leah St. does not have much problem. Zhengzhi clasped his hands together and praised, that true king has the compassionate heart of my Brahma sect. However, for other traditions, the effect of taking it may only become worse, and there may not be much change. After all, Jing is only the guest of stomach earth, not the host. What about you? You are a female earth, monk among the earth virtues. Fang Qing asked, of course we can't do this again in the future. As for before? Zhengzhi said, to punish someone without teaching is to punish someone for a crime. He is the most disciplined and will not punish someone without teaching. Therefore, regardless of past sins, this is also a path of repentance and reform for the Tude monks in the world. In other words, from now on, Tude monks can no longer use human elixirs, but other Taoist monks can still use it. At most, the effect will be worse? Fang Qing touched his chin. Why do I feel that bad money will drive out good money, leading to the weakening of Tutu's morality? In the future, Tuda will be destroyed, and that person will be the first to bear the brunt. Well, that gentleman has his own considerations, and there may be other methods of improving Tuda that can be passed down, but it will only take 100 years. Zhengzhi smiled and said, it is true that the Lord has ascended the throne. It has the greatest influence on the 2 demonic paths of Moyunya and Inshur sect. Yes, Moyunya Xiao, D2, and In Corp sector also, Nu 2. They were both severely hit this time. It is impossible for the 2 demonic sects to be in ruins, but it is unusual for them to be weak. Fang Qingdao, Zhengzhi has always been in contact with the demon clan. Is this what Lefangtian means? If you don't take action, that's all. If you take action, half of the demonic realm will be destroyed? This, Zhengzhi thought for a while, and there was a cold sweat on his forehead. In the early days of the Zifu in the Sanji district, it was indeed difficult to complete such a layout, or there might be something powerful to cover it up. When the true Lord came to the throne, there were countless big shots and calculations behind it. Now that the adult has succeeded in getting the gold certificate, the demon clan should have benefited. Yes, just focus on humanity and ignore the demon clan, Fang Qing sighed. Even if you ascend the throne as a true king, there are still many difficulties. This, Weitu, true king seems to be a righteous man, so it will be even more difficult, he murmured in his heart, it is impossible to seal the cave. For hundreds of years, I was afraid of being beaten to death, sir, the young monk has become a Dharma king and should go to the secret place. If anything happens to the venerable, he can tell Moonlight White Terra, which is Miaoshan, Zhengzhi said with his hands clasped together. Miaoshan? Moonlight White Terra? She has finally made it through, reaching heaven in one step. I know, Fang Qing sighed, and his consciousness left. Su Hei's eyes changed instantly and he lay on the ground. Xiaoxiu has seen the Dharma king. The monks of ancient Shu had such a serious inferiority complex that he would kowtow when he saw Taoist priests, let alone the Zifu. Even the monks under the Z mansion are no different from dolls in the hands of the Z mansion monks and can be played with at will. Donor, please get up. You and I are serving the Lord, we shouldn't give such a big gift. Zhengzhi helped Su Hei up and said, fellow benefactor, female soil, has already been convinced, why not take advantage of this? This is a good opportunity to retreat in this underground palace. Here, I use to prove the aura of the Dharma King, and the outside world is the spiritual atmosphere of the great benefit Tutu. I will give you the Tao-based spiritual object 3 living soils, which will surely break the Tao-based barrier in one fell swoop and serve the Venerable even better. Thank you, Dharma King, thank you Dharma King. Su He was startled, then burst into tears and thanked him repeatedly. Taibai Island. Fang Qing was slightly startled. Su He is going to break the Taoist foundation? Yes, the Yin Yuan Dao collecting technique he practiced is the Ntu technique, and the 5th level Yin Shi does have the hope of breaking through the Dao foundation, now that the spiritual atmosphere of the earth is full, the Zifu weather blessing, and there is a Dao foundation spiritual object. It is simply impossible to achieve it. Fang Qing was a little envious. When I broke through the Dao foundation, the conditions were not so good. This Su He really has the potential of Voldemort. Even after this time, even if his skills are really limited and it is impossible to break through the Zifu, he still has hope. After all, I will definitely become a member of the Zifu in the future. I have already been given a seat. It's just Sanji rubs against Sanji's, Su He rubs against Sanji's. Do you want to rub against Sanji's when I break through in the future? Forget it, it's better to play it safe, it's best to retreat in Zio Wanhai. As long as you don't gamble, you will never lose. 3 Yuan Island. The formation was broken and turned into thunderclouds, in which a huge thing was roaring. Gulyalu. Suddenly, everything calmed down, and 2 heads were thrown out. One of them was Lu Lingfeng. And one is the foundation building ancestor of the Jiang family. Ong. A green turtle appears, with a female cultivator standing on its back. It is Zhang Hongxiu. But at this time, she is already in the middle stage of foundation building. This sect does not need help from outsiders. Sister can leave. There was a hint of sharpness in her brows, and she looked into the sky. A colorful cloud dispersed, revealing a woman in a black dress with a smoky look and a charming look. She turned out to be Yu Xianger. Ho ho. Congratulations to my sister for killing the traitor. My sister will not hesitate anymore. Yu Xianger chuckled and left with a group of demon disciples. The sea breeze blew, and the clouds of demonic flames left the San Yuan Island area. Only then did the demonic monk step forward. Dharma protector? Humph, the Jiang family is really trash. We can't wait for help. What's more, Zhang Hongxiu is already in the middle stage of foundation building. Coupled with the second-level mid-level Wanzhou turtle and the formation, it is enough to deal with the monks in the late stage of foundation building. Yu Xianger said lightly, since Sankeifeng City has been exposed, there is no need to spend more time. San Yuan Island. Finally back to Fengshi. In the main hall, he spread his red sleeves and looked at everything familiar and unfamiliar. Finally, his face was moved, and he sat on the main seat where green water Sanren once Saturday. Congratulations to my sister for regaining the sex foundation. A tall woman wearing white tulle, decorated with shells, and with faint scales on her cheeks smiled. I have to thank my sister for helping me, otherwise the demonic witch might not have retreated so easily, Zhang Hongxiu said with a bitter smile. Although this inheritance was passed down by the master, it is actually located in the place where the 4 battles took place. Seriously, it's a bit troublesome. She knew in her heart that Yu Xianger retreated, firstly because she did have some strength, and secondly because the original Jiang family's collusion with the demon cultivator had been exposed, which became a useless move and had no value at all. If Yu Xianger knows that I have established the foundation, it is with the help of Taibai Island Master of the Baihaman. I am afraid that I will become a thorn in the side of the Sea Destroyer Alliance from now on. She felt a little bitter in her heart, but the mermaid Jiju smiled and said, Sister, I don't know anything. The foundation here is so huge. If you can connect with me, the shark race again, and sell deep-sea supplies, you will definitely be able to make a lot of money every day. In time, you may be able to accumulate resources for the later stages of advanced foundation building. Yes, the road is where we are, so we can't give up. My sister will always have a share of the profits from this market. Zhang Hongxiu made a promise. She came to take revenge after building the foundation. Instead, she was ambushed and rescued by the sharks. From then on, they formed a friendship and got another opportunity. In less than 20 years, she broke through the foundation building. Period. Well, thank you. Little sister Hongxiu. Our shark clan does have some demand for some specialties of the human race, the shark foundation builder asked tentatively. I heard that in about 20 years, the secret realm will be opened again? Yes, the secret realm of Tianqin Island. Last time, it was said that many thousand-year-old elixirs and many magical greens were leaked out. Zhang Hongxiu sighed. It is said that the secret realm was opened, and now I count it, nearly 40 years have passed. In the years when the secret realm is about to open, there will still be trouble. By then, the Blue Sea Sect and the Sea Destroying Alliance will definitely not engage in low-intensity friction so tepidly. After so many years of recuperation, the foundation building monks have trained a lot, and there will definitely be a big battle. The shark woman licked her lips. there are treasures everywhere in the secret realm. I wonder if we, the Shark clan, can get a share of the pie? Ancient Shu, Shitua County, Qingli Mountain, wow, the baby's crying came from the house, and it was noisy for a long time. Go and help my sister-in-law. Fang Wujiu sighed and said to his wife. After the woman entered, the crying finally stopped. He shook his head and carried the hoe to the spiritual field outside. Sigh. I wonder what happened to your elder brother. I wonder if there is any way to find out. And Uncle Hu, a few more people from the Hu family came today, begging. Fang Yisen stood under the green mulberry jujube tree, shaking his head and sighing, humph. The Hu family still have the nerve to come. My brother was harmed by his family. Fang Wujiu dug the ground hard with his hoe and said casually, if it weren't for my father and I being both monks. Do you think that after my eldest brother goes, will those Hu family members come to rob my family's spiritual field? And this Qingli Mountain Foundation? Alas, I am useless. There is no one convinced to sit in Qingli Mountain in the later stage. After all, I feel uneasy. Fang Yisen touched his waist, took out a pipe with a windmilled copper tip, took a few puffs, and looked at the house. Ming Shui gave birth to a son and a daughter. How about the boy's name is Shanglin and the girl's name is Shangning? Fang Wujiu's heart trembled. This naming should be his father's business. Now that his grandfather is taking over, he obviously also thinks that his eldest brother will probably never come back. The boy is the Jiu Ganlin Lin? He asked in a low voice. That's right. I heard that the Shantu sect ship took away many monks before, most of them were cultivators of Tuda. The Jew of returning to the origin of the treasure land is probably a bit evil. Even if it can create a Taoist foundation, it cannot be cultivated. If Shang Lin has the qualifications to cultivate immortals, he should just follow the book of Guanhailing passed down by our scholar. Fang Yisen he took another puff of cigarette and knocked the pipe pot on the bluestone floor under his seat. Also, the world has been very chaotic recently. You have also heard that voice. Some important people are not allowed to take human elixirs and blood energy. I went to inquire and found out that there was a casual cultivator nearby who didn't take it seriously and still took blood elixirs to practice. I heard that he went crazy and died of madness these days. Fang Wujiu gasped. Obviously the description made him shudder. There are also a few merchants who said that the blood elixir is not so easy to use, and they are looking for elixirs from plants, metals, and stones. I think the price of this spiritual rice is going to increase. After all, it is also a kind of cultivation resource. Whether this elixir is poisonous or difficult to use, the spiritual rice will definitely increase. This is not a good thing. This is a curse. Fang Yisen looked at his spiritual field, his face full of worry. This is the inheritance that Wuchen paid for with his life, and it cannot be lost in our hands. By the way, what kind of Taoism did the random cultivator who died of madness practice? I don't know the technique, but it should be Tu De Tao, Fang Wujiu. It's toot again, hey. Fang Yisen sneered several times and said nothing. Obviously, this is because he is afraid of offending some big shot and causing trouble for his family. The next day. Yuyafang. This market is for casual practitioners. It opens every 5th day of the Lunar New Year and only once a month. It happens to be near Qingli Mountain. Fang Yisen and Fang Wujiu came together to look after each other and to find out information. Why is the flow of people so low? Seeing the dilapidated market where there used to be scattered cultivators, Fang Yisen couldn't help but look surprised. You still don't know? There is a treasure light outside the Wuxing temple, and many mountains are arched around it. The vision can be seen in a whole county. It is said that a master became. An old cultivator sighed with a face, and the kitchen god sect, including the leader and a few backbones, has disappeared. Those who once attached to Zao God have disappeared. Why don't the monks from the divine sect and Tai family escape? After running away, the city will naturally become deserted. The white-bone Taoist, is the Dharma king? Fang Yisen suddenly felt that his head was wide open, as if basins of cold water were pouring down on him, and his whole body was filled with chills. What should I do? His eyes were red and he almost cried. I said. I shouldn't have left the Xing family in the first place. Now that the Xing family is about to become prosperous, his family has worked for Wuxing Temple for decades and killed 3 Taoist priests. There should be compensation no matter what. No blame, let's go back and kowtow to the master. Humph. The hidden style may not repay the Xing family. Maybe all the men, women, and children of the Xing family will be made into magical instruments, and they will be kept by the Buddhas from now on, and enjoy great blessings. At this time, a sneer came from the side. Fang Yisen looked over and couldn't help but said in surprise, Old Tian? This man was described as old, but his eyes were still bright. He was the former tenant of the Lu family, later the tenant of the Xing family, and the neighbor of the Fang family, Tian Jinshin. Fang Yisen didn't know that Tian Jinshin had a huge cause and effect, and it was more likely that the Fang family would be involved. At this time, he was very happy to see his old friend. This Tian Jinshan may have other uses in Zifu. He did not take Tai Huang Tian with him, but instead missed a big opportunity. Haha, brothers from the Fang family, it's rare to see each other again. Let's go have a drink. When Tian Jinshan saw Fang Yixin, he felt quite happy to meet old friends. He invited the two of them to a stall and ordered a pot of good wine and a few dishes of side dishes. Is my brother still in the Xing family now? Fang Yixin asked and wanted to ask Lao Tian to sort out the relationship. I have already come out. Tian Jinshan shook his head and said, I heard that your boss has laid a great foundation and attacked the foundation of Taoism. I have heard about the vision of Qingli Mountain back then. Yes, my eldest brother has already established the foundation of Taoism, Fang Wujiu responded, obviously wanting to rely on his eldest brother's reputation to preserve the foundation of Qingli Mountain. Tian Jinshan had a half-smile on his face, and didn't say much. He just took Fang Yixin to drink. Haha, congratulations to that gentleman. I just say that there is always a right way in this world. At the end of the sentence, he may have been overcome by emotion, but his eyes were red and tears were streaming down his face. This Lao Tian, has any sad past? Fang Yixin thought for a while, tried a few words, and wanted to take Lao Tian back to his home. Many Lao Tian in Qingli Mountain Ling Tian are good hands, and they are also a fighting force, and he has known the truth for many years, so he is relieved. Brother, to tell you the truth, I have a lot of karma. Lao Tian heard the elegant meaning of Shangya, but he shook his head and refused, and, I have sworn that I will not accept disciples or get married in this life. I will be alone and die alone. Obviously, he has understood now that he is afraid that those big shots will eat his apprentices and descendants, so he chose to live alone until his death, without giving the slightest chance. Sigh, well, what do you think of Brother Wuxing Temple? Maybe he can take refuge. Fang Yixin felt a little regretful, put down his chopsticks, and asked the most critical question, and, is this Shitua County going to change now? Change of weather? That's natural. After all, the Zhao God sect has become an empty shell, and the Tai family, a bitter smile appeared on the corner of Lao Tian's mouth. He drank the wine in the big bowl in one gulp, and sighed, there is no Tai family anymore. I heard the news, a few nights ago, a bright moonlight enveloped the Tijiao mountain, and all over the mountain, it was like a sight of white bones. The Tai family has 4 Taoist priests, Fang Wujiu said in disbelief. The Tai family took the lead in opposing the Wuxing Temple and followed the Kitchen God sect to their fullest. The good thing is that he has trained several Daoji monks, and the Iron Kuang disciple has been promoted to the late stage. Unexpectedly, he was destroyed quietly. Haha, what do Daoji monks mean in the eyes of Z Mansion? Just ants. Lao Tian seemed to have thought of something, and couldn't help but laugh out loud, laughing until he shed tears. Among the mountains of white bones, there are 4 Taoist priests of the Tai family. The skeletons are kneeling to the west, apologizing. This, is the power of the Zifu as powerful as this? Fang Wujiu took a breath, and said with envy and jealousy, if my family can have one, then your family will be the Zifu Immortal clan, just like the Yulin Pu family, who knows when they will be involved in some major event, and the whole family will be wiped out. Lao Tian sneered and added, your family is a Daoji family, but it's a pity that we are still far away from the Zifu Immortal clan. His tone was disdainful, even more sarcastic. Hey, let's drink and talk about business. Fang Yixin quickly took Lao Tian's arm. Masters of Wuxing Temple, do you still accept me? I don't know either, I just know that the White Bone Taoist master has passed away. Now the person in charge of the temple is still the former master Miaoshan, but now he is revered as the Moonlight White Terra. It is also the Purple Mansion. It was this person who destroyed the Tai family. Aliozhi Mansion, the world of ancient Shu, should have changed. Old Tian sneered, and seemed to have some expectation. I have seen Dizzy, in Wuxing Temple, Miaoshan bowed respectfully. It is impossible to say that there is no resentment in the heart for this Mingzi who ran away for many years and then waited until his guru became a Dharma king before returning. However, she is Terra under the throne of Dharma. Before Sanji left, he specifically gave instructions that even if she died, Fang Qing must be protected. Miaoshan could only resolve the resentment and smile on her face. I've seen Moonlight White Terra. I'm very sorry to hear that Miao Feng and Miao Shui were martyred. I wonder if they have ever been reincarnated. Fang Qing asked. Never. Moonlight White Terra sighed. They died in the cave ritual, and it was Master Xuantu himself who took action. Even the true spirit could not escape, and both body and soul were destroyed. It's such a pity. Fang Qing sighed and carefully observed the Moonlight White Terra. Compared with the previous one, this girl not only has a more picturesque appearance, but her body is also shrouded in a thin layer of light at all times, which is bright, penetrating, and touching. I wonder what Terra's supernatural powers are like. He was a little curious and asked, only the magic borrowed from the Dharma king, no supernatural powers. But it is easy to walk in the void, change the skin, protect the body with magic, and calculate the next cultivation. The Dharma King even allowed me to observe the Moon White Lotus achievement method. If I can practice it diligently, there are many miracles. Moonlight White Terra replied, not bad, let me see your magic power. Fang Qing took Miaoshan's white palm and felt the glimmer of light. Although there is only a thin layer of magic, it still has some magical power. It feels like crushing me without the tide beads is like crushing a small insect. His spiritual sense is warning frantically, as if he is coming into contact with something terrifying. This is what Miaoshan tried his best to train, otherwise if he manifests the moonlight and white bones phase, then he will have to kneel and turn into a skeleton like those Tai family members. Don't resist. Fang Qing controls the tide bead, and a trace of mana pours into Miaoshan's body. Miaoshan hummed softly, and the Buddha bun on his head trembled slightly. When Fang Qing looked again, he had a solemn look on his face. The newly promoted Du Z Terra is known as the shame of the Z Mansion, but she is also the Z Mansion after all. The magic power in this Miaoshan's body is probably higher than what I am now. It is close to the middle stage of pill formation. Moreover, the total amount of mana is like this, and the quality is even better, coupled with the many mysteries. I am afraid that the monks in the early stage of forming the pill are no match, and they can only barely survive in the middle stage of forming the pill. It is impossible to defeat any dizzy, because they can run away. Once void walking is used, unless a forbidden formation is deployed to block the void in advance, it will be impossible to retain it. Fang Qing retracted his palm and said, excuse me, Terra, take me on a tour of Taishu. You are not a dizzy too? Miaoshan looked a little weird. The magic power just now far exceeded that of Daoji. Obviously, this person is also a dizzy. She thought Fang Qing was joking, but seeing Fang Qing's expression, she still held on to his hand and stepped into Taishu. Boom. In an instant, Fang Qing stood in a dark place, with silvery white light flashing from all sides. He has seen the secret realm of Tianqin Island, so he naturally recognizes, those are extremely terrifying void storms. Even if the Dongjia and Yuanying monks are involved, they will die. As for ordinary monks, even if they have formed an elixir, being in the turbulent flow of space is like a mortal being in a rolling river. They cannot help themselves and can only drift with the flow. But at this time, a cloud of cold moonlight fell and enveloped him. Fang Qing suddenly felt that he no longer had the feeling of going with the flow. He took a look and found that it was the miraculous radiance of Miaoshan that was moving around him. Sure enough, this Sifu magical power is completely different from the natal magical power of the third-level monster in Qi refining Dao. I have never heard of any third-level monster that dares to swim in the turbulent flow of the void, unless it is the kind of natural void Shenlu beast, Fang Qing secretly complained, and saw that Miaoshan was also struggling. He led him around several silver void storms, and after only walking a short distance, he broke through the void again and came to the real world. This place is Beixian County? With a sweep of his consciousness, he recognized several familiar geographical locations, and was secretly shocked. Sure enough, using the void to travel is much faster than a monk's flight. There are too many. The Danjia cultivator will definitely not be able to catch up. Unless the nascent soul cultivator releases his own nascent soul, it is hard to say. I have completed the Xuanfeng shadowless escape, and the wind escape technique has reached its peak, but breaking through the air for a short period of time is completely different from traveling a long distance. The art of walking in Taishu uses the unique and bizarre characteristics of Taishu and the real world. A short walk in Taishu may be thousands of miles away in the real world. After this experiment, Fang Qing has a deep understanding of his own combat power. Even if he includes the Daoshengzhu Waidan and 2 magic weapons, it is not too high. As for the way to escape and save one's life, it is even worse than saving one's life. Low-key, you still need to be low-key. Fang Qing looked at Miaoshan. You can go back, please wait a moment. Dizzy, there are destined people here ordered by the Dharma King. My white bone Dao can absorb new blood, and then go back one by one to take revenge, especially the Xuantu sect. Miaoshan clasped his hands together, but the moonlight behind him suddenly changed, with a hint of blood. Fang Qing couldn't help but remain silent after hearing this. Sangji has been in seclusion for more than 20 years, and Wuxing Temple has indeed become more and more embarrassed. Later, there was a decree from the Purple Mansion, and the matter of forcibly calling Fan Zi as a slave was indeed a bit shocking. Presumably the Master Xian Tu did not expect that Sanji could actually make a breakthrough and achieve such great karma in vain. To attack a Zifu immortal sect, you still need the King of Dharma to come back before making a decision. In Shitua County, the Taoist forces are decided by you, but those convinced forces just go with the flow and should not be too harsh. Fang Qing said calmly. This is obviously an ambush for the Fang family in Qingli Mountain, but it goes without saying. After this situation, Fang Qing felt that it would be better for him to cut ties with the Fang family. By the way, there is also the Xing family. Instead of converting the whole family, we should promote a Taoist priest. Fang Qing still needs to keep an eye on these esoteric cultists, otherwise they may not know when they will perform a trick that will make him stunned. No matter what the Xing family's plan is, it is true that 3 Taoist priests died in the battle for Wuxing Temple. If you eat them all and wipe them clean, and make them into human bone magic tools or the like, how can you survive in the future? On the other hand, the Daoshengzhu family and other Daoji families who have surrendered to the enemy may as well wipe out all their families. Fang Qing gave a few instructions and saw a group of people lurking over. One of the leaders is very familiar to me. Huh? She turned out to be this woman? That's interesting. He waited aside, watching meows. Han manifested the moonlight white terror phase, and led the group of people over, only to find that they were all monsters, but most of them were old, weak, sick and disabled. The first Taoist priest, wearing a broken cyan armor, with picturesque eyebrows and a cyan feather decoration on his forehead, is none other than the little princess of the Blue Bird Department, Qing Ling. Qing Ling pays homage to Moonlight White Terra, and pays homage to Fang Shui Dizzy. When Qing Ling saw Fang Qing, an acquaintance, her face was blue and white, but in the end she bowed ying, without the arrogance of being a little princess of the Blue Bird tribe. Why does the princess have to be arrogant in front of you and respectful in the back? Fang Qing couldn't help but want to laugh, and even wanted to ask this question, but he held it back and watched Miaoshan talking to this young man. It turns out that the Blue Bird Department is really broken. It was still the pot that Suwu transformed into evil things. Not only is there no Zifu the spiritual creatures were left, but instead they devoured several big demons from the Blue Bird tribe. The competition among the demon clan is quite cruel and fierce. The name of the Blue Bird tribe may not be extinct, but this bloodline will be replaced and another noble bloodline will be brought down from Luofeng Mountain. Needless to say, this little princess will end up very miserable. That's why I was so cruel that I joined the White Bones path. Fang Qing sorted out the cause and effect, and couldn't help but praise the case. It's so courageous. Our White Bones path is now in the middle of employing people. Even if you include me, there are still 3 vacancies under Sanji's command. If you put it outside, you will have to fight for it. Sure enough, I heard Miaoshan's soft voice. The Dharma King has already made a decree. If you enter my White Bone path, Kinga, you can be registered as the Empty Bird Terra. The other cadres will. I'll still be commanded by you. As a branch of the White Bone path, you can set up another incense temple. Thank you, Dharma King. Kinga was accepted, and she couldn't help but feel relieved. She was originally so arrogant that she wanted to attack the Z Mansion and reorganize the country, but the situation changed too fast, and the parrot of the Gale Department, the Zhu Demon King, had made great achievements and coveted the Blue Bird tribe. He wanted to devour her noble bloodline, and he also designed a conspiracy to cause the Zifu spiritual objects she prepared for her family to be taken away. Now, she has no choice but to seek refuge in the White Bone path. Fellow Taoist Qing Ling, seeing that Qing Ling and Miaoshan had finished communicating, Fang Qing came over. Unexpectedly, when Kinga saw him, her heart also felt empty. No. Does he have to ask that person? Alas, that's all. It is Suwu's fault after all. She forced a smile in front of her. I have seen Dizzy. When we meet old friends, we should feel confident. I wonder where my Taoist friendly is? Did he die in battle? Fang Qing was a little curious. That's not the case. Qing Ling gritted her teeth and said, to be honest, Li Rulong was killed by Demon King Suwu using the Dragon and Tiger Golden Elixir to absorb his destiny energy. Not only this person, but also the Pushan Lord of the Zifu of the human race. These 2 people have special fates, and Suwu has planned. The little girl is really powerless. Oh, I didn't expect that fellow Taoist Rulong would end up like this. Fang Qing looked indifferent. After all, he was not very familiar with Li Rulong, but he was secretly happy. Dragon and Tiger Golden Pill method? Is it a gold-seeking method? Even if you don't use it, just take a look. This remnant of the Blue Bird Department of the Demon Clan is a treasure. I don't know how many treasures and secret techniques there are. Sanji did a good job this time. Is that Mr. Pushan? His expression changed, as if he thought of more when Li Rulong went to set up the intercalary ceremony. My layout was a little hasty, but I succeeded in the end. I thought it was a fluke at first, but later I found out that Mr. Pushan was the mastermind behind the scenes. So no matter what happens to Li Rulong, he will definitely be able to succeed in setting the leap in the end. The Zhao family? How dare a mere Daoji family dare to fail on the Zifu chessboard? Xiao Huan Hai. Inside the Taibai Island cave. The ritual of setting leaps, I see. Fang Qing put down the book in his hand, which was obviously presented by Qing Ling. This woman is also very knowledgeable. After entering the territory of Shitua County, she gave most of the collections and classics of the Blue Bird Department. The Blue Bird Department has long been ruined, and not a single spiritual item from the Z Mansion is left, but the inheritance of secret techniques is pretty good. Among them, what Fang Qing values the most is several volumes of the Fire Method Alchemy Sutra, more than a dozen Zifu exercises, and the leap-setting method in his hand. However, there was no trace of the Dragon and Tiger Golden Elixir method that he was looking forward to. According to Qinghe's explanation, this method was obtained after the Suwu demon King Zifu's 4 magical powers were perfected, and he personally went to Luofeng Mountain and knelt for 10 years, and finally obtained it with great difficulty. It turns out that every move of the ancient great power will leave an impact on the present world, which will last for thousands of years. As long as future generations imitate it, they can obtain ritual responses and have many kinds of magic. Once the power of the true king is so great, what about the year-old? But transform the Taoism? I don't want to practice the Baiyu Taoism, let alone the Kongjin or Weihua Taoism, and I don't want to kill all my loved ones. No, I want to transform. There is no need to go to such trouble. He put down the leap placement method in his hand and picked up a piece of fiery red silk. The fire energy emanating from this silk fabric is mysterious and extraordinary. It records the Qingyuan True Fire Sutra of the Purple Mansion of the Qingmiao Department, which is the basis of the Wing Fire, Dao Phoenix seeking the Phoenix. The true knowledge required for this skill is at the 8th level, and it needs a Da Mon clan with a trace of Qingyuan blood to collect it. Just let Qingling do it. And the Jing of the Return of the Treasurer. After all, I have almost collected all the Zifu exercises of the 5 virtues, Yin and Yang, but forget about the moon phase, it always feels too weird. In fact, the most complete one in Fang Qing's hands is the Baiyu Taoist Inheritance, which involves Taoist magical powers such as Guangzhu Lian, Taiyu Palace, Shaking the Sky, Jiashuan Yu, etc., which is enough to cultivate to the perfection of Z Mansion, but there is the hidden danger of turning into a demon, and too much the Yin inheritance always feels a little bad, such as Weiyue, so that's all. I am actually still majoring in Jishui's Tingxian Dongquan Sutra, to improve my cultivation and Taoism. The rest of the collection of 5 virtues, Yin and Yang, is just to use its Tao foundation and magical powers. While thinking, Fang Qing took out a jade bottle. The bottle contained a thick black and yellow essence, which was Huang Ting Shi Lai. This item is needed to practice the treasure land return to Yuanjing. Although the spiritual object can be swallowed the day after tomorrow to purify the true swallow, since the Blue Bird Department has Huang Ting Shijia in storage, it is natural to use it. Wow, Fang Qing swallowed the true swallow and started to use the technique. In an instant, the atmosphere around him changed, and there was a faint scene of pheasants and deer running around. As the black and yellow energy rolled, he had already achieved the Dao Ji Lian Yuan Ding. Not only that, with the Daosheng Pearl infusing Yuan Yen, his cultivation reached the middle stage of Dao Ji. Lian Yuan Ding can turn harm into benefit, not only therefore, if I take the stomach earth, palm. Whether I take Lingmi spirit beast meat or swallow the elixir, the effect is several times better. It's a pity that I am not a 2D person, otherwise the cultivation prog. Rest will be much faster. Fang Qing swallowed a pill, compared it carefully, and came to a conclusion. He took the elixir and practiced the treasure land returning to the Origin Sutra, and his progress actually exceeded the heavenly escape sword technique. The master of the corpse forest speaks of the Nuta Sutra, and the secret technique of the Great Sun initiation. It was as different as the whale swallowing the Tsanhai technique, and was only behind the Tingxian Dongquan Sutra. Sure enough, I am still destined to cultivate water virtue. Fang Qing shook his head, transformed into Jishui mana, felt the breeze surging in the void, and stretched happily. Now Sanji is doing that kind of enthronement ceremony in the secret realm, and wants to confer the title of Whitebone Dharma King. The affairs of Shitua County include Moonlight White Terra, and there will be no war with Xuanta sect for a while. But we can deal with the affairs of Xiao Huanhai first. However, thinking of the Moonlight White Terra, Fang Qing looked a little solemn. Previous experiments made him slightly guess about the high-end combat power of both sides. Achieving Dizzy is probably equivalent to the monks here in the early and middle stages of pill formation. Even in terms of mana alone, the early stage of Zifu is slightly better than the middle stage of pill formation, and the actual combat power is even more, and the middle stage of Zifu is probably comparable to the late stage of pill formation, or even the perfect pill formation. Mysterious magical powers are far superior to, in the Qi refining Dao, the late Zifu is a great real person, and there is a clear boundary with the ordinary real people. This is probably more valuable than the so-called overhaul from the early stage of pill formation to the late stage of pill formation. It is a qualitative change. I am afraid that it can only be compared with the breakthrough of breaking the pill to become a baby in the Qi refining Dao. So, the late stage of Zifu is comparable to the early or even middle stages of nascent soul monks? Then the perfection of Zifu is the late stage of Yuanying and the perfection of Yuanying? This is just my guess. At the level of Terra, there are actual examples compared with the magic power of Daoshengzhu. It is quite accurate. The further back, the harder it is to say. After all, I have not studied Yuanying and the late great monks of Zifu convinced Qi Dao Zifu mastering the mysteries of supernatural power. It is difficult to calculate the combat power according to the Taoism. But the Qi refining Tao is not without its advantages, that is, as long as the resources are full, the pig can live for 1,000 years. It is twice as long as the Zifu monks. As for the higher life expectancy? Fang Qing could no longer imagine it. After all, the kitchen master could teach the world with just one word. He had never heard of it in Qi refining Dao. Tashi Shiran came out of seclusion, looked at the snowy scenery of Taibai Island, and thought to himself, there are still some little troubles here. As the secret realm of Tianqin Island can be reopened, various frictions will become more intense. The Baihaman must make corresponding adjustments. This is the information sent back by Qin Rushue. It seems that I, a local snake who has been entrenched in Taibai Island for nearly 40 years, is indeed a bit eye-catching, but I obviously will not give up here. After all, the third-order spiritual veins and third-order spiritual springs can still be used at will. There are not many places in Ziyuanhai, unless I become the ancestor of Baihaman, or go and rob Tianqin Island and come back. Alas, things have changed in Ziyuanhai. In the blink of an eye for 40 years, even the owner of Sanyuan Island has changed 3 times, although 2 of them were my fault. Fortunately, I don't have no connections in the sect. Ling Huzhong has a deep found at. Ion. Chuizha, the master of the evil punishment hall, is in the late stage of foundation building, and his cultivation speed is only a little slower than me. And Tianding, forget it, Tiandingdu, it's almost time to live your life. As for Qin Rushue, the island owner? This is not a connection, it's just his person. Forget it, let them deal with it first. If it doesn't work, I will take action. Now the upper limit of my liquid mana has reached more than 90 drops, and my practice in the later stage of foundation building is close to the limit. It's time to prepare to break through the resources of foundation building. The mana that I took drugs all the way, although there are Daoshengzhu to help transform it, and there is no erysipelas problem, but the body's drug resistance and the existence of bottlenecks are normal. So it is very difficult to break through on your own, but Qi refining Dao is this is good, the requirements for Taoism are not high, as long as you have the realm-breaking elixir, you can rush forward. Fang Qing came to the Ice Soul Cave and saw the Ice Soul Cold Spring. Everything happened. I can still remember it. My spiritual consciousness has been completely established, but it's a pity that this spring has not condensed the 3rd level Ice Soul Cold Heart, so I cannot break through the core-forming consciousness in advance, otherwise it would be quite helpful in breaking through the core-forming bottleneck. He patted the storage bag on his waist and took out a jade box. After opening it, he saw a strange flower, emitting purple light, which was the 3rd level elixir, purple flower Ling Hua. This thing is used to refine the 3rd level Great Barrier Breaking Pill as well as the main materials. There are also auxiliary materials such as the 2nd grade high-grade Qiong Hua Ji, which are extremely precious. If it is refined once, even Fang Qing will feel distressed for a long time. Fang Qing played with the purple flower Ling Hua in his Han. But his heart moved, thinking of the Blue Bird Alchemy Sutra he had been watching all these days. Over the years, he has not only made steady progress in Qi Dao alchemy, but he has also read many Qi Dao alchemy scriptures. The alchemy techniques of Qi Dao are even more magical. Many of them require the help of Taoist foundations or even magical powers, but there is a whole other world to them. At this time, Fang Qingfu came to his mind and wanted to modify the refining method of the Great Barrier Breaking Pill and add the method of taking Qi Dao, so that the success rate would be higher and the pill would be more mysterious. This purple flower Ling Hua, if it is taken according to the Qi Dao according to the classification, it should be the spiritual object of Jingmu. Jingmu is located in the south, and it is located in Yin, which belongs to the essence of wood. The meaning of this change is just in line with the breakthrough of the efficacy of the Great Barrier Breaking Pill. If it is refined by water method, it needs Ji water, good wind. Wind means movement, instigating all things, and making Qi flow. Baiyu, good rain person, nourishes all things, and condenses the essence. The two complement each other, which is the best time to make alchemy. This is in line with the image of Ji Feng Baiyu that I understood before. Fang Qing's figure moved, and the power of Ji water was powerful. Swinging, causing the breeze, the Ice Soul Cold Spring suddenly spewed out. He patted the storage bag and took out a Baiyu, Taoist spiritual weapon. There were many blue birds in it, and there were even a few of Baiyu before. Unfortunately, all the Zifu magic weapons were lost. This Taoist spiritual weapon is a picture, named Silver Crow Crying Moon Scroll. After unfolding, wind, frost, rain and snow suddenly fell, connecting the breeze of Jishui, clouds and mist rose, frost and rain fell to the ground, covering a peak. Let us begin. Fang Qing took out the Miaochuan purifying bottle with a long breath and poured out a portion of spiritual water. This, outside the Bingpa cave, Bei Lingshu still looked like he was 20 years old, and his aura was still building the foundation. The early stage. For many foundation building monks, the middle stage of foundation building may be a bottleneck in their lives. She opened her eyes wide and saw a field of cold moon grass growing wildly, and there were winds and clouds, the moon was shrouded, and freezing rain was falling, with a look of confusion on her face. The island owner has given instructions that he is refining alchemy in seclusion and should not be disturbed. A ray of light fell, revealing Xiongdahu's figure. This young man with thick eyebrows and big eyes seemed much more mature, but his aura was that of someone in the middle stage of foundation building. This vision is too shocking. I don't know what kind of miraculous medicine the island owner is refining. Bei Lingshu's eyes were filled with brilliance. Since Fang Qing became the master of Taibai Island and actually owned the Chaoshan Pearl, he did not hide it much and showed many miracles. The awe in this woman's heart is naturally increasing day by day. What Bei Lingshu didn't expect was that as the time for refining the alchemy increased, the vision not only did not subside, but became even more shocking. Half a month later, a stream of light flew over and landed outside the Taibai Island formation, revealing a person. It was Linghu Zhong. Junior brother Fang, who invited himself out to guard Taibai Island, has not moved for almost 40 years. No wonder there is some criticism within the family. Linghu Zhong is now in the middle stage of foundation building, with full magic power, and has the faint intention of breaking through to the later stage. His appearance has also changed, and he has 3 long strands of beard, which makes him look much more mature. Obviously, since Linghu's former headmaster passed away, he needed to take charge of the Linghu family and had to show his dignity. Over time, if the qi of the body is nourished and the body is nourished, it will indeed have its own magnanimity. He flew out a transmission note, and after a long time, a qi-refining monk came to greet him with a formation flag. What's going on? Linghu Zhong frowned. He has a good relationship with Fang Qing. Even if the other party is in retreat, there are still 2 foundations on Taibai Island. How can there be any reason for qi-refining disciples to greet Y? Oh, you? Uncle Master, forgive me for being the owner of the island. No, the guard is refining elixirs in seclusion, and the 2 elders are watching over him. The qi-refining disciple replied very respectfully when he saw the sect's foundation building and advanced cultivation. Island Master? Linghu listened and shook his head in his heart. No wonder the sect has called for the transfer of junior brother Fang. This place has almost become a 1-story house. But for the alchemy, 1 elder can guard it, but 2 more? Linghu Zhong rolled his sleeves, with a hint of dissatisfaction in his tone. Take me to see. All the way to Bingpa Cave, he saw Xiongdahu and Bei Lingshu guarding outside. But Linghu Zhong was suddenly stunned in front of him. The waning moon was rising, the rain was rising and the fog was rising, the wind was rolling and the clouds were rolling, and the glow was shining outside. Linghu Zhong's eyes almost popped out of his head. Although he knew that strange phenomena would indeed occur when refining some high-level special elixirs, such strange phenomena were simply unheard of. But soon, he was speechless. One osmanthus tree after another grew outside the Bingpa Cave, and silver crows flew out one after another, standing on the branches and calling. There were also cinnabar, mica, and other substances, as if they were free of charge, spurting out from the Bingpa Cave and accumulating on the ground. Soon they were several inches thick. Everything was like a dream in a fairyland. But Xiongdahu and Bei Lingshu were not surprised by the strange things, and they seemed to have become numb. Beside Bingpa Spring, a leopard that was completely condensed from the 3rd-level ice soul cold spring jumped lightly and came to Fang Qing's side, holding a shining purple elixir in its mouth. It's the 3rd-level barrier-breaking pill. The elixir is done. It's not in vain that I used so many methods. The elixir is completed quickly and well, huh? Some. One else is coming. Is it Linghu Zhong? Fang Qing smiled slightly, put away the elixir, the Miaochuan Jingping bottle and the Yinwu crying moon scroll, and came outside the Bingpa Cave. All the vision suddenly dissipated, and Linghu Zhong saw a young man in a blue shirt walking out with a comfortable posture. His expression was flying, his big sleeves were fluttering, and he seemed to be able to control the wind with his own strength, like a fairy. Haha, brother, please wait for a long time. Fang Qing took the lead in holding a fist. You're welcome. Unconsciously, Linghu Zhong's tone was full of respect. Junior brother, what kind of elixir are you refining? The way of refining elixir is that yin and yang are the body, the 5 elements are used, the wind is used to drum it, the rain is used to moisten it, the wellwood is used to grow it, and the dustpan is completed. Yachengzi is just trying a different alchemy technique. Fang Qing finished speaking with a smile. Seeing Linghu Zhong's expression of incomprehension, he thought to himself, that's right. If you understand, I will be horrified. A discussion on alchemy. Afterwards, Fang Qing invited Linghu Zhong to his cave to serve tea. Linghu Zhong was stunned again after entering the cave. In front of the cave, there was a small spring with several fist-sized pearls in it. There were several colorful koi carps in the spring that were constantly spouting like living springs. As it moves, there will be wisps of breeze blowing through the bells decorated on the eaves, making a crisp sound, which has the effect of cleansing the mind. There is an incense burner on a purple wooden table not far away, with sandalwood inserted in it. Brother, please. Fang Qing sat at the main seat and took a cup of tea. There were several human puppets next to him, holding tea sets and serving tea. Ling Huzhong sat on a soft chair covered with the skin of an unknown spiritual animal, seeing the spiritual tea like a dream. And a mist, there seemed to be another green bird dancing in it. After taking a sip, I suddenly felt comfortable all over my body. I couldn't help but admire, you, the island owner, are well-deserved, and you feel more luxurious than the head. I think only one ancestor can compare with the cost of doing this. That's wrong, Wan Jishuan can't even find me so much food. Fang Qing smiled and said nothing. The water spring pearls in this spring, as well as Brahma sandalwood, Qingxing bell, Qingke ling cha, most of them are specialties from the Qi Dao side. Don't look at the lack of spiritual resources there. But after you get to the high rise, the enjoyment is also first class and mysterious. In Wuxing Temple, there are monks who specialize in serving the master. They specialize in how to match the mysteries of various Qi magic weapons and even Taoist spiritual weapons, creating a small spiritual atmosphere to help cultivation. Fang Qing was of course honest and used all of it. Later, the Blue Bird tribe came to surrender. As a little princess, Qinghan naturally used the best food, even if she was on the run. They all brought them with them, and also paid tribute to Fang Qing and Miaoshan. Fang Qing left one set in the cave of Wuxing Temple, and the other set was naturally brought here to enjoy. Ling Huzhong is like ascending to the fairyland. The more he is here, the longer he stayed, the more comfortable he felt. Even the bottleneck in the late stage of foundation building that had troubled him for many years seemed to be slightly loosened. Crack. Unknowingly, he had already finished his cup. After drinking the Zhongqing Keiling tea, he would never act so rudely from a noble family, but he did it unknowingly at this time. Suddenly, there was another slight sound in his ears, like a clear spring gushing. With Chayin, Ling Huzhong looked around and saw that above the main seat, it was no longer the Immortal in blue, but a pool of spring water. Senior bro. Ling Hu, don't drink too much of this tea. Otherwise there is a possibility of illusion. With Fang Qing's voice, the pool of spring water in Ling Huzhong's eyes turned into a human again, and he couldn't help but trembled coldly. I see, thank you, junior brother, for telling me. By the way, what's going on here, senior brother? Fang Qing asked again with a smile, but Ling Huzhong was a little embarrassed. What he saw today was too shocking, which made him feel that his junior brother is the real immortal cultivator here, and he felt lonely after cultivating. On the contrary, he forgot all about the business. When it came to the business, Ling Huzhong looked solemn and a little sad. Junior brother, you know, Tianding has entered his twilight years, and the end is not far away. Senior brother Tianding, Fang Qing is not too surprised by this. This person is already of a high seniority. When he first started, he was already a foundation-building monk and the master of Dan Island. But now, he is almost over his 100th birthday, so the other party must be older. This is not the same. 2 life-extending pills can solve the problem. Yes. Tianding feels that his energy and spirit are declining, and there are many omissions in refining the foundation-building pills for our sect. Now on Dan Island, when it comes to alchemy and qualifications, who else can I choose? Ling Huzhong said solemnly, and I have been guarding Taibai Island for many years, and there are some complaints among the people, but I can't force him to be transferred away, so let my senior brother come and persuade me. Fang Qing said frankly, and then said, just the position of the Lord of Dan Island to lure me back? Will I really be able to sit in this position after I go back? Aren't you afraid that I will join forces with Qin Rushue? Junior brother should have no doubts. Ling Huzhong bowed. Senior brother can be your guarantee. Fang Qing looked at Ling Huzhong. This former young man had completely lost his youthfulness and turned into an old fox. Moreover, he is still an old fox who puts his family first. The interests of the Ling Hu family are highly consistent with those of Baihaman, so Fang Qing is plotting against him. It's nothing at all. Of course, Fang Qing has been working abroad for many years and has worked hard. Even if he can't inherit the title of Dan Island, he will definitely be raised by a high-ranking official and be well paid. Maybe he can be the deputy head and be responsible for the 2 elders full-time. Ancestor alchemy. This is really possible. After returning to the sect, I am only a middle-stage foundation builder. How dare I refute the 2 ancestors of the alchemy? How many monks are honored to be close to the 2 ancestors? Fang Qing sneered in his heart. It can be done without any calculation. I can see the calculations of some factions in the sect. The reason why he was treated like this is very simple, his qualifications. In the eyes of the Bihai sect, I still have the qualifications of a middle-grade water spirit root. It is good to be able to build a foundation in this life. The rest of my life is only worthy of praise for my alchemy skills. In total, my treatment is much better than Qin Rushue's, but it's just not as good as Chui's pill-forming seeds. What if I don't want to? Fang Qing said softly. Ling Huzhong's expression changed. Is this junior brother really so unwise? It will be very ugly when the sect issues an order. If the ancestor is alarmed, there will be no room for change. In Zaya Wanhai, the alchemy monk is the sky. The urgent call at the door must be related to the war. The secret realm will be opened in 20 years. It's time to have a battle with the Sea Destroyer Alliance, isn't it? Fang Qing leisurely sipped the green Keiling tea, feeling quite secure on the Daoyu Tai. After all, it seems that he is only in the middle stage of foundation establishment. In fact, he has almost completed his cultivation in the later stage of foundation establishment, and he has even more strength in forming pills. He is one of the behind-the-scenes chess players of Xiao Huanhai. If you are in a hurry, you can either break up and separate one side, or use the Miaochuan purifying bottle to fill the ice soul cold spring and run away. That's right. In the event of a battle, Taibai Island is far away from Bu Island. The soldiers are fierce and dangerous, and the island defense formation is only at the second level. If the Sea Alliance attacks in a large scale, wouldn't it be self-defeating? Ling Huzhong was a little strange. He really did it for Fang Qing's good, and felt that this choice was not a bad one. I don't know why the other party is so resistant. As everyone knows, Fang Qing is silently practicing plum blossom changes at this time, and several plum blossoms are falling in his heart, turning into a hexagram, the last good luck? No matter what he does, it is basically auspicious. Now that it has reached the end of auspiciousness, it is obvious that after returning, he may be regarded as an alchemy coolie, and then conflict with the two alchemy-forming combat capabilities. Although Fang Qing is not afraid, it seems not good to bully his master and destroy his ancestors. The Bihai sect behaves both righteously and ungodly. Although it occasionally raises snakes, it has been tricked by itself, so it is considered a clean slate. But the treatment for so many years and the foundation establishment pill back then were not false. If we continue to turn things upside down and fight against each other, wouldn't it make Master He Yuan laugh out loud? After all, I now have the mantle of Bihai Zhenren, and I am considered half of the ancestor of Baiheman, but Fang Qing obviously cannot tell Ling Huzhong about this. He can only say, I am afraid that the battle between good and evil is coming in the blink of an eye. I wonder who will guard Taibai Island? Taibai Island, Ling Huzhong was a little embarrassed. After all, it was an island with a third-order spiritual vein, and there was a third-order spiritual spring, but the war was fierce and dangerous, and there were too many garrisoned here. The monks are worthless. If they are missing, they are just serving food to the devil. If it doesn't work, harvest all the spiritual grass and take away all the ice soul chilling hearts in the ice soul cold spring, regardless of the first or second level. That's it. After all, even Master He Yuan would not damage a third-level spiritual spring and third-level spiritual veins for no reason. If this place is captured by the Sea Destroyer Alliance, the worst possible outcome is that they will fight back later. Alas, junior brother Fang, I will go back to the sect and try my best to mediate for you. After several attempts to persuade Ling Huzhong was helpless. It's just that if there is an official order from the sect in the future, junior brother's situation will not be as good as it is now. Thank you, senior brother. Fang Qing watched Ling Huzhong control the flying spiritual weapon and leave Taibai Island with all kinds of brilliance, with an indescribable look in his eyes. Alas, you can't bear it after having only been here for decades? What if I form elixirs here one day? Then I will be enshrined as the ancestor. He thought for a moment. Should I want to continue to rely on Taibai Dao is actually very simple. As long as Yu Xiong'er cooperates, he attacks the Bu Gate and provokes a war. Then he orders Zhan Hongxiu to block the passage, just like last time, and attack the spirit boat on the route. As a result, the war was fierce and the route was cut off. Fang Qing naturally had many reasons not to accept orders, and even to separatist forces. Fang Qing did another divination, and it turned out to be Xiaoji.o. So what is the most suitable development at present? He calculated silently and thought, a friend is coming from afar? Not happy? Is this person vaguely related to Taibai Island? Well, I can probably guess who it is. Sure enough, it's better to go to Zaya Wanhai. If it's to Gushu, even Moonlight White Terra can't calculate it so accurately. So, all I need to do now is to delay time and wait for th. Add variable to come on its own initiative? Ancient Shu, Shitua County, Wuxing Temple. Since the hexagrams on the other side of Zaya Wanhai are waiting for change, waiting for the destined person to come, Fang Qing calculated the time and was not in a hurry. He went to the outside world for some fun before arriving at Wuxing Temple. Dizzy. Green Clam came out to greet her. No, at this time, she had a layer of solemn Brahma light on her body. She should have received the great initiation and should be called Empty Bird Terra. The fact that she can endure this means that Sanji has returned. Sure enough, the next moment, the empty bird Terra said respectfully, "The Dharma King has called." Yes, Fang Qing followed the empty bird Terra into the Zen room and met Sanji. Compared with before, his appearance is much younger, like a boy, but he is as skinny as a stick, and the tiger skin cassock on his body looks bloated. Sanji pays homage to the venerable. Sanji drove away the empty bird Terra, first bowed to the ground, and then said, "The venerable Qi, Su Heishu, the donor has successfully broken through the Dao Foundation and can be used by the venerable." "Oh? That's not bad." Fang Qing did not let go. In his heart, he asked, "Is there anything you can gain from going to the secret hiding place?" Of course there is. The young monk was registered as the White-Bone Dharma King and took charge of the Sanskrit affairs of ancient Shu. In the future, even if the esoteric believers from Mahakala Temple and other Dharma origin temples come eastward, they will have to listen to the young monk's decree, Sanji respectfully reports. Fang Qing nodded slightly when he heard this. Sanji was sent here in the first place, so he naturally had the secret power. Moreover, it was also a bet between Mizang and Gushu. If he failed to become the Dharma King, Mizang's attempt to cross eastward would have failed, and the entire Shitua county would return to Mayun Cliff. But if Sanji succeeded, there would naturally be great benefits, even for Mizang. The Tiong sphere of influence can also be expanded outwards. In addition, the young monk also asked the temple for a powerful Buddhist weapon to protect himself. According to the Immortal's words, it is the Zifu magic weapon, which saves decades of sacrifice. Sanji took out a white relic and handed it to Fang Qing. "This is the white bone relic." "Oh? I want to see it." Fang Qing stretched out his hand to take it, but found that the object was as heavy as 1,000 stones, more resistant, and appeared to be extraordinary spirituality. Unlike the Qi refining Dao magic weapon, this Zifu magic weapon can be used even by Taoist foundations, but they must be from the same Taoist lineage, or master the sacrificial refining formula. With a thought in his mind, the Daosheng pearl rolled around and turned into mana. This time, he easily picked up the bone relic and tried to perform the sacrificial refining. What a treasure! Fang Qing got a lot of information from just a superficial refining. This bone relic, in addition to being a Zifu magic weapon and indestructible, also has many magical powers. One of them is a god and demon, which can be transformed into a white bone powerful god and demon, which is extremely powerful. But also a diamond that is indestructible and can move mountains and seas. The second is washing dust. It can summon the water of the river of forgetfulness to wash away the dirt, cause and effect, and even various marks on the body. It is quite effective in dealing with curses and witchcraft. Fang Qing's eyes lit up. This Zifu magic weapon Dao Foundation can be used, and it has all kinds of miracles. In the future, it can be taken to Xiao Huanhai, and it can even assist one's own practice. Yes, this, cleaning the dust, is magical, and it corresponds to the second magical power that the young monk wants to practice, which is called cleaning the dust. That's why the temple gave this Brahma weapon, hoping to help the young monk. Sanji smiled. Fang Qing played with the white bone relic for a moment, then threw it back into Sanji's arms. "I am holding this Zifu magic weapon like a child holding gold, and it can't exert much power. I'll leave it to you to use." He cursed in his heart. "I seem to be quite destined to beads, Taoist beads, sea-turning beads, tideborne beads. If there is another white bone relic bead, I will be really speechless." Fang Qing's heart moved, and asked, "Is there a Buddhist artifact more precious than the Zifu magic weapon in the secret collection?" "Naturally yes, it is a Buddha treasure." Sanji clasped his hands together. "We, the Dharma King, use the Zifu Dharma treasure at most. And there is indeed a Buddha treasure enshrined in the Daoshengzhu temple. In the immortal way, it is called a true treasure, which means the treasure held by the true king. It is said that the Buddha's nature is needed when forging, so it is very precious. So-called Buddha nature is the divine nature, the golden nature. This thing can only be possessed by the true king who has achieved the gold level. It is even closely related to the origin and cannot be damaged too much. However, if the gold level fails, it is impossible to condense the golden nature. Therefore, true treasures are very rare, but Sanji did not hesitate to sell the heritage of his temple. It turns out. So, Fang Qing nodded, knowing that there is no need to think about this Buddhist treasure or real treasure for the time being. Some Zifu are poor ghosts in the early stage and are still using Daoji spiritual weapons. As soon as Sanji breaks through, he can use the Brahma weapons of the Zifu magic weapon level, which is the benefit of relying on a big force. By the way, what do you think about the Xuantu sect? Fang Qing asked. There is only one Zifu in Xuantu sect, named Xuantu Zhenren, which is the early stag. of Zifu. Sanji said. In fact, Master Xuantu has already sent a message to the young monk, but the young monk has lost his face. I have to recruit monk soldiers to attack the Xuantu gate, surround its mountain gate, and kill its 13 Taoist priests. By the way, by expanding the Brahma earth, the cause and effect of this matter can be resolved. The coldness in the words made Fang Qing excited. Yes, to be promoted to the Zifu, to be reborn, to be extraordinary. For many Zifu, only the monks who are also from the Zifu are considered people. The monks below are dead, and as long as they are not direct descendants, it is just a fight for face. 3 drinks of fine wine will be over. In fact, before the Battle of Xuanta sect started, the big bosses from both sides had already negotiated the price, including how much territory would be ceded and how many people would die. Fang Qing couldn't help but feel pity. What does this mean to those lower cultivators? Thinking about it again now, the relationship between these Zifu cultivators is indeed complicated. He thought of Li Rulong again. This man was the pioneer supported by the Pu family in attacking the county where the Haiyan sect was located. At that time, Mr. Pushun had not revealed his intention to surrender to the demon. When he finally dealt with Li Rulong, the abandoned son, he was obviously on the same side as the Black Mole sect Sifu. In other words, both of them are actually under the command of Moyunya. When facing the demon clan, they naturally have to be consistent with the outside world. As for the rise and fall of Li Rulong and the forces in Bajuan, in the eyes of Zifu, they actually don't count. All living beings are nothing more than Zifu games. I just don't know how many of Shitua County's Fengqi and Daoji will die in this battle, Fang Qing said to himself, quite uninterested. Shan, the young monk has one more thing, and he is about to report it to the Venerable, at this time. Sanji said again, the young monk has already taken the horse-headed Vajra Dharma Protector magic skill practiced by the Venerable for the 3rd time. The first wrath stage of Hayagriva is a sutra, but this skill cannot be used by Dharma Protectors and is not too subtle. If the Venerable continues to practice, after completing the 3rd stage, he can transfer to the Dragon Elephant Golden Body achievement copied by the young monk. Method. Speaking of this, Fang Qing sighed, I have worked hard for decades, and this skill is only the 2nd time to achieve it, and it is still a short step away from perfection. I have met the Black Earth Donor. The White Bone Dharma King sat down, picked up the teacup, and took a sip. There is another person standing behind the White Bone Dharma King, with golden light flowing all over his body, faint Sanskrit sounds in his breath, and his energy and blood like a wild beast. What a Dharma Protector! Xuantu's eyes lit up and he praised, fellow Taoist has so many real talents under his command, which makes me very beautiful. If you are envious, you can join our Brahma sect Tantric sect, without losing the position of Dharma King, Sanji said with his hands clasped together. Haha, that's all, I still like Xianyun Yeha, Master Xuantu smiled slightly. Fang Qing stood behind Sanji, silently sizing up the only Zifu of the Xuantu sect. This man has the face of a young man, a tall and erect body, and a circle of earthy yellow magical power behind his head, making him look like a fairy. Even though I have reached the 3rd level of body training, I am still no match for this person. He has been practicing the Hydragon Elephant Prajna Protector magical power hard in Wuxing Temple these days. Thanks to the secret medicine of Dragon Elephant Prajna and his own efforts, he finally successfully completed the 2nd level of Mule-Faced Vajra Prajna stage, and then broke through the barrier and achieved the Wrath stage of Horsehead Ming King. Of course, to say that the achievements are a bit exaggerated, at best it is just a glimpse into the world. Even so, the benefits are unparalleled. Not only has the body been successfully promoted to the 3rd level of body refining, but even the spiritual consciousness has made a breakthrough, breaking the 150-foot foundation limit. It can be extended to 1.5 miles to achieve the pill-level spiritual consciousness. Both his physique and spiritual consciousness have broken through to great realms, allowing him to calmly mobilize more of the magic power of tidal pearls, which is PR. Obeyably better than ordinary monks in the early stages of forming pills. It is only because of the shortcomings of the magic power of Blue Sea Kung Fu that he has not been able to reach a higher level. However, in front of the early cultivators of Z Mansion, it was still not enough. Not only that, after entering the threshold of the Wrath stage of King Hayagriva, I actually refined another seed character and obtained a mysterious spiritual fire. It was an unexpected joy. Fang Qing looked inside with his consciousness and could see an unknown flame in his heart, burning slowly, complementing the golden energy of Sha Peleng in his heart. This is the flame of Wu Ming Shining Ember that was turned into by the anger of King Hea Tu Ming. The power of this Wu Ming Shining Ember flame is currently at the 3rd level. It may not be as good as those of the heaven and earth spiritual fires, but as my cultivation becomes more advanced, the power can continue to increase. One day it will catch up with the power of the spiritual fire of heaven and earth, or even surpass it. With this fire in my heart, can I even try the art of fire alchemy? At this time, I heard the King of Bones say, I heard that the donor has witnessed that Lord's gold certification? That's true. When it comes to this, even Master Xuantu has a look of panic on his face. Fortunately, that Lord was so virtuous that he threw us out. Only one Kai Yuanzi died in the entire Z Mansion, and it was because his Taoist heart collapsed and died. Your Excellency is really kind-hearted. Even though the demon Dao subordinate talked about the stove lord, Master Xuantu was also full of admiration. Maybe, it's because of the face of the person on D2, behind the Matian cliff? Fang Qing added in his mind. It's the demon clan, those demon kings have made great achievements, and there are many people in the world who have achieved gold certification. Master Xuantu sighed, I ceded several lands. But from now on I have to rely on the Dharma King to fight against the demon clan together. The demon clan used stomach earth to prove gold, which can be regarded as a heavy blow to the two major golden elixir sects in ancient Shu and southern Xinjiang. After sorting out the blue bird department, he will definitely make a comeback. It should be so. After all, I am practicing, too. Sangji put his hands together. This alliance of Taoist interests is the most reassuring agreement in the Z mansion. Master Xuantu laughed and then looked down. Kill. Fang Yisen felt baffled. It seemed that the Zifu formation was not there, allowing them to rush into the Xuantu gate. With the hatred of murdering his son, he slashed an arc with the Shanqing sword in his hand and killed a Taoist boy. This Taoist boy should be a disciple who has just been admitted to the Xuantu sect. He is so convinced that he doesn't even have a storage bag. The few monks he knew laughed loudly and surrounded an old monk who was in the middle of his convincing life. How have these monks from the Daoji family, who are convinced of the loose cultivators, seen the luxury of the Zifu Xian men? After entering the Zuantaman mountain gate, they immediately turned into locusts, looting and killing people everywhere. Boom, the location of the Zuantaman Taoist treasury, a huge hammer wrapped in purple and gold appeared, and it was Huang Tianhua who took action. He cultivated the D2 Taoism, and the Taoist skill he practiced was twilight mist. At this time, there was a layer of gray haze floating around the body, and the 5 poisons such as scorpions, centipedes, and vipers appeared inside. Ordinary convinced monks will be killed immediately if they touch it. Even Daoji monks have to stay away. These monk soldiers seem to be powerful, but they are just a bunch of ragtag mobs. Even a late Daoji can't be found. Who is in charge of the formation? He really should be killed. Huang Tianhua Shouda. Disciples of the Xuantu sect, kill the enemy with me. Yu Xuanzi held a magic sword and hid far behind, with cold sweat on his back. Will I kill the enemy with you? Will I die with you? This Sifu formation suddenly failed, can't you tell? There must be a real person taking action. Sure enough, not long after Huang Tianhua charged, a guardian deity of Wuxing Temple came up to him. He was still in the early stage of Daoji, and his power was weak at first glance. I will fight you. The guardian deity took out a piece of white bone from his arms, chewed it into his mouth, and spit it out suddenly. Poof. A piece of glazed moonlight shines down, showing the appearance of moonlight and white bones. The gleam of moonlight remained in Huang Tianhua's eyes, and he suddenly knelt down. The Wing Tianzi Jin hammer in his hand was also thrown aside. The flesh and blood fell off piece by piece, and he unknowingly turned into a white skeleton. Z Mansion's method? Seeing this scene, Yu Xuanzi's spirit was so strong that he was about to flee. No, my master has made too many concessions this time, and I'm afraid all the mountain gates will be abandoned. None of the 7 Xuantu sons will be left. It's a pity that he realized it too late, and a fat black worm appeared on the Dao foundation in his body. This black insect has a vaguely human face, lying on the foundation to suck greedily. Yu Xuanzi's complexion changed, a black light flashed in his eyes, and he shouted, for the sake of the sect, why not die? Immediately flew forward, and within a few rounds, he was beheaded again. In an instant, cries and begging for mercy resounded through the hanging mountain, high in the sky. Master Xuantu looked at this scene indifferently, like a superior god. Even if his sect was slaughtered and his treasury was looted, he could not be moved at all. But Fang Qing stayed outside, but saw extraordinary phenomena emerging from him and Sangji. This is different from the Jifeng Bu he used to make alchemy before, but the intertwining of images represented by the magical powers of the 2 Zifu Dharma kings, D2, is responsible for disease, and, Nu2, is the soil where corpses accumulate. When combined, there will be continuous wars, rampant diseases, and white blood. The bones are exposed in the wild, and they are reborn in the supreme earth. It is just like the tragic situation of Lita County and Xuantu sect now. It is like burying a dragon. Relying on the protection of Daoshengzhu, Rushu, Fang Qing dared to complain in his heart. At this time, Master Xuantu finally spoke. The monk soldiers invaded Lita County and killed 7 Daoji members of the family. They broke through the Xuantu mountain gate and killed 6 Daoji people who were direct lineages. 3 of them were of my direct lineage. They were useless. Plundered away. Is the Dharma King still satisfied? The donor is a person with wisdom, and the cause and effect is settled here. It's good. Dharma King Sangyi clasped his hands together and showed compassion on his face. Fang Qing, however, understood clearly. He knew that Master Xuantu was hundreds of years old, and that his descendants had been separated by countless generations, and that he had not yet passed down a deep relationship to his disciples. At the critical moment, there is no hesitation in pushing out to death. Even if the entire Xuantu sect is gone, as long as Jinren Xuantu is still there, the world is so big that you can pick up another one wherever you go. After achieving the Z Mansion, except for the Z Mansion, the rest are all ants. This is also the dignity of supernatural powers. The monks of the Zifu possess magical powers and have the ability to cross the void. Unless the Great Master takes action, or they are besieged in the special environment of the Cave Heaven Paradise, which is isolated from the void, it will be difficult to fall. There must be some dignity left between each other. But now that Stomach Earth has become enlightened, it means that those big shots are gradually waking up and have more energy to pay attention to the present world. Zifu may not be free for long. Fang Qing had so much fun killing that he hid several of them in the storage bag in his arms. While he was jealous, he followed the other monks to the Patriarch Hall of Xuantu sect. The remaining monks of the Xuantu sect, led by the last of the 7 sons of Xuantu, are guarding this place. Okay, as long as this place is broken, the Xuantu sect will be destroyed. Wuchen's revenge can be avenged. But at this moment, a conch sound came. Did the conch sound? Fang Qing was startled. He looked at the monks around him and found that everyone stopped and stared at them. Ming Luo withdraws his troops? Retreat now? Can this Xiantu sect be destroyed? He didn't want to leave, but out of the corner of his eye, he saw Master Feiyuan retreating without hesitation. He immediately gritted his teeth and followed all the way out of the Xuantu Gate mountain gate where corpses were everywhere and rivers of blood flowed. No, after a while, the out-of-function Zifu formation suddenly shone brightly, with thousands of peaks and ravines, Suyuan Qingkuan, and endless rays of light blocking the greedy cultivators. There were faint screams. Let's go. Suddenly, Fang Qing was tapped on the shoulder. He turned around and saw that it was Monk Feiyuan. He quickly saluted. Master, the donor can remove the 3 poisons and is not obsessed with greed, anger, and delusion, but he is a wise man, Senior Feiyuan said with a smile. It's time to go. This Xiantu sect? Stop fighting? Fang Yifan was still a little stunned. If we don't fight, we might still be allies in the future. Monk Feiyuan smiled mysteriously. We first went to occupy some land bordering Shitua. It's a pity that your meritorious service was too small and you won't get the spiritual land reward. This bat Lu is going to be turbulent and unpredictable. If you can survive with your life, what else can you ask for? Fang Qing replied with a wry smile, thinking of those comrades who left their lives behind. A sentence came to mind. I don't know the reason for life, I don't know the reason for death. Well, this great nephew is still sober, otherwise if he falls into the Zifu formation, I will not save him. In the sky, Fang Qing took a casual glance and prepared to return to Shitua County. Now that the Fang family still has blood, he doesn't care about the life and death of a mere Fang Qing, and he won't go out of his way to rescue him. On the other hand, Tian Jinchen wasn't taken into the cave last time. With a thought in his mind, he communicated with the Bone Dharma King Sanji, Sir Qi. Tian Jinchen was deprived of all his life. Instead, he was plagued by bad luck and bad luck. His old age was desolate. It must have been the calculation of the Zifu on the cliff to make him suffer in his later years. It was probably because he had offended a certain real person with his words. Sangji's response came quickly. As far as the young monk knows, the Su Jin Huan has been sent to the cliff. This person is just a stinking piece of shit, so don't ignore him. If the Venerable is not angry, he can kill him without any further trouble. These real people from Zifu are really stingy. Fang Qing laughed dumbly, and immediately felt as if he was scolding Sanji together. After all, he was killed by Mingzi and lost a little face, and he will soon. After returning for revenge, the gate of Xuantu Master was broken, and only one of the 7 disciples of Xuantu was left dead, and the bloodline of the disciple was unknown. In terms of ambition, it is also not big. In this case, there is no need to worry about him. Fang Qing originally suspected that Tian Jinchen had brought about the Stomach Earth situation, but later after experiencing the Dong Tian incident and deducing from the results, he realized that the reason why the Fang family got into this situation was because of Hu Quanan. This person is the one who has the destiny to find the cave and obtain the inheritance and the God Stone. Tian Jinchen is the descendant of Master Yanba. He has the chi of Yanba Bl. Seed land and is vaguely related to the Stomach Earth, so he was attracted here. In the final analysis, there is still no magical power to suppress it, and it goes with the flow. Destiny cannot be independent. I don't think he wants to die alone. He must spread his branches or have a descendant. This is in line with the status of being calculated. Fang Qing flew all the way back to Wuxing Temple. This temple now has many female earth treasure lights, which have multiple mysteries, and are even more arranged on the mountain peaks outside. The mandala rituals. Combined, the temple protecting formation is no less powerful than the Xuantu Sect Sifu formation, and it can also cut across the void. Now that the situation is great, we can travel around the world and visit the Shuite immortal sect families such as the Daoshengzhu Bai family and the Songhai sect, and inquire about the spiritual objects of Jishui, Zifu. If Fang Qing is still a little bit sure about his own elixir formation, he is really not sure at all about how to develop magical powers and break through the Z mansion. Fortunately, I am only in the middle stage of Taoism now, so there is no rush. I can just slowly improve my Taoism. If it really doesn't work, I can advance to nascent soul and Qi refining Taoism first, and then plan the purple mansion after having 1,000 years of life. Is it possible? If it weren't for Sanji being promoted to Dharma King and having the hidden secret realm as his backer, Fang Qing wouldn't even be able to say anything about planning the spiritual objects of the purple mansion. And if he had given up on Sanji before and ran away with his share of the Lingbai, I'm afraid the end would not be too good. Without the backstage of the purple mansion, who would exchange the purple mansion spiritual objects with you? They would all just grab it. It's rare to be leisurely now. Let's improve our strength first. Now I am the horse-headed king to get St. Artade with the wrath stage. You can also study the dragon elephant golden body achievement method. Fang Qing saw a colorful divine light in the west, where the empty bird Terra was, and his heart immediately moved. Monster. I want you to help me practice. A few years later, Taibai Island, Bai Lingshu, she held a decree in her hand, with a look of hesitation on her face. In the past few years, various rumors that were detrimental to Taibai Island have been released. Although Fang Qing always responded, it made everyone on Taibai Island inexplicably uneasy. Today, a decree from the sect came into her hands, and it was a transfer order. The island owner has been in Taibai for many years, and everyone in the sect regards me and Xiongdahu as their vassals. Now this move is to remove the wings, but the island owner also has someone mediating in the leader, so he has not moved his guarding position, but it is also a warning. Bai Lingshu is well aware of all this, but is she Fang Qing's wing? She could only smile bitterly in her heart, with a hint of fear. After thinking about it, she controlled a strange flower weapon and found Xiongdahu. Xiongdahu is transforming a mountain peak and burying some strange magic weapons. These magical weapons are full of demonic energy at first glance, and they smell of blood. There are leather drums, rosary beads, bone staffs, bone bowls. Senior brother Xiong, what are you? Bai Lingshu asked strangely. According to the order of the island owner, modify the formation. Xiongdahu buried a yellow leather scripture and said calmly, the island owner is going to set up high platforms on all sides of Taibai Island, and each will enshrine a Brahma weapon. Brahma weapon? Could it be the inheritance of Buddhism? Bai Lingshu was a little surprised. Xiongdahu had always been in charge of the formation, and this was indeed his business. But the intention of adjusting the formation at this critical moment is a bit scary. Could it be that the island owner really wants to separate one side? Why, with the status of the island owner, even if he returns to the sect, he will still have a high position. And, unless the third-level formation is arranged immediately, the ancestor of the pill formation will immediately become a child fan as soon as he arrives. Bai Lingshu was full of confusion, and his face became even paler. Why, junior sister Bai thinks that we are going to rebel. Xiongdahu laughed loudly. This formation is not to deal with the monks of Baihaman, but to use it to deal with foreign enemies according to the instructions of the island owner. How can there be any foreign enemies now? The enemy? Could it be that the Sea Destroyer Alliance would come for a sneak attack? Bai Lingshu was speechless, but the next moment she heard Xiongdahu say, with your character, junior sister, you dared to kill your fellow disciples in the secret realm. What will you do if I really betray the sect? He knows, does he even know? Bai Lingshu was shocked and stood there blankly, unable to move. Seeing her like this, Xiongdahu just smiled and continued to arrange and debug the formation. Inside the cave, Fang Qing was still in his prime. He raised his hand and looked at his palm, and found that the original golden light leaking out and the dragon-like energy and blood had disappeared. The palm was white and delicate, as if it were carved from the finest jade. He looked ordinary, without the slightest feeling of blood pressure. This is of course not that the third level of body refining is useless, but that after several years of polishing, although there is no major breakthrough, it has been washed away and returned to its original nature. Today, even if I challenge Master He Yuan in a duel, I am sure to win. It's just a lion fighting a rabbit, but I have to use all my strength. Let's set up a third-level formation. With this secret formation, it's better to borrow more external FO. Seas. The water and soil here in Zio Wanhai not convinced, there is no external force to borrow, and the power has been reduced a lot. But at least the third level is still there, and the ability to block the void is still there. For the Zifu formation in ancient Shu, the first priority is to cross the void, otherwise it is not qualified, and you can let the Zifu monks come and go. Counting the time, the destined person should arrive. Only this destined person can save me from this embarrassing situation. More than half a month later. Night. The sea breeze is howling, and the bright moon in the sky is like a jade plate. A snow-white figure rode the wind and waves to the waters of Tai Bai Island. It has been more than 50 years, close to a century. The person who came was white-haired, male and female, and it was the former Zhong family's genius, Zhong Lingxiu. It's just that at this moment, his magic power has reached the early stage of pill formation. The Zhong family's elixir-forming seed finally lived up to his high expectations and realized his full potential. When he reappeared, he had already formed an elixir. Baiheman. Zhong Lingxiu looked in the direction of Baiheman, her eyes full of hatred. When the Zhong family was destroyed, he escaped from the Zaya-Wanhai immortal realm through the 1,000 miles of sea road, and narrowly escaped death before reaching another sea area. At that time, he was full of hatred and deliberately spread news about a relic that the Zhong family knew, hoping to attract a few alchemy monks to come over, but he didn't know the result. Now it seems that Baiheman is still safe and sound, and may even have benefited from the ruins. Zhong Lingxiu's eyes moved slightly. Only when you have been out can you know how vast the world is. The first reason he came back to this remote rural place was for revenge, and the second was to gain the opportunity to access the secret realm of the ruins to help him practice. After Fermin G the elixir, I realized that I was just one of many geniuses, and was somewhat lost in the crowd. My subsequent practice was difficult. The first step in revenge is to take back my Tai Bai Island. Of course he is not a reckless man. Before he came, he grabbed a few qi refining monks and asked about the situation of Xiaohuanhai. He learned that Tai Bai Island was not taken seriously by the Baiheman, and the monks stationed there were only in the middle stage of foundation construction, and there was no third-order formation to protect them. In that case, what are you still afraid of? Not long after, Tai Bai Island was in sight, covered with snow, shining white in the quiet night. Zhong Lingxiu's consciousness swept over it and she couldn't help but laugh, the four-pole black ice formation. My family didn't look down on this back then. Immediately no longer hesitate and join the battle alone, ouch. The extremely cold air gathered together and turned into illusory ice beasts, taking the shape of birds, bears, and wolves, surrounding Zhong Lingxiu. The light of rice grains also emits brilliance? Zhong Lingxiu waved his hand, and the third-order ice soul mysterious light flew out. Bai Mingming's light flashed, turning into an ice blade, easily cutting through these ice soul phantoms. The spiritual beasts in the sky shook like ice and snow. It collapsed like an avalanche, turning into a blanket of cold air, and was absorbed by that ray of ice soul light. Zhong Lingxiu broke the formation lightly. Not only did he not consume any mana, but his face became even more rosy, as if he had taken a big pill. The guarding formation was broken, and many monks naturally felt it. Bai Lingxiu was the first to fly out, and felt a cold consciousness sweeping through his body. He seemed to have become immortal, facing a poisonous dragon. Energy forming. Ancestor? It's not like the ancestor of the sect took action directly to kill the island owner, right? No, it's not that far. At all. Then it's Master Heiyuan who came over? For a moment, Bai Lingxiu lost all hope. Disciples on this island, please be patient and return to the cave to guard. A stream of light flew over, revealing Fang Qing's figure. Are you the guard of this island? Zhong Lingxiu's consciousness swept away. Mid-stage foundation building? Should be killed. In fact, he and Fang Qing have a close friendship. Not only did they have shortcomings in the beast tide, it happened temporarily that during the earlier attack on the fishing ground, Fang Qing was hunted down by this man, and he also made a fortune, but at this time, in Zhong Lingxiu's eyes, Fang Qing was just an ordinary Baiheman monk. There was a cold light in his eyes, and the ice soul mysterious light in his hand was about to fly out, and the world suddenly changed. There are bursts of Sanskrit sounds and golden light. There is a scene of flowers falling from the sky and golden lotuses emerging from the ground. I don't know when a high platform has been moved on all sides. There are heavenly palaces on each side. Countless chanting sounds can be heard, and there is a faint golden body of a strange god sitting among them. Void movement? The forbidden formation, the finest formation in the third level? Zhong Lingxiu took a breath. Someone is ambushing me? Wan Jishuan, Shitiexin, come out. Now that you are trapped in the third level formation, you cannot escape easily. There must be a strong enemy taking action. He did not dare to neglect, and quickly took out his own magic weapon, also a bead with flashing cold light. It was the magic weapon recorded in the Zhong family's mysterious secret of black ice, the ice soul bead. This one is not the one from the ancestor of the Zhong family, but the one that Zhong Lingxiu worked hard to collect and refine by himself after going to the East China Sea to form pills. But in an instant, Zhong Lingxiu's consciousness saw Fang Qing also offering an ice soul pearl. No. It was an ice soul pearl talisman. His eyes suddenly turned red. Thief. There are mist. Rise in the ice soul pearl magic weapon. It is difficult for the Dongjia monks who have not practiced the ice soul mysterious light to make it into a talisman. The one in Fang Qing's hand must come from the Zhong family, or a direct lineage. Zhong Lingxiu scanned with his consciousness and found that there was no ambush by the Dongjie monks. It should be that there was already a third-level formation arrangement here. It seems to be a secret move to deal with the Sea Destruction Alliance. There is a third-level formation, and the person who presides over it holds a talisman. Even facing a pill-forming monk, he can persist for a long time, waiting for reinforcements. This person may be able to delay for a while facing Master He Yuan. Unfortunately, he uses the Ice Soul Bead talisman. You met me again. Zhong Lingxiu's eyes narrowed slightly, and the ice soul beads in his hands emitted white jade-like brilliance, and ice crystals suddenly condensed behind him, turning into a pair of extremely gorgeous ice wings. Gee. He made a secret with both hands, and the ice soul pearl flew out. With an inexplicable suction force, the ice soul pearl transformed into a talisman had insufficient power. At this time, it stopped in mid-air, and dense runes appeared on the surface. Suddenly, a white light flashed, and it turned into a talisman seal. The talisman burned spontaneously without wind, and mana emerged one after another, and was actually injected into the magic weapon Ice Soul Bead, making it brighter and brighter. How could the talisman refined by my Dongjie monk not be used to prevent outsiders from using it to kill my family? Zhong Lingxiu waved his ice wings behind him, and he moved forward 100 feet in an instant, and his escape speed was far faster than the average early Dongjie monk. His eyes flashed with cold light, and his hands the mysterious light of the Ice Soul was like a sharp sword, ready to kill the guarding monk in the middle stage of Foundation Bui. Ding. But in an instant, Zhong Lingxiu saw the face of the monk. There was only calmness in the other person's eyes, even the fisherman's joy of catching a big fish. No. After realizing it, he prepared to summon the Ice Soul Bead, but it was too late. In the void, a blue bead emerged out of thin air. With a slight jump, it hit the Ice Soul Bead with the endless mountains and seas and heavy water. It was the magic weapon that turned into sea beads one by one. A surge of extremely fierce and condensed power, even surpassing Zhong Lingxiu's by Hai Gong, exploded in front of him. Fang Qing smiled, and a white jade flute appeared in his hand, and he blew it gently at his mouth. Zhong Lingxiu had no time to be surprised. She already felt the power of invisible sound waves spreading, instantly penetrating into her internal organs. He was bleeding from the corner of his mouth, and the Ice Soul light reacted instantly, freezing all the injuries in his body. Not only that, but a set of crystal-clear half-armor appeared on his body. This armor seemed to be made of black ice, exuding cold air, and it was bone-chilling. Defensive magic weapon? Sure enough, foreign monks are relatively wealthy. Fang Qing made a secret with both hands, and the jade flute magic weapon made a long cry, and turned into a white phoenix with extremely flexible eyes, and various runes flashing at the end of its wings. It flew towards Zhong Lingxiu, with its ice beak ready to peck two magic weapons. Zhong Lingxiu was also extremely solemn at this time. He made a secret with both hands. He used the layers of Ice Soul mysterious light to the limit. He also turned into an ice crystal phoenix and flew towards the white phoenix transformed by the magic weapon. Two phoenixes hovered in the sky, and from time to time there would be one. The brilliance of the Ice Soul and the invisible sound waves spread down. Any remnant of this fighting technique can seriously injure the foundation-building monks, and the chi-refining monks can be directly wiped out. How can such a talented person exist in this remote sect? Zhong Lingxiu felt the consumed pill-forming mana, and her expression was extremely solemn. He never expected that the first step of revenge, which he thought would be a leisurely stroll, would actually step in the mud. I am a disciple of the nascent soul sect. I have been gifted since I was a child, that's all. I still have to use my foundation. Zhong Lingxiu also prepared a lot of trump cards in order to compete for the ruins this time. At this moment, a flash of inspiration appeared in his hand, and a strange talisman appeared. This talisman seal is about the size of a palm. It is completely different from the talisman treasure, but it carries a more dangerous brilliance. Third-level treasure talisman? This secret mandala formation is just an empty frame. It can at most block the void, but it doesn't have much suppressive effect. After all, Jing can't invite so many guardian kings. It's time to use real kung fu. Fang Qing responded quickly and snorted coldly. The alchemy-level consciousness suddenly erupted, turning into a golden demon subduing Vajra, and smashed into Zhong Lingxiu's sea of consciousness. Zhong Lingxiu snorted, and the original action of activating the treasure talisman was interrupted. Then, a figure flashed in front of him and he saw Fang Qing. The two were so close that they almost looked at each other. At this moment, he finally recalled that there was Zhong Wufu at the fishing ground that night. You are, but Zhong Lingxiu could no longer say it, because a blood energy so thick that it was comparable to a third-order monster beast had burst out from the person opposite. Fang Qing put his 5 fingers together and turned into a punch, hitting the ice armor heavily. Boom. At this moment, Zhong Lingxiu seemed to hear the lamentation of her ice armor magic weapon, and she understood more clearly why the opponent chose to fig. HT at close range even though he knew he had a defensive magic weapon. Level 3 body refining? Is there such a monster here? He quickly retreated. Although the magic weapon barely supported him, the force of the countershock still made his internal organs seem to be out of place. A mouthful of blood was about to spurt out from his throat, but he forced himself to hold it back. Whoosh! As soon as the figure flashed, Fang Qing did not give Zhong Lingxiu a chance, and landed on the ice armor with heavy punches. Zhong Lingxiu couldn't bear it anymore, spitting out a mouthful of blood, and shouted, "My ice armor has 10,000 years of cold poison. Even if you are a third-level body refiner, you may not be able to," but when he saw Fang Qing's palm, he was startled. The skin of Fang Qing's palms is as delicate as jade, and there is no trace of poisoning at all? No. Not only that, there seemed to be a transparent flame burning on the opponent's palm, distorting the void. This flame originated from the unknown, originated from the fire in the heart, and burned everything, so it was called Wu Ming Shining Embers. Zhong Lingxiu suddenly felt the anger in his heart burning up, turning into an unheard-of third-level spiritual fire, and unexpectedly exploded in his body in an instant. This made the injuries to his internal organs completely serious, adding to the injuries. It was difficult to control the magic weapon after the magic power was greatly damaged. In the sky, the sonic white phoenix screamed proudly, and its countless sonic wings were like sharp blades, disintegrating the ice phoenix transformed by the ice soul mysterious light. On the other side, Huahai Pearl also showed its power and suppressed the ice soul pearl. Zhong Lingxiu couldn't even maintain the flight to escape the light, and fell to the ground. She replaced it with a third-level talisman seal in her hand, but she smiled bitterly again. The one in his hand was a top-grade or third-grade E. Scape talisman given by his master, which was a life-saving item at the bottom of the box. Once cast, one can escape through the void. However, he threw himself into a trap and entered the forbidden formation, but it was of no use. Fang Qing fell to the ground and had a bone relic hidden in his sleeve. Since he knew that it was Zhong Lingxiu who was in the early stage of pill formation, he naturally had to be fully prepared, so he also borrowed the Sifu magic weapon. If the battle is unfavorable, then transform into S magic power and use the wonder of the Sifu magic weapon to summon the powerful gods and demons with bones to eat Zhong Lingxiu directly. Fang Qing tried it in private, and found out that the magic weapon of Z Mansion was more powerful than the two magic weapons of Huahai Pearl and Jade Flute. In fact, the most convenient thing is to bring Sanji here, but such a great secret cannot be shared by even the disciples who have been converted by me. He looked down at Zhong Lingxiu, who had been seriously injured and lost the ability to fight. Zhong Lingxiu smiled miserably. "Are you the fish that slipped through the net in the fishing ground back then? Haha. I originally thought that if I came back this time for revenge, I would at least make the whole Zaya Wanhai tremble and make children cry at night with such a vicious reputation. But I didn't expect that at the beginning. It just fell into your hands and became a joke." He was a supreme genius who could defeat the deadly sword Shuizhi back then. He never expected that he would lose so miserably in the hands of a peer, who would even run away when he saw him. "Stop talking nonsense. Do you want to live or die?" Fang Qing's voice was cold, with a hint of killing intent. He did not take action to solve Baihamon's problems, but to solve his own problems. "You dare to kill me? My master is a nascent soul monk, and I lit a soul lamp in the sect. Once he dies, the sect will definitely react, and at least send a great monk in the late stage of pill formation to investigate." Zhong Lingxiu threatened. "Oh?" Fang Qing didn't take it seriously. Transformation does not mean killing. There is no such thing as extinguishing the soul lamp. He sneered and put his palm on Zhong Lingxiu's head. "If you don't want to die, just relax." Zhong Lingxiu's mind was in a trance for a moment, as if she was seeing a rising red sun. After a while. "Thank you, young master." Zhong Lingxiu stood up. After Fang Qing withdrew the spirit fire mystery and took another pill, he looked much better. "Is the master you are talking about true or false?" Fang Qing stood with his hands behind his back and asked casually. "It's true. This sect is called Tianshuang sect, and there is a nascent soul monk. My ancestors have a connection with this sect. After I went to the East China Sea, I was able to worship in the door, and after all the hardships, I successfully formed the elixir. Only then was he received by master and accepted this villain as his named disciple." Zhong Lingxiu respectfully handed over a jade slip. "This is what this villain saw and heard in the world of immortality in the East China Sea. Not bad, not bad." Fang Qing took it and took a good look after getting ready. After he formed the elixir, it would be difficult to support this small world. Just seeing that Ruan Jishuan is still a monk in the early stage of elixir formation, he can guess one or two. When the time comes, he will still have to go to the East China Sea to cultivate the world of immortality and the dangers of the thousands of miles of sea roads. For the elixir formation monks, that's all. You and I will go out to play a show, and from now on we will sit on Tai Bai Island and form a three-part alliance with Baihaman and the Sea-Destroying Alliance. Fang Qing said his plan. He was too lazy to come to the stage, so let a real alchemy monk come and take away Tai Bai Island and establish a sect. Jasper Island is already in a state of distress, how dare it still be attacked from both sides? At that time, you can use this person's name to go to the secret realm of the Zhoutian Star Palace to get a share of the pie. Fang Qing secretly praised himself, and glanced at Zhong Lingxiu, still remembering the grievances of the fishery back then. Well, you have good qualifications, and I won't give you the position of Mingzi. You have to learn to develop on your own. No, it's cultivation. He has accepted many disciples, and there are still 2 positions left for Mingzi and Mingfei. They took them back after killing Fa Quan and Fa Jian. As for Qing Rushue, Xiong Dahu, and Su He, they are all veterans. I am embarrassed to kill someone to seize the position. Sure enough, it is difficult to get rid of the position of Mingzi and Mingfei unless she is dead. It is just a waste of incompetence. Can you appoint and take it back at will? The one on Dashue Mountain needs to work harder, Fang Qing thought obediently. Boom. The sound of Sanskrit sounds filled the sky. Island Master, Bei Lingshu looked at Xiong Dahu next to him. Island Master doesn't know what to do. I have already sent a message to the door. What she wanted to say was that while the pill-forming monk was being dragged by Fang Qing, should they escape? Although the Qi refining cultivator will most likely not be able to escape, as a foundation establishment cultivator, there is still a glimmer of hope to escape. But Xiong Dahu had a serious face and shook his head in refusal. I swear to follow the island owner to the death. Sure enough, this person is a die-hard loyalist to Fang Qing. Bei Lingshu hesitated slightly, and then it was too late. Crash. I saw that piece of Brahma light dispersed, revealing Zhong Lingshu's figure. He stood with his hands behind his back, his face cold and aloof, like a plum blossom bathed in snow. As for Fang Qing, blood was bleeding from the corner of his mouth and his vitality was severely damaged. Not bad, not bad. You can withstand my 3 moves. Your cultivation level is quite advanced. I heard that you are an alchemist? Zhong Lingshu smiled and said, do you want to work for me? Dream. Fang Qing sighed, I am the master of Baihaman. Well, I can't do anything to betray the sect. As soon as he said this, even Bei Lingshu was a little moved. Only at the critical moment will I know how good the island owner is. There is such suspicion in the sect, it is simply unworthy of a son. Haha, you have to accept it even if you don't accept it. Zhong Lingshu waved his hand, and a ray of white light fell on Fang Qing. I have placed a restraint on you. From now on, you will be locked in the Ice Soul Cave, and you will make alchemy for me. He turned to look at the other monks, and the pressure of the alchemy was released unabashedly. All the Qi refining disciples turned pale and staggered. Surrender, or die? As the Baihaman monk who destroyed the Zhong family, I have been very generous to you. If you don't want to die, come here and be restrained by my spiritual consciousness. Behind Zhong Lingshu, there was a mysterious light of ice, like a sword hanging high, and I don't know when it will fall. Bei Lingshu bit her cherry lips, wanting to imitate Fang Qing, but her spiritual consciousness and body were different. They were all trembling. I have seen the island master. Next to him, Xiong Dahe suddenly knelt down. His kneeling seemed to have taken the last breath out of the hearts of the Qi refining disciples. Many of them were silent, but they knelt down silently. Haha, Zhong Lingshu looked up to the sky and laughed, and looked at Bei Lingshu. What about you? Today, I have never touched the blood of Foundation establishment in my hands, but I still feel that this revenge is not sweet enough. Bei Lingshu was just silent. Zhong Lingshu knew at a glance that this woman did not want to die, but she could not say anything to beg for mercy. After all, I am thin-skinned. But as long as I don't want to die, there is a high possibility of persuading me to surrender. I don't want to commit murder, so that's all I can do. Immediately, he pointed at Xiong Dahu. Okay, today you will be the manager of Taibai Island. Suppress these 2 foundation builders first, and then post a message to inform everyone that my Zhong family is back. Even though she was acting, when Zhong Lingshu said it to the end, her eyes turned red without realizing it, and she looked very energetic. Sanyuan Island. A transmission note flew into the hall with firelight. Misfortune. When I stretched out my red sleeves and saw it, my scalp suddenly went numb. Zhong Lingshu, the Bing Posey of the Zhong family back then, has returned and has already formed a pill and occupied Taibai Island? No, it should be to retake Taibai Island, quickly, let everyone know as soon as possible. Not long after, many monks gathered together. The one closest to the red sleeves was the female foundation building cultivator of the Shark tribe. In addition, there were some of her fellow sects who once lived outside, most of whom were in the late stages of Qi refining. Fang Qing, the then guard of Taibai Island, was very kind to me. Now it is said that Zhong Lingshu has captured him and detained him for alchemy. Zhang Hongxiu showed everyone the transmission notes one by one and said, the general manager of Taibai Island, Xiong Dahu, has sent a message that Zhong Zhen has ordered us to surrender. What do you think? The Zhong family? He is indeed the master of Taibai Island, but Sanyuan Island has an important terrain and has always been neutral. The sharks built the base and spoke, with a mellow and clear voice. However, now Xiao Huanhai has become a tripartite force. If it does not lean on one side, it will only end up being the first to decline in the war. Nowadays, the three major alchemy-forming forces are Taibai Island, Baihamen, and the Sea-Destroying Alliance. Taibai Island is undoubtedly the mortal enemy of Baihamen, and Baihamen is the strongest, with 2 alchemy-forming monks. I can't say. Taibai Island will join forces with the Sea-Destroying Alliance. A priest in the late stage of chi refining stroked his beard and said, in this case, the position of Baihamen's overlord is unstable, and the sky of Xiao Wanhai will finally change. The key is where should I go? The group of people argued, and finally all looked at Zhang Hongxiu. In the world of immortality, strength is the most important, and the foundation-building monks have always decided everything, so they can just follow. Zhang Hongxiu's heart has turned over and over again. She has had ups and downs in her life, and she has made too many major decisions. Almost a moment later, he followed his heart and made a decision. Sanyuan Island, can surrender to Master Zhong, but Fang Qing of Taibai Island has been kind to me. I can use this as an excuse. Sanyuan Island, surrender to Taibai Island, hoping that Master Zhong can treat Fang Qing a little kindly. The island owner is compassionate and kind-hearted, and he does not forget his old kindness. He is really a role model for us. Several worshippers looked at each other in admiration, but they said in their hearts, is this because Baihamen is in trouble? If you are going to vote for one, you are still trying to make a tiger skin out of your past kindness? It's quite decent to say it, Jade Island. Uncle, senior sister Qing Ruxwicken is outside asking for an audience. Inside the waterside pavilion, Linghu Zhong looked tired and put down the documents in his hand. He saw Linghu Chuya coming in after building the foundation and reported in a low voice. Alas, you must be begging me to ask the ancestor to take action to rescue junior brother Fang. How can I have such honor? No, see. Linghu Zhong gave a few instructions and then warned, go and explain to Haoxing. Now the sect is stretched thin. The 2 ancestors are also powerless. Who made junior brother Fang use to the outfield? Is it okay now? Fortunately, he is only imprisoned for alchemy, and his life is not worried. Moreover, through the chi refining secret agent on Taibai Island, it was revealed that junior brother Fang is still loyal to the sect, but that Daosheng, he knelt down and became Zhong Lingxiu's lackey. After sending Linghu Chuya away, Linghu Zhong looked at the scroll in his hand, still a little unbelievable, that Zhong Lingxiu has really formed a pill? This sect has another big enemy. He now has a vague guess that the current head of Shur is actually in a similar state to his ancestor, and is still worse than the real early-stage pill-forming monks. Once Zhong Lingxiu joins forces with the master He Yuan, the 2 ancestors of Baihamen, maybe he was afraid that he would not be his opponent, so he had to retreat to the main formation. After all, the master He Yuan was not a weakling. Although he was defeated by the 2 Danjia forces, his defeat was not ugly. I still don't know how good Zhong Lingxiu's fighting skills are, but coming from the East China Sea Immortal realm, he is obviously not dash. Linghu Zhong sighed, rubbing his acupuncture points to soothe his spirit, feeling a little dazed. I have been fighting at Baihamen for decades, and finally pacified Xiao Wanhai. How come the situation is the same as before in the end? On the other side, Tai White Island, high in the sky, Master He Yuan looked at Zhong Lingxiu, who was wearing an ice soul bead on his head and wearing ice armor, with a smile on his face. Congratulations, little friend, for forming the elixir. When I saw him back then, I knew that my Taoist friend was so majestic and extraordinary. Humph, you also chased me back then. Zhong Lingxiu gritted her teeth, but there is no bloody feud between us like on Jade Island. Yes. Master He Yuan was delighted, so there is still a lot of possibility for us to cooperate, especially on the matter of Baihamen and the ruins. Although he snatched the ruins map and information from Zhong Lingxiu back then, he definitely did not have a big hatred that would destroy his family. Driven by interests, the Danjia monks can definitely join forces. But the ensuing negotiation made Master He Yuan very uncomfortable. Zan. Ji Lingxiu's few words were all about stepping on his vital points, which were close to his bottom line. In the end, he had to face Zhong Lingxiu's conditions and give up many benefits. Of course, Master He Yuan didn't know that his disciples were traitors, and he had sold out all his money long ago. Time flies. There was a turmoil in Xiao Wanhai. It is said that the master of the Taibai Island, Zhong family master, and He Yuan master joined forces to try to attack the Baihamen mountain gate of Bu Island, but in the end they had no choice but to retreat. But this Shinran Zhong gathered loose cultivators in the name of Taibai Island, and actually pulled up a group of people to fight against Baihamen. The Sea Destroyer League naturally came to help, making Baihamen miserable. But companions, as the opening of the secret realm gets closer, there are fewer and fewer fights between high-level monks. Obviously, the monks are looking for longevity and will not fight to the death before the opportunity comes, even in the forbidden area of Taibai Island. Cave. It is rumored that a 3rd-level alchemist is imprisoned here, and some top-quality elixirs are occasionally circulated from Zhonglingshou's hands to win over the monks on Taibai Island. The spiritual energy nearby is rich and reaches the third level. Inside Bingpa Cave, different from what outsiders imagined, Fang Qing moved all the original decorations of his cave here, and added many rare treasures from the East China Sea that Zhonglingshou paid tribute to, making it look more beautiful, comfortable. And, after so many years of recuperation, the third-level spiritual energy on Taibai Island has slowly recovered. The Bingpa Cave where he is now is the place with the most abundant spiritual energy, and he can enjoy the third-level spiritual energy in the retreat room. Fang Qing sat cross-legged, and the blue sea skill was running in his body, and a dark green water surface emerged. A large amount of third-level spiritual energy came in like a mist, surrounding him, making him look more and more like a god. Tick-tock. After an unknown amount of time, the mist-like spiritual energy was inhaled into Fang Qing's body, circulated throughout the sky, fell into the dantian, and condensed into a drop of dark green liquid mana, which dropped into the lake. In an instant, the lake appeared. A sense of completion. No matter whether I continue to swallow the magic power-increasing pills or transform into Daoshengzhu Yuanxian, I can no longer condense more liquid mana. 99 drops of liquid mana finally completed the mana cultivation in the later stage of foundation building. Fang Qing opened his eyes and counted with his fingers. Unknowingly, after so many years of seclusion, he has passed his 100th birthday. If he returns to Baihamen, he will definitely be entangled in chores. How can he have such a leisurely cultivation day? Originally, according to his idea, his 100th birthday must be handled well, but after all, this place is still in a secluded state on the surface, and it is necessary to avoid suspicion. Anyway, there is nothing wrong with the ancient Shu side. It is time to rush into the realm of fake elixir with complete foundation. Fang Qing took out a jade bottle from his arms. After opening it, he saw a purple elixir inside, with 4 complex and exquisite elixir patterns on it. It was the third-order one big obstacle-breaking elixir. He added a lot of Qi Dao elixir techniques to refine this elixir, which not only makes the elixir faster, but also has better efficacy. The only effect is to assist the monks who have reached the limit of mana cultivation in the later stage of foundation building to break through the bottleneck of perfect foundation building. Sure enough, Qi refining is still beneficial. As long as there are enough resources, pigs can form pills and condense babies. Fang Qing swallowed the Great Barrier-breaking pill, closed his eyes, and began to slowly refine its medicinal power. Outside the cave, spring passes and autumn comes, and cold and heat alternate. In the Bingpa cave, the Bingpa cold spring surges, constantly overflowing with wisps of cold air. For Fang Qing, who has already reached the third level of body refining, these bring comfortable air conditioning like air conditioning. He silently operated Blue Sea Kung and fell into a deep state of seclusion. When I came back to my senses from the trance, my dantian was completely different. Have you broken through the bottleneck and completed the foundation building? Fang Qing looked inside his dantian and saw that the original dark green liquid mana lake had disappeared. In its place is a water balloon. After breaking the upper limit of 99 drops of liquid mana, 100 drops of Blue Sea Kung mana merged into one, forming a blue-green water ball. Not only that, its color is pure green, and its size is more than half smaller than before. At the very core, there are even traces of semi-solidified crystallized magic power. Sure enough, there are traces of crystallized mana. The so-called elixir condensation in Qi refining Dao is just compressing the liquid mana to the limit and turning it into a solid, true elixir. The perfect foundation is the lower limit of condensing true elixir. If you have excellent skills and hold a specific secret method, you can try to make the mana of your dantian semi-solidified when the foundation is completed. Dai formation will increase the probability of formation by at least 20%. Fang Qing stared at his magic elixir and nodded secretly. Ordinary Bihai Gong does not have so many secret methods, and it has at most a 10% chance of forming the elixir. But what I have learned is the true inheritance of Bihai Zhenren, using secret methods to enhance the effect, combined with the power of the Great Barrier-breaking elixir, coupled with many years of seclusion, can increase the chance by 20%, but this is not his limit. In addition, my spiritual consciousness has broken through and transformed into a pill-forming level consciousness. It is also beneficial to forming a pill, which can at least increase the hope by 10%. And the third level's physic, Yui, Qi, and blood, should also be 10%. Combined together, it is about 40% of the success rate of forming an elixir. It means that Fang Qing starts to form an elixir now. Even if he does not take any panacea or elixir-forming spiritual objects, the probability is higher than that of many Xiao Huanhai monks. But for him, the chance of forming an elixir is less than 50%? What is the difference between seeking death? The reason why Fang Qing is practicing in seclusion unhurriedly is because he is waiting for the secret ruins of the Zhoutian Star Palace to be opened this time, so that he can obtain the 5-element spirit fruit and refine the golden formation pill. Even if the golden formation pill is added, the chance of forming the pill is not full, and after all, it feels like there are some shortcomings. At this time, the benefits of trade between the two worlds are revealed. The magical powers of ancient Shu should be magical, and there should be other magical objects that can assist in forming pills. You can ask Zhengzhu to borrow, buy, and ask for them, just to be safe. Fang Qing let out a long sigh and calculated again. This time I swallowed the great barrier-breaking pill to break the realm, and also practiced Bihai Zhenren's secret pill-forming technique to promote the crystallization of mana, but it actually took several more years. Am I already 110 years old now? It will be less than 3 years before the secret realm of Zhoutian Star Palace is opened. 110 years old, the foundation construction is complete, and the speed is not too slow, Fang Qing thought in his heart, and sensed the tide bead. After all, this external elixir needs the monk's own magic power to activate it. Now that his mana has been perfected for foundation building, after activating it, the Daoshengzhu suddenly becomes extremely active, releasing a wave of mana that is close to the middle stage of pill formation. Fortunately, Fang Qing has the 3rd level of body refining and is fully able to bear it. Taibai Island. Today's Taibai Island is full of various buildings and there are many more monks. Many of them are cannon fodder that Zhonglingshou gathered casually to harass Baiheman. Fang Qing generously walked out of the Bingpa cave and wandered around Taibai Island. He suddenly felt that things were different and that after a retreat, he felt like he was in a world of change. Haha. Is this the alchemy master? Fang Qing rolled his eyes secretly. In the eyes of these outsiders, he has probably been restrained by Zhonglingshou and turned into a first-class slave. Pingy Dao, there is no place for you to speak here. Xiang Dahe flew over with a stern voice. Why don't you get out of here? Yes, Chief Steward. Pingy Dao lazily clasped his fists and saluted. He didn't seem to think highly of Xiang Dahe, and turned into a stream of light and flew away. What's going on? Fang Qing was a little strange. Xiang Dahe's spiritual consciousness transmitted a few words before he understood. After Xiang Dahe, Bei Lingshu and most of the qi refining monks also descended and became a part of Taibai Island, which was quite a line of their own. However, after a few years, some anonymous blood descendants of the Zhong family returned, and everything changed. Zhonglingshou only listened to Fang Qing's words and did not appoint Xiang Dahe as general manager, but it was inevitable to favor and cultivate several Zhong family members. This Pingy Dao relied on a young master of the Zhong family, secretly making trouble for Xiang Dahe, and wanted to squeeze him out of the position of chief manager. During this meeting, it was obvious that Fang Qing was regarded as someone from Xiang Dahe's family. The little demons in the temple are very windy, and the water is shallow and there are many bastards. Fang Qing was speechless and walked into the ice and snow palace. Zhonglingshou was condensing the ice soul mist. Riot light. When he saw the scene, he immediately sealed the hall and bowed down, welcomed the young master to come out of seclusion. I was planning to go out to relax, but I happened to meet a few blind people. Fang Qing only mentioned one sentence and asked, how is the matter in the secret realm? Young Master Qi. Zhonglingshou's heart trembled. I went to see the undersea bronze underground palace with Master He Yuan. The opening date should be within 3 years. And because it was opened last time, the flaws in the formation's operation have become larger. This time, we may be able to send in a few foundation building monks. Yes. A jade slip appeared in Fang Qing's hand, which contained Zhonglingshou's knowledge of the world of immortality in the East China Sea. You said that in the world of immortality in the East China Sea, there are 1 palace, 1 temple, 3 islands, and 4 gates, a total of 9 major forces, each of which has the power of the late nascent soul to guard. The top one, the 1 palace and 1 temple, is suspected to have produced monks who have ascended to the gods. Tianchuang sect and so on. A sect with only 1 or 2 yuanying old monsters is only moderately powerful in the world of immortality cultivation in the East China Sea. That's right, the world of immortality cultivation in the East China Sea is extremely vast, and the resources for immortality cultivation are extremely rich. I even heard that there are some auctions where there are pill-forming spiritual objects and infant-condensing spiritual objects appearing. Zhonglingshou's face is full of yearning. Then have you ever heard of the Zhuxiangxing Palace? Fang Qing asked. Zhou Tianqing Palace? I have never seen it in the Tianchuang sect's classics. Perhaps it is a force that has been lost in history. Zhonglingshou thought about it carefully and replied. Yeah, Fang Qing nodded, feeling that this transformation is much easier to use than his OWN God-splitting soul-searching technique. After all, there are many omissions in this soul-searching technique. How can I have such a dedicated subordinate? They have all become subordinates. Aren't the other party's memories and experiences their own? There are limits to just cultivating other masters. For example, Mingzi Mingfei and is like who cannot transform other masters, but, this weak Tianqing palace is not famous, I don't know why. Fang Qing thought in his heart, maybe, you want me to go to the secret ruins in person? Now among the foundation building monks in Shaohuanhai, is there anyone who can beat me? The Zhong family residence. Young master. I saw Xiang Dahu again today. This person is dismissive of you. Ping Dao stood in front of a young master in a snow-white robe, his voice was stern, and he seemed to be even angrier than the young master. Humph, Xiang Dahu. The people of Baihaman really don't know why the clan uncle insists on using these generals? That's all Fang Qing, he is an alchemist after all. Bai Lingshu is good-looking and has the skill of spiritual planting, but he chooses to use Xiang Dahu. His cultivation has also reached the perfection of the 9th level of qi refining, but, that Fang Qing is out of seclusion? Just in time, you have someone go and give instructions to let him refine a few more foundation-building pills for me. Although he has a foundation-building pill given by Zhong Lingshu in his hand, his qualifications are too poor, so he is still going to get a few more insurance pills. Who? Suddenly, a gust of cold wind blew through the hall, making the young man shiver unconsciously. Huh? Clan uncle? When he saw Zhong Lingshu, he immediately saluted. Yes, Zhong Lingshu put his hands behind his back, with no expression on his face. He just told Ping Dao, there is a shortage of manpower on the Baihaman front recently. You can go over, huh? Ping Dao is stupid with his eyes on the ground, he knew that the will of the ancestor of Jiedan was difficult to violate, so he could only grit his teeth and said, I obey. He joined halfway and was born in Jiaxiu to build the foundation. He already had Zhong Lingshu's skills. It was impossible to escape halfway, so he could only secretly complain in his heart, it's such a bad time. I want to please the direct lineage of the Zhong family so as not to fall into danger. Why was I suddenly sent to the front line? After Ping Dao left, Zhong Lingshu looked at the young master of the Zhong family, Zhong Kunyu, you are from the Kuan generation, a descendant of the eldest Br. Other Ling Fang. Yes. Zhong Kunyu said quickly, why did the clan uncle get that Ping Dao? My nephew just feels strange everywhere in the ancestral land of Taibai Island. It is rare to have a caring person. As he spoke, his tone slowly became lower, and he realized something was wrong. Brother Ling Fang is kind to me. We had a good relationship back then. Therefore, I value you and give you the foundation building pill. I hope you can succeed in building the foundation. Zhong Lingshu softly recounted the past, it's just that you should never, should not offend the young master. Young master? Which one? Zhong Kunyu looked confused. Is there any other young master with a more noble status than him on Taibai Island? But he had no time to think about it, as a ray of ice soul light flashed across his neck. Bang! His head fell to the ground, the wound was completely frozen, and not a drop of blood came out. Zhong Lingshu had no expression on her face. She patted the storage bag and put the body away. He is the only alchemy ancestor of the Zhong family, and he does not need to explain anything he does. Even if the Zhong family is an aristocratic family, not a sect, and has family ties, there is nothing they can do to him. This method of transformation is really terrifying. Fang Qing felt horrified when he saw this scene. Zhong Lingshu was usually fine, but once he gave an order, he seemed to be a different person. Ancient Shu, Qingli Mountain. A white-haired old man was standing on the Qingmilangzao mountain. Under the tree, looking at the ripe jujube. Fangisen is now very old. He barely managed to break through to the 7th level of convinced qi, and then he has not made any progress for decades. At this time, he has basically given up on practicing and enjoying himself every day. Father. Zhang Lin is back. At this time, a middle-aged man came and said, bring back the news of the death of Senior Tian, Old Tian. Fangisen paused for M.O. Met with the black crutch in his hand. He has sent away many people over the years, and there are fewer and fewer familiar faces from back then. Perhaps only the Taoist cultivator from the Sifeng Chamber of Commerce can stay forever? I received a letter from the Tian family before, saying that Lao Tian was seriously ill, and I had an ominous premonition. We are convinced that the monk is light and healthy. Unless he is about to die, how can he suddenly become seriously ill? Fangisen walked slowly back to the mansion and said with a smile, there is also that guy Lao Tian. At the beginning, he vowed that he would not marry a wife, have children, or accept disciples, but in the end, he became a flower in old age, which really made us old friends laugh. Mentioning this, even Fang Wujiu couldn't help but laugh. As Lao Tian got older, he had some luck. It was said that he rescued a woman who turned out to be the eldest daughter of a common official family. The etiquette in the family was extremely strict. When he rescued her, they had a physical relationship. If he didn't marry her, she would throw herself into a well, so Lao Tian had no choice but to marry this woman, and she soon became pregnant and had a successful life. Fangisen returned to his house and saw a man. The young man, with traces of Jishui qi on his body, has already reached the middle stage of convincing qi. This person is Fang Xianglin. Today, the Qingli Fang family has long escaped the objection of the days of loose cultivation. There is a jade pendant hanging on his waist, which is actually a convincing qi magic weapon. His posture is chic and unrestrained. He had the magnanimity of a man from a family of cultivators. I met my grandfather and uncle. Fang Xianglin bowed. I went to Tian's house and happened to see Grandpa Tian pass away. Was old Tian still peaceful when he left? Fang Yisen said leisurely, I think he should have no regrets in his life, no. When mentioning T.S., Fang Xianglin's expression turned out to be very strange, and he said, Grandpa Tian's death was not peaceful, even very dishonorable. At that time, Grandpa Tian woke up as if from a dream, sweating profusely, but he was dying, his canthus was cracked, and his facial muscles were twitching like ropes. Suddenly he opened his throat and said hoarsely, Don't go east or north. Your descendants will be in great trouble. After saying this, he coughed up blood in his throat and scratched the air with his claws. When Fang Yisen heard this, he couldn't help but look at each other with Fang Wujiu, Wuxing Temple. Nowadays, the white bone path attacks in all directions, and is no longer limited to Shitua County. It can be regarded as a big family business in ancient Shu. Of course, Sanji, the white bone Dharma king, was also very cunning and left the white bone path, the direct descendant of Daoshengzhu Temple, in Shitua. As for the esoteric believers belonging to the Black Heaven Dao and the Blood Sea Dao, they were all sent to other counties to preach, meet the Venerable. In the secret room, Sanji knelt down on the ground and then stood up, holding out a stone box. It is useless for the little monk, I have only collected this thing over the years, failed to find the Zifu spiritual object suitable for Jishui breakthrough. It would be good if we have it. Fang Qing took the stone box and before he opened it, he felt bursts of Jishui energy coming towards his face, mixed with another water virtue aura, which made his whole body's energy and blood active, and his whole body seemed to be a bit younger. This is the spiritual object of Zifu? He was slightly surprised. He opened the stone box and saw a spring inside. It is crystal clear, with a hint of beauty and youthfulness, and is full of vitality. In my ears, Sanji's voice slowly came, this Zifu spiritual object is called the Fountain of Youth. It is made from the intersection of Ji water and B. I Shui. It can only reach the limit of Zifu spiritual objects. It has two great miracles. The first is that it can make the person who takes it look immortal, and the second is that it can heal injuries, even if Zifu has serious injuries. As a result, the young monk felt that the second magic of this thing was exactly what the Venerable needed, so he brought the two Terras, Yuiguan Bai and Kong Ke, to get it back for the Venerable. You are determined, Fang Qing reassured that even the monks of the Zifu, it is not easy to obtain the spiritual objects of the Zifu. There is no need to elaborate on the twists and turns in this thing, does suit my liking. Although this Fountain of Youth is not a magical elixir-forming object, its effect on the living dead and flesh and white bones is quite good when used to prevent one's own elixir-forming failure. In other words, it is equivalent to the Ice Heart Pulse Protector pill when building the foundation. As for ageless appearance and so on, he doesn't care about these at all, but, does this Zifu spiritual creature also have levels? Fang Qing was a little curious. It is, among the Zifu spiritual objects, the most top-notch ones are quite effective in the cultivation of Dezhenren, while the lesser ones are miraculous in the breakthrough of Z Mansion in the middle and late stages. They are shortcuts to the promotion of Dezhenren, the remaining ones are assisted by energy. Helping Zifu monks practice magical powers comes first, followed by refining Zifu magic weapons and formations. As for the Zifu spiritual objects that can assist Daoji perfection monks to break through, they are also very popular among Zifu monks. But not all Zifu spiritual objects have the effect of assisting breakthroughs. On the contrary, most Zifu spiritual objects have no such effect. Sangji said, the last one is the Fountain of Youth, which cannot help Daoji perfection monks break through, and only has some BEA. Udi and healing effects, if the Venerable. Interested, the young monk here has a hand-copied copy of the Precious Light Collection Sutra. In the past, the Precious Light Dharma King traveled around the world, synthesized many classics, and drew a map of the spiritual objects of the Purple Mansion, which can be used. Sangji took a Buddhist scripture and presented it with both hands. Yes, I'll go back and have a good look. Fang Qing feels more and more that this Bone King is really a great treasure. After all, he is no longer a direct descendant of the Jindan sect, but a high-ranking member of the Jindan sect, and his identity has changed again. Furthermore, there are more than one person in the Daoshengzhu Taoist lineage of the hidden area. Buddha, that is, where several Jindan true lords sit. In terms of background and power, I am afraid it is even more than Moyunya and Injur sect, only Lu Fengshan can compare. Fang Qing took the Fountain of Youth and returned directly to Taibai Island. Of course he will not be in a hurry to attack the pill formation bottleneck now. He will only wait for the secret realm to open and obtain the 5-element spirit fruit. After the cultivation of Qi refining Dao has stagnated, it is natural to focus more on conquering Qi Dao. Purple Mansion spiritual items, even the Purple Mansion spiritual items mixed with well water, are also very rare. In the cave, Fang Qing opened the stone box and felt the inexplicable Taoist charm of the clear spring, with a faint look on his face. Since being promoted to the middle stage of Daoji, his Qi Dao cultivation has been stuck for many years. At this time, there are still about 3 years before the secret realm is opened, so we can take a good look at this Purple Mansion spiritual object. If you can improve your Ji Shui practice by just 1 or 2 points, that would be great. 3 years later. Taibai Island, inside Bingpa Cave. It's hard, Fang Qing put away the fountain of youth with some sadness and sighed. The later stage of Daoji is indeed difficult. In the past 3 years, he has continued to understand the fountain of youth. It cannot be said that there is no benefit at all, but he has reached a certain point. That is the bottleneck encountered in the later stages of breaking through Daoji. When I tried to break through to the middle stage of Daoji, I also used a life spring pill. But in the later stage of Daoji, there are no good elixirs, although there are secret medicines in the secret area to assist breakthroughs. They are all blood energy elixirs, and now the effect is not very good. Fang Qing is planning to wait until he forms a pill and his strength skyrockets again, then he can visit the authentic place of Dongfang Tai Xianmen. Although Gu Shu has opened his eyes several times, things should be better on the Jingdao territory, right? He walked out of the cave and issued a transmission note. Not long after, a piece of alchemy-level spiritual consciousness came. Young master, Zhong Lingxiu asks to see you. Come in. Fang Qing nodded, and saw Zhong Lingxiu coming in, and bowed respectfully. Meet the young master. Well, you haven't returned to Tianchuang sect for so many years, will something happen? Fang Qing asked casually. Young master Qi. The villain has already been dealt with before he leaves the sect. If he doesn't return for 30 or 40 years, there won't be much of a problem. After all, the alchemy monks are already considered high-level members of the sect and have a lot of autonomy. It is normal to travel abroad for several years and decades. The Yuaning ancestor has even had examples of not returning for hundreds of years. Zhong Lingxiu said, unless the villain's soul lamp is extinguished, or the sect encounters a war and the order is still not returned. Only then will the investigation be carried out afterwards. It turns out that if after confirming that Zhong Lingxiu will not cause any trouble to him, Fang Qing asked, how is the secret realm? It has been confirmed that it will be opened soon. We met several times and finally decided, there are 50 Qi refining disciples from each party, and the number of 3 foundation building monks. Too many foundation building monks will also make the void gap channel unstable, so the maximum number is 9, Zhong Lingxiu said respectfully. Qi refining monk, you are free to choose. As for foundation building? Fang Qing has already calculated that his entry into the secret realm this time is a good fortune. If it were ancient Shu, this may not be credible, but in Xiaohuanhai, he is quite competent in his own divination technique. What's more, I still have the Daosheng pearl to protect my body. Even if the worst happens and the entrance to the secret realm is destroyed, I can still escape directly to ancient Shu. Moreover, in fact, these 3 forces all have his people. Fang Qing naturally knows the plans of these 3 parties. He does not want to destroy the secret realm, but is coveting the huge opportunities in it. I want 2 of the spots. Fang Qing smiled slightly and transformed into the image of Fang Jin wearing a white robe, sword eyebrows, and starry eyes. His current Tian escape sword technique has also reached the middle stage of Dao Foundation. Outwardly, he is a great sword cultivator in the late stage of Foundation establishment or even perfect, and this identity did not appear out of thin air. In Xiaohuanhai there are traces here. It is the nameless swordsman who destroyed the Jiang and Lu families of Sanyuan Island. One of them will be given to this white-clothed swordsman, and you can give him a random name. The other one, Fang Qing smiled, just give her a red sleeve. This woman has a lot of energy, and she might get a lot of benefits. Rom going to the secret realm. After all, Zhan Hongxiu is a girl of temporary luck. After so many years, she has also broken through to the late stage of foundation building. It is a matter of course that she is under the command of Taibai Island and won a place. Furthermore, when she surrendered, she used her own excuse at least, and Fang Qing also just take care of it. As for the last spot, you can make your own arrangements. He waved his hand and Zhong Lingxiu respectfully left Tianjin Island, the bronze underground palace under the sea. Fang Qing was dressed in white, with sharp eyebrows, and followed Zhong Lingxiu, watching this person greet Master He Yuan, and then confronting Ruan Jishuan. Only one Master Jiedan came to Baihaman this time. I wonder if he was showing weakness. There were also many acquaintances of Fang Qing among the 3 parties. For example, Qin Ruxue who is debugging the formation, the white-haired Tian Ding who is following Ruan Jishuan and seems to be on the verge of his end, and Yu Xiang'er on the side of Master He Yuan. If I raise my arms now, all the forces from all sides have turned against me. I wonder if it will be a thriller for those two alchemy monks. Fang Qing thought a little funny in his heart. But he obviously doesn't have such a bad taste, and the identity of Fang Qing is not here. After all, a third-level alchemy master who is imprisoned must have an alchemy value higher than the value of the secret realm, and it is impossible to be sent into the secret realm. Just coming here is very strange. Tianding, the deadline is not far away. Are you prepared to fight to the death, descendants of Fuse? No, he doesn't have this kind of character. Fang Qing was suspicious in his heart. He looked at Tianding a few more times and gradually realized that something was wrong. His eyes obviously caught Tianding's attention, and he glanced over with a trace of doubt on his face. Fellow Taoist, could he be the SWO? RD cultivator who destroyed the Jiang and Lu families back then? Yes, Fang Qing responded coldly, cherishing every word like gold. Zhang Hongxiu next to him looked like he wanted to say a few words to Fang Qing duo. He thanked Fang Qing for his life-saving grace, but he was inexplicably what's wrong with me? Why is my heart feeling so weird? Is it possible? She felt quite strange and couldn't help but lower her head, a trace of red appearing on her cheeks. Stab it. At this moment, Qin Rushue waved the formation flag, and various runes flew out, stabilizing the light arc channel. The passage to the secret realm has been opened, and it can last for a month and a half this time. I don't need to say more about the rules, it all depends on destiny. Master He Yuan flicked his sleeves, and the demon disciples filed in one by one. Among the three leading foundation builders, there was Yu Xiong'er. It's no wonder, her cultivation is almost complete, right? She is a disciple of He Yuan again. After the eldest disciple was killed by me, he was very important. Fang Qing and Yu Xiong'er's eyes intertwined, like passers-by, walking into the void passage. Zhoutian Star Palace, secret realm. With a flash of light, Fang Qing's figure appeared out of thin air. Is this the secret realm? There is indeed something mysterious. He looked at where his home was, and it seemed to be a dense forest. In the depths of the dense forest, there was a second-level monster hovering. At this time, the body of the green monster python as thick as a bucket was coiled in a circle, wishing that its aura would turn into an ant. A second-order monster. Its natural spiritual sense is more acute, and it knows that Fang Qing is not easy to mess with. The existence is almost comparable to that of a third-level demon king. Fang Qing naturally had no intention of troubling a snake demon. A flash of light appeared in his hand, and a black iron map appeared, which was the Zhou Tianxing Palak. Scroll 1. Well, things like peripheral picking are all the work of Qi refining disciples. Now I don't need to refine the Kue Mu magic weapon to hide, because the ones brought out by Taibai Island are all mine. Fang Qing's goal has always been in the core area behind the dense fog of prohibition. First of all, it's time to get the 5-element spirit fruit, and then go to the Buxo Hall where the Patriarch Bihai is seated. There are still restrictions deep in the hall, and obviously there are Bihai real people who can't get enough of them. Finally, if you have time, you can also explore other marks on the map. Fang Qing made a move with one hand, breaking the air in front of him, causing the other people's swords to merge into one, turning into a sword light, and speeding away into the depths of the secret realm. Everywhere he passed, no matter the original monsters in the secret realm or the disciples who entered from the three major forces, they all bowed their heads and did not dare to offend in the slightest. Not long after, a white fog loomed in sight. Huh? Fang Qing suddenly felt a weight on his body, but did not resist, and landed in front of the white mist. Is there a forbidden air restriction? This place is restricted. I am afraid it will become stronger when it is strong. The people who built this secret realm at the beginning were at least Yuaniing old monsters, so it is not suitable to resist forcefully. He fell into the white mist, his body twisted, like a cloud dragon showing its claws, and moving forward quickly. Occasionally, he would lightly tap the Sha Palang in his hand, and wailing and screaming could be heard in the white mist, which could not hinder his progress. The first target is the 5 elements fruit tree. Even if there are opportunities for other treasures in this secret realm, the most important thing for me right now is the success of forming the elixir, and everything else is empty. Fang Qing's eyes were Li Ku swords, and he took another step forward. Whoosh, the breeze was blowing, and the fog was thick. After spreading out, the sky and the earth became bright, and one could see the peaks and shadows of the forbidden light not far away. He checked the iron scroll of Zhoutian Star Palace, found the direction, and quickly started to climb. Sure enough, in this secret realm, there are opportunities everywhere. She wore a green robe with red sleeves, her sleeves were red, and they were obviously refined into spiritual weapons. Thousands of runes flew out from the flick of her sleeves, like red leaves, shimmering and colorful, and carrying a silent murderous intention. In front of her, a Huanyuan Nyo fell to the ground, and a third-level 1,000-year-old spiritual grass appeared behind her. Zhang Hongxiu immediately filled her face with joy and put away the spiritual grass properly. With her current cultivation level, she is naturally capable of running amok outside the secret realm, and due to luck, she can often pick up a lot of good things. I really want to thank Master Zhong this time. If he hadn't stood up to all odds, how could such good things have happened to me? Zhang Hongxiu was also a little strange. It was obvious that there were many foundation-building monks on Taibai Island who were closer to her than her. There were also a lot of foundation-building casual cultivators outside who were willing to spend all their money to buy a ticket and give it a try, but Zhong Lingxiu gave her the spot in the end, making her sister the shark envy. It's like this on the outside. How rich are the opportunities in the core part? However, Zhang Hongxiu has had many opportunities. At this time, he no longer thinks about it and heads towards the dense fog. I don't expect to be able to defeat the later overhaul of Baihaman and Sea Destroyer League. I will be satisfied if I can take advantage of the loopholes. Zhang Hongxiu thought so in his heart, and suddenly felt some kind of throbbing in his heart. Is this the aura of the art of turtle and crane prolonging life? The Wanzhou turtle was obviously placed on Sanyuan Island by me. If the Wanzhou turtle is carried in the spirit beast bag, it will definitely be counted as a foundation building quota, so there is no such good thing. On the other hand, it is possible for a second-level puppet without life breath to get through in a storage bag. But at this moment, Zhang Hongxiu suddenly felt the slightest throbbing of his own technique, as if there was a Wanzhou turtle who also took part in the turtle and crane art of prolonging life in this secret realm. Her cultivation has improved a lot over the years, and she even came from the East China Sea. In terms of fighting skills, there is no way she would lose to a monk of the same level in this remote country. Unless, the other party is no longer a foundation builder. Boom. Just as she was sighing, her expression suddenly changed, and she felt a ferocious explosion of pill-forming mana. The giant cauldron seemed to have swallowed some big tonic pill, doubling in size again, and billowing black water bloomed all over the body, instantly submerging the black claw talisman. An old man with white beard and hair stood proudly on the cauldron, with mana rolling around his body, emitting the mana fluctuations of a pill-forming monk. Tianding, how can you, an old guy who is about to die, form an elixir? Yu Xianger's face changed color. But in an instant, she seemed to think of something. Aren't Baihaman really willing to give up? Are you not afraid that you will die in the secret realm and completely lose the treasure? Ho ho, I swallowed 2 life-extending pills and survived until today just for this moment. The light in Tianding's eyes flashed, and the magic power of Blue Sea technique. He surged forward, like a stormy sea, hitting Yu Xianger's body-protecting spiritual weapon. The foundation-building magic cultivator suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, like a small boat in the stormy sea, which could capsize at any time. Not far away, Fang Qing was wearing a curtain to cover the sky and looked at this scene quietly. Oh. I originally wanted Yu Xianger to do it, and then just give me 2 5-element spirit fruit. Now it seems that I still have to do it myself. Brother Tianding, he has dedicated his whole life. Obviously, Shi Tiexin did not come this time because he had already handed Baihaman's imitation title pearl to Tianding. After so many years, Tianding has finally reached the stage of perfect foundation building. The title pearl that was able to activate this imitation barely had the power to form a pill. After entering the secret realm, it was natural to kill randomly. With Tianding's age, even if he has a gold-forming pill, he has already passed the age of impacting the pill-forming stage. He can only be dedicated to the sect. Even when you are old, you will still shine. It's a pity that what you want to kill is my slave girl, and what you want to steal is my pill-forming spiritual object. Clang. Sighing in his heart, Fang Qing has already taken action to Sha Palang with a brilliant sword and the blessing of the sharp chapter. He can see stars in the sky like clouds, and a sword energy like mist. The clouds and mist were entangled, and a strange light stood out, like a white rainbow penetrating the sun, falling on the giant cauldron spiritual weapon. This high-grade spiritual weapon, the giant cauldron, was originally Tianding's beloved object. Unfortunately, it had already been devastated by the talisman before, and it had been crazily infused with mana by this white-an monk. It was already on the verge of being overwhelmed. How could it withstand the sword? Boom. With just one sword strike, the giant cauldron's pirate weapon separated from it and evenly split into 2 halves. Huh? Late stage of foundation building? No. A swordsman close to the completion of foundation building? You are the swordsman who destroyed Sanyuan Island? Why did you save this witch? When Tianding saw Fang Qing coming over, his heart suddenly trembled and he shouted, since fellow Taoist friends know that I have joined Taibai Island, how come I don't know that Taibai Island and Baihaman are mortal enemies, and have formed an alliance with the Sea Destruction Alliance? Fang Qing chuckled lightly, while Yu Xianger hid behind him with a wink, and said, thank you, fellow Taoist, for saving me. Humph, they are all working together, they are all in the same group. Tianding's eyes were fierce. It just so happens that today, I will deal with you all. A small blue sword appeared in his hand, blooming with a scorching light that made Yu Xianger exclaim, magic weapon? Sure enough, Tianding has a magic weapon in his hand. Since Baihaman is not stingy with a single external elixir, it will not be stingy with a mere magic weapon. Fang Qing's heart moved, and when he saw that the azure magic weapon flying sword had fallen, the Sha Palang also flew out from his hand. Whoosh, Sha Palang hit the blue stream of light at a strange angle, and instantly flew out the magic weapon flying sword. When Tianding saw this scene, he couldn't help but find it difficult to understand. In his opinion, he already had the magic power of forming a core, and the power he used was definitely far greater than that of the Foundation establishment. Why was this attack blocked by the Foundation establishment sword cultivator? Why? Tianding was stunned. What is this? If it weren't for the inconvenience, I would take out the Chaosheng pearl and make your eyes wide open on the spot. When your female tidal pearl encounters my male one, it will immediately stop working. Fang Qing smiled in his heart, and the swirl light in his hand split into thousands, and then merged into one, turning into a white rainbow piercing the sun, killing towards Tianding. Tianding's face was filled with green energy, and he controlled the magical flying sword. Even if you are lucky enough to get a move, how can you be so lucky again and again? He knew his own shortcomings, so he used the alchemy magic power to move like a wall, oppressing him. With his magical power and realm, it is better to use skill than clumsiness, and use force to overwhelm people. It's a pity that he met me. Fang Qing chuckled. Sha Palang skyrocketed 3 feet, fell into his hand, and slashed out with a sword. Wow. The turbulent wave of pill-forming mana was split from it, as if it had encountered a deep-sea reef that has remained unchanged for thousands of years. Tianding watched as Fang Qing slashed away his own magic weapon with another sword. The alchemy-level blue sea kung fu mana fell on the opponent, like a breeze blowing on his face. He couldn't help but widen his eyes. Physique refiner? A third-level body refiner? Haha, I not only know how to sword, but also know a bit about fists and kicks. Fang Qing cut through the waves, and his consciousness moved. Tianding felt like he was being stabbed into the sea of consciousness by a giant devil subduing Vajra pestle, and his whole body felt dizzy. The secret attack technique of this gate's spiritual consciousness has an unexpectedly good effect against him, a white-end monk. When he came back to his senses, the swordsman had already placed a magic sword as bright as a star across his neck. When he was dizzy, it would not be difficult to cut off his head. Third-level spiritual consciousness secret technique, third-level body refining. How can there be such a monster among the foundation-building monks? Alas, this is because my Bihai sect lacks qi, and the treasure of the sect is about to be lost in the secret realm and even in the hands of the enemy. With this thought, Tianding was completely despairing. But Fang Qing gently put away the magic sword and said to Yu Xiong'er, 5-element spiritual fruit. Yes. Yu Xiong'er, like a maid, took out the 3 jade boxes from the storage bag. Fang Qing picked up a jade box, opened it, and saw a colorful spiritual fruit, emitting amazing spiritual energy. He raised his hand gently, and the box fell into Tianding's hands. Huh? This? Tianding was stunned for a moment and even stopped the secret method of mutual death that was originally running. The other party did not kill him, but gave him a valuable pill-forming spiritual object. Why? Although I have obeyed orders from Taibai Island, I am not a member of the Zhong family. I am also very close to the chief alchemist of Taibai Island. I heard him talk about you, my senior brother. Fang Qing's eyes fell on Tianding, and the other party couldn't help but be surprised. It turned out to be the favor of junior brother Fang. Tianding's heart moved, and he looked at the jade box in his hand. Junior brother Fang must have owed this sword cultivator a favor, otherwise why would it be like this? Okay, this trip to the secret realm, I hope we don't have to run into it again. Fang Qing waved his hand, watched Tianding leave, and stuffed 2 5-element spirit fruit into his storage bag. The end of this Tianding is in the past few years or even months. Even if I get the 5-element spirit fruit, I can't form an elixir. I am a disciple of the sect, so loyal. Oh? You forgot that I am also a disciple of the sect. It's a pity that I was sacrificed by the Sea Dragon King. This makes Fang Qing's feelings towards Baihaman very complicated. Now that he has returned another 5-element spirit fruit, he has settled most of the cause and effect. What's more, he is the only one who needs to form pills at the moment. 1 5-element spirit fruit is enough. It's okay to take 1 more for emergencies.